let's get to it. Should have a few minutes more.
具体就看 BP 的一个风格，但是我会依然觉得这个现在版本可能会以主帮下为主，除非你下路选一个斯莫德这种英雄。如果你下路拿进攻就去帮下，如果是上路会拿出鳄鱼这种，那可能主要去帮上，你至少要保证你中期有一个点可以支撑。
对，其实我觉得，就无论如何你绕不开的关于下路的这个话题的话，那今天 Kepler 是这名选手的重新回归啊。其实也跟各位同步一下，就是虽然说老干爹这个赛季目前是一个只有3个大场胜场的一个战绩，但事实上 Kepler 选手他仅有的10场本赛季的出场里面是5比5的一个50%的胜率，其实个人胜率还是相当不错的。
是的。所
以我是觉得今天微博的下路组合。 可能要拿出跟原来不同的状态去面对老干爹的一个下路，因为毕竟确实是有新的一个更新菜，所以今天这个重要的一分，对于老干爹来讲生死攸关的一分，和对于微博来讲同样是关系的门票的一分，到底会如何？我们一会儿比赛里见。我们把剩下的时间先交还给阿福。
是的，在这里要提醒各位召唤师们，星光守护耀眼绽放，李宁和英雄联盟星之守护者联名系列卡莎现已上市，一起感受峡谷时尚魅力时刻。 逛京东，搜索京东电竞，参与 LPL 赛事预测，即可瓜分海量京东及手机等超多大奖。那我平时呢也会参与进来，大家都来试试吧。光明莫斯利安助力2024英雄联盟职业联赛春季赛。与此同时呢，我们的现场已经准备就绪，让我们把画面交给联盟竞技场，一起期待这场精彩的对决。
观看2024英雄联盟职业联赛春季赛，您可以通过英雄联盟客户端、掌上英雄联盟及英雄联盟赛事官网、LPLQQ.com、虎牙直播、斗鱼直播、哔哩哔哩直播、咪咕视频、腾讯视频、腾讯体育、新浪微博、微信视频号进行收看。电视机前的召唤师可以通过百视通平台收看全程赛事。梅赛德斯奔驰 EQE 纯电 SUV 实力俱全，胜券在握。 李宁英雄联盟联名系列星之守护者卡莎现已上市。逛京东，搜京东电竞，参与赛事预测，赢手机。光明莫斯利安助力2024英雄联盟职业联赛春季赛。开一局吗？开就开，保护有多度，尽情开一局。感谢全场保护的杜蕾斯。美服速霸，极速保护，全效应万变。
Hello, folks. Sorry, folks. I was just in the background making a coffee. Right. Let me put on some ads right now, just so we don't get any issues with it.
TCL 全屋智慧家电，峡谷英雄，敢为不凡。2024 LPL 官方指定家电产品，
How's everyone doing today?
电竞用户喜欢的能量饮
Okay,
料，
Sam
有
awake
能量
now,
当
so.
然战马，血脉不停 ，buff 不断，超神根本提。
Oh gosh. Right, folks. I am tired today. Let's have some good games to wake me up. Yeah. No, I'm struggling with it, folks. I'm struggling with it. That's okay. I'm tired, Sam. I got up to set everything up. Careful, you almost bonked my PC with a chair. It was an errant leg.
Right. I shall claim myself a cup of tea. Do you want to beer?
I already have coffee on the go, so I'll do that, and then we'll, Does VCS have to give up their spot for MSI? I've heard nothing about that. I don't think anyone's heard about it. I'd imagine they have to... What they'll probably do is try and get the investigation done ASAP, cut off regular season, cut off the teams which are implicated, and then continue playoffs with that and do it quickly. That's basically what they'll do. That's basically what they'll do, folks. Okay. That's what I'd imagine. Unless it gets really bad, and then, if it gets really bad, then there's a chance that maybe playoffs is delayed and things do get a bit funky. Right. Wait, K-Droll's older than me? I didn't realize that. Huh, he's a year older than me. He's 28. I'm 27. Well, like, he's like half a year older than me. Huh, I didn't realize. What was the answer to that question? How was the answer to my thing? I'm tired as heck. I'm tired as heck, Qatari, so, I'm struggling a little bit. I'm alive, I'm okay, but, I've had easier days, folks. Milky Way and RNG jail. I mean, there are rumors that after this year he has to go back to RNG because he's still playing out the rest of his contract for RNG. He's on a 1-year loan to the LPL, to FPX, not the LPL. So that's a rumor right now. We'll see whether there's any credence in that. No, I can't. You know, I mean, we thought that Gala would have to go back to RNG for this year. That wasn't the case. So hopefully for Milky Way, he gets to stay on whatever team he wants to. I think after this year, he'll have a lot of offers anyway. He'll have a lot of offers. I'd imagine he'll be one of the hottest prospects as long as RNG allow him to go somewhere. I should probably go get my coffee from another room, or like announce that I'm live or something. What did you miss? You've missed not very much right now. We've got LGD Weibo at the start of the day. I think that LGD, I mean, they lost some pretty bad series recently. Even when I thought they were doing okay, what was the last one they lost? I think their last series they lost was pretty bad. What did they lose in week 7? They lost to OMG. And then, did they lose another series? I feel like they did. They lost to TT and they lost to OMG, so they're on a pretty bad loss streak right now. So I think that they are, you know, they're in a lot of trouble here. Now Weibo, they lost to BLG, completely understandable. They dropped a game to EDG, and they almost lost that series. Honestly, they probably should have lost that series. They lost to WE. They did beat NIP. That was the last big result that they had. Yes, and OMG, sadly, Angel, his father passed away, so I believe he's not playing the next series with this team, which will be on Wednesday versus BLG. One that we're unlikely to win anyway, but yeah. Hey Yoda, how's it going? Okay, folks, Sam and I'll get into proper casting mode soon, and we will. Can someone in YouTube? I'm confused by how LPL English streams work now. Well, this is a co-stream. This is a co-stream. The LPL official broadcast does not run on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. As far as I can presume, I am an LPL caster. You'll see me in LPL as well. Because there's no budget for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Riot picked up the broadcast from TJ Esports, who used to run it last year. It was dropped by TJ Esports. They're the company which runs the LPL official. So there's a very quick turnover, and there's no budget right now to run it Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So that means that because Sam and I have the co-streaming rights, I'm an LPL caster. So I have them and Sam can cast with me. We try and do a more formal cast to make sure that people are still getting a form of more formal coverage rather than just the co-streams, because a lot of co-streams are doing the same thing. We'd like to do something different and actually do a lot of casts. Now you can find all of the VODs, from what we're doing. They're on YouTube. You can find them on YouTube Live. You can find them in my YouTube just VODs as well. You can find them in my Twitch VODs as well. So there are lots of places there. No, it's okay, folks. It's okay. I mean, I know a lot of people won't understand it. I'm just hoping that you guys get some value out of this. You know, now it's good for us. You know, if you enjoy it, and if you do enjoy it, you know, drop a like, drop a follow, drop a subscribe, because we're not getting paid for this. This is a co-stream. This is just us streaming on our own time. And yeah, I mean, we've done. I think week 2 we missed some games because we were back in the UK for a bit, and I was away from my PC and I needed the break, honestly. But yeah, so we've done pretty much every game. And I know that other people like Casual and Hysterics do casts every so often, but we do them every game. So if you like what they do and you like what other co-streamers do, you can still catch them on their co-streams. But if you want to like have a more formal cast, we are doing that every single game that the LPL broadcast is not doing. So, and yes, oh, by the way, this is the thing, folks. Weibo's green outfit is their away kit. LPL teams have an away kit right now. So, that's why they're in green. The bro down with initializers fire. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. Okay, folks. I need to go get my coffee from the other room, so I'm gonna leave you alone very briefly, and then I will be back with sustenance before we get into the draft. We'll probably have about 5 minutes or so.
那我们也是跟各位同步一下，这个 BO3可能会影响的一些季后赛方面的一些结果。首先是我们刚刚有提到的一条，就是老干爹如果在今年的 BO 赛中，哪怕只输掉其中一个小局，那么都会宣告着老干爹彻底与这个赛季的季后赛无缘。 所以对于老干爹来说，今天的 BO 赛是2场都必须拿下的一个状态1分都不能丢。而同样的，在如果说微博今天是拿下了老干爹，在大场方面拿下胜利的话，将会宣告着另一支队伍 RA 将会无缘季后赛。 这个是首个 BO3会影响到的一些季后赛方面的形式。
是的，因为现在比赛还剩下1周多一点点的时间啊，基本上都是那种牵一发而动全身的感觉。可能你没有打比赛，但是呢，可能因为排位或者积分数的一些改变，所以进入季后赛会无缘季后赛。
是，所以现在我估计 RA 的兄弟几个也是比较紧张的，但是对于老干爹就是。
Right. Okay, Harold, yeah, I can make the announcement on Discord. I kind of got behind in doing social media stuff today. Right, okay, so Weibo LGD.
Hello, hello.
You're Weibo LGD?
Yeah, I am.
Said Weibo LGD, and you said hello, hello. I thought you were introducing yourself as Weibo.
Yeah, I figured the best way to start today in terms of casting was to really get into method acting. So I am the entirety of Weibo versus LGD.
It is worth noting, Xiao Hao is starting over Yodang. They have been switching out junglers every so often. I don't think Yodang is the solution. I think he's actually been quite poor as a player. But obviously, nothing is particularly going well for Weibo right now. They've been finding victories very few and far between. Every game pretty much comes down to the same formula. Can Light carry late game team fights?
Yep.
It has been rough for them.
Yeah.
So against like LGD, I think that Shaya has been okay. I think for an LDL debutant, that's fine. I think that Birdall has been good, but besides that, I think this team has really started to struggle.
Yep. I agree. Hey Bears, hey Katari, good to see you. It's all good to see you guys. And yes, I largely agree to get a post up for myself. Hey Alex, do you want to come smile for the camera, please?
No. Okay, we should be into game soon, folks. That typically tends to be the way it is. Okay, I posted some discords, I guess.
Right, you do the exact same thing.
Okay, folks, let's get close to this game. So, in terms of my matchups to watch, I think as we get into game number 1 and this draft, what are we going to think of? We'll think about that alongside you, everyone, for game 1 of the day.
Good segue, mate.
Worth noting, this is important thing, we just saw there as well, Kepler is playing over Shaya. So Kepler is playing, not Shaya. And we have now a different AD carry match. We were saying how Weibo, a lot of times when they play, it is about light team fight impact.
So the last time I was seeing Kepler, he was playing in Nest and did actually a lot of work. Him on things like Xayah, his ability to carry in mid and late game was very, very potent. And even when the team as a whole was struggling on Nest, he was not. He became something of a superstar across that tournament, actually. Of course, has been playing a little longer than some of those LDL players, has been around a bit more. But coming up to the main team, I think that makes some sense if you're wanting that kind of player to work with.
I love that because that mirrors how Light has been on Weibo. Weibo's philosophy has been, let's hope Light can carry in late game. This team has struggled. 6 and 7. Remember, this is the team that went to World's Finals. Yes, they coin flipped their way there, but they were there nonetheless. 6 and 7 right now. They're hell, technically they're still in contention for playoffs in terms of it hasn't been determined yet. If they lose a series here, it could be very detrimental to that. It's going to be the Nautilus first lock-in. It potentially threatens a Senna, which has been falling away in the LPL recently. We've not seen nearly as much of it, partly because a lot of the lane-dominant champions have been getting through draft. And on the other side, a strong top side from Weibo as LGD focused on bot.
That's exactly it. And we saw a pretty monstrous Renekton game from Shanji yesterday. We know the champion can be pretty strong right now. And part of it, again, is it's one of those champions you feel like you can build a number of things on depending on the game state, depending on your lane matchup, and feel like you'll at least have a way to get into the game, even if it's not the best in class. the response will be the Ari, which has been raising once again in
Yes.
priority.
That's great, Sam.
All these horrible ways of saying priority, but what I'm basically saying is alongside the Nautilus, we've already got a very potent duo of pick champions.
Ari is very, very good when you have heavy CC to set up for your ult and for your damage. Potentially with Birdle going towards a carry champion on top side as well. He is going towards what I believe is his first Rumble of the split so far. He has been playing an awful lot of Aatrox, so now he's going towards a bit more of a team fight champion through the front and center rather than the flanking threat of the Aatrox. A lot of CC, a lot of magic damage, which can affect those team fights.
Well, Rumble's kind of fallen away from his first pick and banned priority. It does feel like the champion's still pretty good, and the right matchups, you could be pretty damn lethal. Of course, you've already got some good setup. So the equalizer roll out on the red carpet for whoever gets picked feels pretty good. It is going to be the response of the Annie, which I know you've been talking about relatively prolifically as a good answer in lane to the Ari and forces some different items at least out of her.
Runes most of the time. The items I actually don't think have to change that much. Well, you can go towards Banshees, but I think at that point it's kind of more about how the game state's going and if other stuff is threatening as well. Birdle, this is actually his second Rumble game. I missed one on there. It was a loss, so he's looking to get himself out of the red on that one, weirdly, on the red carpet champion. So now, big AoE team fight champions for both Weibo and for LGD. I think for players like Xiaohu who have been struggling, he is no longer the Emperor of Spring that we knew him to be. At least no, he hasn't awoken to that point right now. It does feel, to borrow a phrase from Mizal, one of those sleeping giants. The Annie, much like it is for Yagao, one of the real power picks that Xiaohu had last year to take over games.
Yeah, there go the Zeri and the Senna as well. Note that Smolder, as far as I can see, has remained up this entire time, which is very unusual for to go all the way through this pick and ban, but it also now means that with those two AD carries gone, there's a world where it gets fourth picked here by Weibo if it's not banned by LGD, and it is left down, so that tells me LGD have got something spicy planned for a potential Smolder pick on 4. They must do, surely.
Well, this is the thing now. If you lock in Smolder, you're going to be contested by this Jinx, which has been turning up in priority. We've seen Assume play a lot of it. We also saw Photic crack out some games of this for NIP just yesterday as well, and that was one of our more powerful games on the champion. If you lock in Smolder now, I think that you're likely to get, very difficult laning phase and potentially even outscaled by what the Jinx can do. It's weird saying that Smolder can get outscaled, but problem is, games don't last 40-50 minutes where you can actually bring that back. Really, at the 30-minute mark, things can go a bit weird, and maybe you're wondering about something which can be a bit more 2-item focused rather than the 3-item of the Smolder. That's why they're hovering the Aphelios and the Xayah, both of which Light has had some pretty good moments on this split.
I suspect it may end up defaulting to the Xayah. It's the champion that Kepler's probably most known for. Of course, things like the Aphelios do fall in his wheelhouse, but there it is. There's that Xayah I would kind of expected. It's perhaps a little safer to leave alone if the Nautilus is roaming around as well, and has been seen into things like the Jinx. It does match that kind of scaling. When you've already got a little bit of dive, things like the Annie and the Lee Sin jumping for your head, having that ultimate for the safety can feel pretty good.
So Light and Crisp have been known to fall behind in laning phase before. Nautilus Xayah, very, very strong 2v2. When the kill lanes are already out, when you don't have the Kalista and the Varus, it feels like stuff like Nautilus and Xayah have really taken a lot of priority. Time Kench locked in for Crisp, so that'll be an answer to the Nautilus and a lot of the point-and-click CC. It can come in from that champion. Feels like we have two very early to mid-game compositions. It feels like the first fights of the game, particularly when you've got Ari resets and of course Jinx getting excited as well, can just explode. So for me, I'm really looking to see for adequate vision coverage, for helping out what could potentially be, the Xin Sao, Lee Sin early kind of dueling match early into the game as well, and setting up really effectively for these first big team fights of the game. That's where the game's going to be decided.
Eyes on those, and eyes on the 80 carries, of course. Kepler a long way from Joy Dream. Of course, was JDG's academy team. Before that was on JJ Howe, which was one of the few unaffiliated teams in the LPL. That's kind of where he was before. Played a little bit on Thunder Talk back in the distant past as well, but it's been a little while since he's been in the LPL proper. Spent a lot of his time in the LDL, and seeing how well he'll play will be a different kind of question to be asking. Of course, just checking up that Xayah win rate. I think he is something like 10 and 12 all time. So again, I'm pretty okay. Ironically, I think the Jinx is the better champion for him by the looks of it. But my memory of Nest was his Xayah in particular being an absolute terror. So stepping in for Xiaoye, stepping in for another one of those LDL OT carries and looking to perhaps light the world on fire a little bit, as some of those rookies really have over the last 6 months or so.
And it's been a time of changing of the old guards. EDG and RNG not in playoffs for the first time in LPL history for both of them.
Yes.
Now, they've both individually missed it once, I believe. This will be the second time for the both of them, and second time, third time, definitely not the charm for them. Feels like, though, with the old guard changing somewhat in terms of organizations and some of those players as well, there have been some spaces for new blood to fill in the cracks.
Whether or not that new blood is up to snuff is perhaps a better question at this point. My eyes inevitably drawn towards that bot side with what's down there because of how important those AD carries will be as the game goes on, but also realistically early on you've got to be looking at things like a Shinsao, Ari, Nautilus and where the hell they decide to turn up, and similarly a Lee Sin and a Nani, if they start making some plays particularly around that level 6 mark, could be the catalyst for the start of the action, even if the location of it perhaps a little bit more up in the air.
And speaking of kind of like the Lee Sin Annie versus the Shinsao Ari Nautilus, obviously you don't mention the Tom Kenshin there for Crisp. Crisp has been one of these players who has very much prioritized having ranged champions over melee ones. He's got a very poor win rate on the melee champions, is worth noting. I believe at some point he was completely winless in melee and only had all of his wins on ranged instead. Stuff like the Renata. The Rakan's kind of the halfway house, and he actually did have some wins on that one as well. But Crisp, I feel like, changes the way that this team plays the game. When you have something like a melee support, you're looking towards like roaming towards the rest of the map, but what that does mean is less pressure for Light in lane and less ability to just say, Light, go do the thing. Later into the game, I think Crisp has been very impactful on the range supports to just allow Weibo to play towards the AD carry. This Jinx, though, can start comboing onto some of the aggressive combos. You throw that ult forwards from the Jinx, post level 6. Very, very powerful one-shot combos.
Deadly to work with, and of course when you have got things like the Ari and the Lee Sin, it's kill first combo, or it's kill first target. Everyone puts all their DPS to get Jinx excited, and she runs over the rest of the team fight. Is the basic idea, of course.
Really good spacing from Light there, just backstepping on a lot of the damage and getting AoE rocket damage onto both Jinzhao and Kepler. So early laning phase going well for Light. The thing about Jinx is that because of the rockets, you do get yourself very good wave control from the very first few levels of the game. Sometimes things can change, even with the Xayah matchup, particularly once you get to the ultimates, because Xayah actually has assassination potential in a 1v1 onto a Jinx. Once you get past that ultimate, you can dodge out on a skill shot or the ult, or even just an auto sometimes, and look for huge feather pullbacks.
Plan at least, and have to make it to that stage of the game as yet, is Birdall really putting the hurt down on top. It's level 3, and there is an ignite, which means ZDZ has to be very careful. Of course, there's been a lot of community talk around ZDZ, and it was always going to be a hard role to fill, because of course he's filling in for the most popular player in the LPL in the Shy, who, despite a very mercurial regular season, did help the team get towards a World Finals, and I think ZDZ has been playing pretty well considering the shoes he has to fill, but it's not been the Shy, and that's been a very hard thing for him to manage, I think.
It's just in terms of name value, ZDZ is just not that player, one of the greatest players of all time, and even though it's 2023, despite what people think, it's actually quite difficult. ZDZ has also been a bit of a pain point. We do see Meteor towards the bot side, as Jinzhao did miss his last hook. That'll be on a longer cooldown, but there is going to be potentially a 3v3. Ghost pop from Light though, and he'll be safe.
Does pop it relatively early. Meteor now spotting themselves out. Crisp going to get jumped on with an audacious charge, and a wind becomes lightning. The chompers are pretty good, and actually now with Xiaohao coming on down, this might turn into something a little bit more. LGD, have you overstepped? The Q lands, will go forward, but then that just means a staggering blow straight afterwards. Now forcing a flash out of Jinzhao as the Q comes through. Xiaohu's actually here. It is absolutely everyone! Flash for the double disintegrate, but he gets hooked at the turret! It's going to be a 2-for-1.
Oh, and Xiaohu leaves lane to make a play bot side. Xiaohu flashes, misses the Q, still gets the slow. Is he going to be able to walk away with the kill? No, he doesn't. So Weibo, they walk away with 2 kills towards the bot side of the map, giving 1 themselves. Haichao, sadly for him, can't really get anything more than just a wave shoved into mid lane, so shame that he can't do anything more. And this is one of the things that we worried about with the Annie versus Ari matchup. We saw that right from the early game. Haichao was pushed under turret. That allows Xiaohu on the Annie to get down towards bot lane very, very early. We did say, Shinsao, Lee Sin, very strong 3v3 bot lane champions. The first level of Safeguard, the first level of all of Shinsao's abilities, of course, is level 4 as well, so it's a little bit higher than that. Very dangerous, and Light gets himself, lethal tempo stacked up. Jinjiao body blocks though, so it means that Kepler isn't immediately taken out. You don't get a clean reset. If you get yourself a clean reset, maybe we have a different question here as to how this play was meant to go. Of course, Meteor's kind of caught behind the back here, and you know, you think this double stun should be the double kill easy enough. It's not quite that, doesn't quite have the damage, but still, the roam time was good.
Yeah, if getting a flash double incinerate feels really nice. That's a very good side set there from Jinjiao, to hold on to people as best they can, or hold on to their life as best they can, perhaps the best way of putting it, as the people sadly had passed away by that point. But still a good start from Weibo. It's a good roam from Xiaohu to utilize the lane pressure they have, and ready. Good start. Meteor will head towards the Grubs, feeling a little bit sheepish after the gank he pulled off got counted so efficiently. I'll also note for the edification of those RE Nymaera fans out there, it is a Dark Seal early on for Haichao.
It's an early game. You've got Lee Sin, you've got Shinsao, and you've got some supports which can start off fights as well. And if it's an early game where there's a lot of snowballing, you want to be able to get some extra value from those kills, if it's all possible. Level 6 hit in the mid lane. See the Xiaohao misses his ultimate. Oops. In mid lane. That one very much more towards the Care Bear experience of hugs and cuddles rather than fire and death.
Yeah, that one didn't work out quite the way they were hoping for. I could see what the angle was, but it's a solid backstep, and not all that much. All the while, though, Weibo Gaming will take the opportunity to start up this early dragon. Cloud Dragon first up, and with Annie buying at least priority in mid lane to get into the river, it feels okay. But now LGD have had enough time, and they're going to be able to get over here and start fighting themselves.
Okay, question is, if you give up one kill on the other side, there could be a reset. Careful.
Kepler's throwing down a lot of feather pulls. They're going to get one kill onto the Nautilus, and Jinx is excited, but to the backside goes Haichao. A lot of damage back, and Kepler and Haichao completely untouched until just now. Xiaohu's out of mana. Light needs to run away. The feathers get pulled again. Finally, Kepler's brought down. Light excited once more, but it's not enough to get away from a flash from Haichao for a kill and a load of Dark Seal stacks.
7 stacks on the Dark Seal by 7 minutes. By the way, each of them is 4 AP. For 350 gold, he's effectively got himself most of a needlessly large rod because he's picked it up in this very early game. Huge acceleration from the mid laner of LGD, despite the fact that it has been Xiaohu trying to start these plays. Haichao has been the one now to pick them up. It's been a while since we've managed to talk about him in kind of glowing reviews. He's had some awkward games in the mid split. He's overplayed himself. I would have said he's outplayed himself a lot. This time, though, he plays himself into real contention in this game. See that Meteor waits for his basic abilities to come back up, gets some good burst damage. The kill actually gets him to level 6 as well, which is a nice little bonus for him. Light goes down. Great play on the bot side for LGD. After the play from Xiaohu in mid lane means that Haichao has the HP to have that, because if Xiaohu hits that Annie earlier, that Annie Tibbers earlier, then there is no health for that Ahri to make that play.
Very different indeed. Looks like Bird will burn the Ignite at some point top side, and ZDZ down the Dominus. So there is perhaps something to be a little alarmed about. Of course, it's still Light with 2 kills, feeling okay about the game state, and Kepler, for all that it was a solid fight from the Zyra. Actually, great feather placements. Came at the cost. Actually, Haichao, oh sorry, Xiaohao, there we go. Got so many Xiaos and Haos and to work around with this one. I wondered whether you think about going over the Raptor pit. Does not do so. Instead, we can back towards that bot side. The Kepler is still down. A little bit of CS, a little bit of that lane pressure. Partly because he had to seed a little bit to go to that last fight, and 2 because obviously did die in that earlier roam from Xiaohu and crew.
So LGD, they have themselves a lot more gold in pocket than they would have felt they had any right to, especially after the 2-for-1 early on. It feels like Weibo in this early game are at threat now. Hook lands.
Crisp still has flash and heal, so shouldn't really be any danger, as the Chompers actually kept 3 people there. The ultimate is blocked by Kepler, but now Kepler chunked to about half HP for blocking that for his support. So it's still going to be the side of Weibo Gaming with the HP bar advantage in this bot lane for now.
So, LGD. The real question is, I think, what happens when they hit the 1 item. I think now their ultimates are back up. Potentially, they can look to respond to another play. I think it's a little hard to make their own play right now. Maybe they're waiting on Jinjiao to make his own play. ZDZ is getting... There's no Ignite here, but...
It's a lot of DPS back. ZDZ not quite at the Dominus. About to get it now. But can't quite properly punish the timer.
ZDZ, as he said, just gets himself that Dominus, which is completely fine for him, and he'll now be high enough health to get himself some rage, some wave clear, get himself through that minion wave. So, Weibo, they're losing in top lane, 3 kills on the enemy mid lane. They do have a strong AD carry, and it's light. It's light on Jinx. He's done an awful lot of work with this champion over the last few years. And it feels like with 2-1 and 2, he is very early into the game by his standards. The last hope for Weibo in some regards. It's like, okay, come what may, even if we're failing in other roles, this guy will end up having impact. So LGD going towards topside on the grubs. This will be 6. That's all of the XP over to Meteor, and of course the huge might buff, the maximum one available to LGD. If you do see ZDZ getting pushed back in lane, it's going to be a big issue for him because of those might tower destroying potential.
Could definitely be a difficult thing to manage, that's for sure. So, it stands with the fact that Rumble's got the shove in the top side, and don't think Annie or the Renekton for a little bit are going to be able to manage that very scary mech on one side. The shove that LGD can get could prove a little bit difficult to manage. Over we go towards second Dragon Xiaohu here on the flank with the ultimate this time.
Doesn't have stun right now. He'll have it in one more ability cast. You can see him charging it up.
Meteor throws down the Crescent Gold, goes to the backside of the Devourer, immediately comes out onto Light, who gets knocked up regardless with the depth charge. Xiao going forwards, landing the charm, trying to get some damage back. Meteor gonna go in, gets jumped and turned around on, and now the damage back is too huge. The charm to ward off Light does so briefly, but it is still Weibo Gaming that deny the shove super well.
So ZDZ, he can't answer to the fight, but either way, Weibo, I thought after, once again, was a bad Tibbers. It didn't have the stun charged up on it. Xiaohu missed times or missed combos his ultimate there. I thought that Weibo would once again be having a bad fight towards the bot side, but this time they get themselves a kill for their trouble. Light with the threat of resets means that LGD don't stick around that fight anymore. So Weibo, he's getting himself something. Ignite once again, still down for Birdall. ZDZ, Dominus coming up in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, went to try and force him back, and actually with the ability to E, Q in with that Culver Meek, flash forward, but there's a Dominus afterwards. The damage in face, though, is so huge! ZDZ has to flash away, and they cannot secure the kill. An Electro Harpoon would have done it, but this fish will not be landed right now.
Oh man, ZDZ really struggling towards the top side, and again, a player with a lot of eyes on him after filling in the shoes of the Shy. Definitely has to keep himself on his toes. So Chomp is in a really good spot here. Stop Meteor getting a clean combo in. You can just see that really is just going a little bit too deep. After that Crescent Guard is down, Knockup does not cleanly come through. Of course, I think maybe Meteor was baited in by saying, haha, of course, the Tibbers is down. There is no stun. Of course, there's a bar under Andy's HP bar. But gets stunned up immediately as he goes in.
Yeah, and you can see as well, there's not actually all that much MR right now. So Annie at this point with the Malignus and Sword Pen boots does a lot of damage as Weibo looking to throw in a rotation to get towards this top lane and shut down Birdall a little.
Jinx, very good at killing turrets, but there are 6 grubs on the other side for LGD. So the grubby tubbies, as I like to call them, will be once again re-airing for LGD. Hook into bot side, and ZDZ dead to rights.
Slice, but no dice, goes down. That's a kill onto Meteor. Birdall doesn't quite have the equalizer available.
Oh, if he cleared this ward, there was a potential of Xiaohu jumping into his lane. Xiaohu now showing on vision, though. He means he knows he is safe in that regards. And now, with ZDZ not there to potentially wave clear, he didn't have Dominus anyway. Would have been unlikely for him to do so. With Kepler getting solo turret there. Now, Xiaohu, Crisp, and Light looking to... He has no flash. He's gone too far.
Yeah, he was trying to get in range to perhaps get the experience for the lane. Just nowhere left to run. This will be donated over to Light, who picks up his 3rd kill of the game. That's nicely managed, and Birdall, I know what you were looking for, mate, but you just had to say I can't get in range for the XP.
Might be a chance for Meteor to W flash, and there he goes.
Okay. Remember, there's still no Devour quite yet, and right just now, Crisp now does it. Throw the depth charge afterwards, still difficult to manage. Down goes Xiaohu, still trying to run away. Xiaohu here with the stun bar available means anything more unlikely to be be for LGD.
Yeah, but hero play from Crisp manages to save Light, and then managed to tunnel out as well with the Abyssal Voyage to make sure that his compatriot can get out. He managed to time it, so no CC was there to save or stop him from doing that one. So LGD walking away with a good response topside. They get themselves full turret on bot side. They get themselves towards Herald, so they're going to get themselves a lot of gold in pocket. And as we return to the point saying, hey, a lot of these champions are very early game focused. Lee Sin, stuff like Annie can be too. Renekton can be. Ari, Shinzao, all of these champions can thrive right from the start of the game. Feels like LGD are just about getting the best out of it right now.
Ow, Xiaohu did not enjoy that one at all. Down to about 20% HP. Doesn't quite have the teleport, but will want to reset soon anyway, because there would be a second dragon on the table, and that's what Weibo have been indexing into, is these dragon fights.
Yeah, they have been, and they've been trying to play around Xiaohu grouping up to be some teamfight engage. Has it worked all the time? No, but they have been looking towards it. And you can see from that trade there, Haichao is effectively playing with 1,000 extra gold, and particularly in a snowbally game. Very, very strong for him. And that's just from the Dark Seal stats, rather than the gold from the actual kills as well. So he's probably playing as though he's about 2,000 to 2,500 gold ahead of Xiaohu. He does have his ult, he does have flash, and he will see Xiaohao. He's going to try and run away. If this is a 2v2, I feel like Weibo might be biting off more than he can shoot.
Could all be a bait as yet. Xiaohao does get kicked, needs to be a bit afraid, will begin to ult on forward. Xiaohao dangerously low as Haichao just wrecks face, and it's all a mess. The Tippers comes down again to no avail, and Haichao now 4-0-2, fully stacked Dark Seal, another kill to Meteor, and your jungler's dead when you're supposed to be fighting around Dragon in 20 seconds.
Weibo did not have the information to take that fight, and Xiaohao misses another important cue to potentially allow at least a trade back. It doesn't end up happening. Weibo lose their jungler. Again, remember that Xiaohao is a player who's got eyes on him as well, because he has a replacement waiting for him in the background. Yes, Yodang has struggled. It hasn't been the answer for Weibo, but still, not a player who is safe in his starting spot right now.
Unfortunately, it doesn't feel like Xiaohao has been the answer, especially either player gold up on the left-hand side of your screen. Light leading the way, 3-1-3 on the Jinx is still going to be that last light of Weibo Gaming at the end of the tunnel to try and be a freight train to break down LGD, but Haichao and Kepler both doing just fine in the gold themselves.
I just wonder, okay, it's not going to be the Magi's as a second item. I think that would have been good, because again, snowbally game, no magic resist really built up just yet. We've got the Hex Drinker for ZDZ, but honestly, that's not Haichao's target. Doesn't necessarily need that. He is going for the Liandry's as a second item. I think he just thinks that because there are double AP solo laners, he needs to build up some burn damage, potentially go into a crippling third, just to make sure he's future-proofing his build against any further magic resist. Xiaohu teleports in, has himself ult, is seen on a ward though, double teleport.
A nice little flame chompers there on the back end of where the jungler was going to drop out. Meteor coming crashing down to open up before taking one with him. The Nautilus goes down as well, and LGD hold on and now fight their way into a solid win as Kepler just immediately cleanses the CC. Haichao on the other side eviscerates Light, and Weibo Gaming thought they had the flank, and it was just a disaster in waiting.
Oh my god, this early game can't go any worse for Weibo. Their first play towards bot side should have been 2 clean kills, ends up as a 2 for 1. Their first plays towards Dragonfight, well, okay, they give a triple kill over to the Ahri. That's a problem as well. This has continued throughout the entirety of this game. Haichao is absolutely absurdly fed 2 items very early into the game, again with the 10 stack Dark Seal. How this starts is a Herald charge in the mid lane. We said, hey, you know, it feels like LGD. They're getting themselves big tower push with the Mites and the Herald. Big problem objectively for Weibo. ZDZ cannot even frontline against Kepler. Zyra is one of the best tank killers or frontline killers in the game, and if you don't focus on them, then that feather pullback will end your fight, as Haichao does some extra dirty work to end some other people's fights on the back end.
Flash ult and a Foxfire claims the life of the Jinx, and yeah, you can run fast, Jinx, but can you run faster than a Flash and 3 ult Ahri? Not really is the answer. Now with the double Liandry's in as well, you've got HP stackers in Crisp, in Xiaohao, even in things like like the Tibbers, even in things obviously like ZDZ. Those burns are going to be really difficult to manage at this point in the game, and interrupt on the Dredge line though could put Jinzhao into a difficult position, who has to flash out to safety.
And Jinzhao gets himself out to safety after getting cancelled on that little hook, which is a bit nasty for him. Meteor Haichao, the deadly duo from LGD, wandering again. They're on vision. Or off of vision, they're on their own pink wards. And here comes the fight.
Oh, into the rocket. It's going to be a little bit too late to get any value, but the turnaround damage on the equalizer is huge. The Devour comes on through, but Crisp is charmed up, and Tom Kench walks into the willing arms of Haichao again this game. It's a 1-for-1, all things said and done.
ZDZ's cross-mapping, so he might get himself some pressure on the top lane turret, but you don't even have any of the Void Grubs. So you don't have any buffs to towers, you're not able to really threaten that, whereas on the other side, any member of LGD, if they start cross-mapping, feels like they're going to be very, very effective at doing so. LGD, very comfortable. They're also, from these plays as well, they're dropping vision in the enemy jungle. That's what allowed them to make the back half of that play. Jinzhao, yeah, caught out a little bit too far. I think he's had one of the weaker games for LGD, but hey, it doesn't matter. You're a Nautilus, sometimes you just die for the hell of it anyway. That's just what the champion does. And he's done his job in just making sure that this team comp functions with just getting some CC onto that first target. Light does have an Infinity Edge. That is a breakpoint for Weibo. There is every chance that a reset team fight could come through on the same way. You just have to, I guess if you're a Weibo fan, wait and pray to see if Light can get onto the board.
Notice he's got a slightly more aggressive itemization than Kepler. He's actually gone for the Phantom Dance a second, because he's kind of aware he may well be jumped on by a number of people, and that ability to dance his way backwards that kind of pseudo ghost from auto attacking must feel pretty good there. Works very well with Zaya's W in particular to give you that additional move speed to dance and place your way in fights.
And Haichao, he hates stacks, he hates snowballing, he hates me personally. So basically, whenever you see a needlessly large rod in inventory and a high stack Dark Seal, that could have been a Magi's. It's 1250 gold for the upgrade, or actually slightly less than that. I think it's 150, 150 now.
Yeah.
But basically, it's the same kind of margin of kind of gold, right? And particularly since you're capped out on your stacks now, can be quite valuable. But having the extra move speed from a couple of those items, which of course he doesn't have now, quite valuable against stuff like the Renekton, who needs to have high mobility to, or like punish low mobility to try and be a valuable champion in late game. Of course, that's hard to do when people have move speed, so that's a slight gripe that's a point away. You know, we had some great Ahri games from Rookie yesterday. I have to keep tabs on this. You know, I've got to have an Ahri leaderboard at this point. LPL has been picking a lot of it, not always to the best success. Xiaohu trying to get himself some success on the Annie though once more, as he's trying to slip off a vision in the way that Xiaohu has done for a great many years. He's kind of the master of vision play from the LPL macro. He's not had a great game at it so far.
I feel like, unfortunately, I've said that quite a lot this year in general. Xiaohu is a legendary figure within the LPL, a legendary figure within League of Legends in general. I think he's the most winning MSI player of all time by a pretty clear margin. This guy has been such a good player for the LPL, bringing them so much joy when, for a long time, the LPL just could not get an international trophy. Season 5 MSI kind of notwithstanding, and he was a big light for that. No pun, of course, to his AD carry, but the Annie hasn't really landed a big Tibbers as yet. Hasn't really been the game changer that he so often has been in years past.
And this is the champion, the Annie, which has been that comfort pick for a lot of our mid laners this year who have struggled in the last year or so too. I think Tanyuan also falls into that bracket who really used this pick. Weibo, they're trying to push up and look for one of these split picks. I think they realize they're not going to win whenever multiple people have the same screen. Jinja doesn't manage to lock up Xiaohu under that turret. Weibo once again struggling to actually land a play. I don't mind the initial attempt to just say we've got to split the map, but now the problem is you have the Ahri and the Xayah, the Stein carries, pushing in mid and bot lane. If they ever reach the tower, that tower's gone because of course, mages do extra damage to towers based on their AP now, and when you've got so much AP on an Ahri, that's one thing, and of course Xayah is Xayah, and they both have the 6 grubs, so but they can't really afford to cross-map against LGD too hard. That's why they can't stay topside here. They have to back off. And now as Baron is up and available too, if they move too quickly and they miss someone out in the net as well, every chance that a kill comes through, Baron started, game over.
Yeah, and obviously Birdle with the Ignite, one lane pretty hard, but as this game's gone on a little bit further, it's been harder to maintain that CS lead, and you can see that Weibo have been trying to prey on that lack of teleport and lack of ability to move around the map. A little bit with ZDZ in particular, with shoving into the tier 2 there in that top side a few times, but as you said, there are no grubs. It's not really led to that much, aside from ZDZ kind of just about reclaiming a CS lead for the first time this game. But does 10 CS at this point in the game really matter? Not really, frankly, guys. Not really. It's a bit late for that. It does get to a second item. Of course, the Maw of Malmortius is fully upgraded too, so actually ZDZ's damage is at an okay point this game, but he needs to get onto a valuable target and get enough time to blow them up. I just don't know how realistic that is.
And the thing is, the Maw is great versus the Ahri and the Rumble, but that's ignoring what can happen as a low mobility top player into Xayah feathers. It can be hellish. So Kepler, you know, a player which you talked up an awful lot coming into this, on the Xayah, which he's very comfortable with and did very well down in the LDL level, flashes forward, misses, and sadly for LGD, now Flash Hook not going to be much of a starting play of anything.
Of course it is. The Nautilus is running the Hex Flash, and Jinzhao not going to be too worried about the fact he's down that Flash. It was a worthy option. The picture-in-picture we can see ZDZ's not here. We'll need to teleport shortly as the Equalizer comes on through. Crisp actually gets out of dodge. Xiaohu needs to be afraid trying to throw down the Serpentine and does avoid enough of the skill shots, and ZDZ holds his nerve, gets the turret, and the LGD can't land the engage on the other side.
So LGD, when they don't have something like Birdle and a flanking Aatrox, they have struggled to make some of these big plays. Haichao does get the charm there, he checks out the brush, and that correctly does so. He's going towards the Zhonya's as the third item. Again, Zhonya's is actually a much powerful item in terms of actual damage compared to last season, because it is 120 AP. So Haichao not dropping too much in regards to that in this build, but it can be hard to play out the Zonya's angle, especially when you're going to potentially get stunned into death by Annie Tibbetts. He does need to be afraid of that. The gold lead is still there for LGD. They do still have very powerful carries, but they are slowing down a little bit. Feels like they've been trying to play respectfully, particularly Xiaohao and Xiaohu walking across the map. They're trying to get some some topside vision, but they're not really doing this with much intent. Ult.
Currently, there's an ult available. ZDZ very low, does have the dominance and a flash, so could still be kind of baiting it. Will manage to slice his way into a bush, and without real knowledge of where all of Weibo are, don't want to force too much. But now we're going over towards this rub buff, which is now stolen. Over goes.
Oh, Xiaohao.
Xiao, why?
Oh god, that is just not what you want from your jungler. When this Baron is up on top side, Hao Qiao does end up pulling his ult towards bot side because there's 3 little dots below the HP bar, which means that he's held ZDZ to account. Both of them going to recall, potentially teleport back in. LGD start the Baron. No smite available from Weibo.
Be a 3-man contest. Finally, ZDZ backs can maybe look to teleport in. Will not happen. Junjiao lands a big depth charge. Light running away fast as he can. But I do not think the speed of Light is as fast as the death bars beginning to grow. Oh man, Weibo wipe once more. Double kill over towards Kipler. Make that a triple kill, actually. And this Xayah just pulls the feathers back and proves that the sun ain't shining today for Weibo Gaming.
Yeah, Light left alive, but Weibo can't get their AD carry to be the main character. This is how Weibo win games. It is about just Light nowadays. It was last year too, even with the Weiwei, the Shy roster. A lot of the time it did default to, let's just play for Light and hope that he can carry the late game, which is such a far cry from how he used to play as the over-aggressive AD carry in LNG back in 2020 when he went to Worlds for the first time. It's been a while since then, but what can he do here? I mean, Meteor sat there with the Crescent Guard. Shinzao has always been a good answer into the Jinx because he just stopped Jinx being a ranged champion. And the rest of the team used the duration of that invincibility ult to make sure they can win the fight.
Right over to Birdall as well. Saw Xiaohao burned every cooldown trying to keep his AD carry alive. And Birdall, why would I bring up his name? He ends up getting killed. I was about to say he jumped on Xiaohu and just roasted him alive in the last fight, but this time around, a good pick off from Xiaohao. Denies a potential split push angle and does get them something here for Weibo.
So Dragon is up, and Weibo potentially claiming themselves that against the run of play. However, against 6 grubs and huge items, LGD are going to slaughter 3 turrets, then go towards top side after they've taken the inhibitor too. So Weibo, while they have taken the Dragon, what are they going to lose for it? Crisp on vision right now because he's on minions. He's going to get caught, flashes away.
Does so. It's the ult from Haichao. In goes Xiaohao, trying to get some damage down onto Meteor, who doesn't pop the Crescent Guard quite yet. Big stun! Finally, Xiaohu gets something, but it's too little too late. He dies for it. Into the backside. Haichao with a reset can maybe look to get over the wall here. He's a little bit afraid of Xiaohao, who's still dangerous. Crisp finally devours Light, but he's dead as Kepler eviscerates him. You wonder why I was bringing something about this player. Get your binoculars out. We're going bird watching in the LPL.
Haichao goes golden as LGD claim the podium, at least for the first game. Weibo, this is a team which has struggled an awful lot this split. This is not the Weibo of 2023. This is not your world finalists. This is a team that is struggling to make LPL playoffs, and LGD dig the nails in game 1.
Kepler comes in, has a great Xayah performance. Haichao in the mid lane, a player who has been at points a fantastic playmaker, but maybe not the most inconsistent, the most considered with them. This time around, they managed to land up well and truly heads, and Weibo Gaming, they looked a little lost. The early game went horribly wrong for them, and they never managed to find their way out of it.
And that mid jungle, Xiaohao, Xiaohu, we really should have been asking Xiao why. Those plays were really not it. And thank you everyone for joining us on our co-stream for this more formal cast of the LPL. It feels like, particularly when we're seeing Weibo like this, you'll have seen on the mainstream, you'll have seen on our streams as well. Weibo have struggled. This is a team now, I mean, just looking at the playoffs bracket as we come closer towards it, they're on 6 and 7. Currently, they're outside of the playoffs bracket, especially after OMG are at 7-7 as well. If they lose this, they are behind Anyone's Legend and LNG. Now, I do believe that they have Rare Atom as one of their final series, which might be a series that they can claim for themselves.
So LGD, actually, ironically, which could be an interesting one.
Yeah, Weibo, they have JDG later in the week. And that, yeah, no, in fact, that they have JDG and who's their last series? Let's have a look. See it. JDG and Invictus Gaming. Ooh. So those are the two that they have. IG, of course, have been a team that have struggled, but feels like Weibo have struggled more. So now we are genuinely asking the question of, are Weibo even going to reach playoffs at this point? And that is a far cry from what happened last year. At the beginning of 2023, Weibo had a super team. They were taken out very early into spring playoffs by BLG when they were on their march to greatness as well. That was kind of the end of a lot of their aspirations. It took until the end of summer for Weibo to actually be a threat again. This team was not even good for all of 2023. They peaked towards the end of the year. Importantly so, and they did it for the most important tournament of the year as well. This is now completely all warning signs blaring, though. They thought they were safe for a little while. They did get themselves, I think it was to 6-5, maybe even a little better than that. I'm trying to remember when the losses started coming through for them. This is now, despite the fact that LGD are a 3 series win team, they're 3-10 right now. This is scary. I mean, LGD have always been a little better than that series score.
Yeah, they have. I think every time we've seen them, we've seen things like Meteor have games where he pops off. We've seen Haicha have games where he pops off. The bot laners, like, yes, it's been a little bit weird for Xiaoye, yes, a little bit weird for Kepler, but they both turned up at points, even if it's not been necessarily the consistency that LGD have been hoping for. And they could definitely put Weibo into the dirt here and make them feel very sad about their chances for playoffs and how limited they suddenly get. Also, apparently in chat,
Tabe is coach of AL.
Tabe as coach as AL, which is potentially huge, because Tabe, of course, was teamless, which was a bizarre thought.
Well, I think as far as I'm aware, he was going on a break because he wanted to, because of just the work schedule for this year. But he turned BLG around, hugely so. They were a team AL are in a worse position than BLG were. BLG were very much kind of like the 1-1 team. They were mid-table, and then they went into end of split, and they went into playoffs, and they really turned things up when Tabe kind of got them on the same page. Now, this is exactly what anyone's Legend need as well. So, that is a team which can benefit an awful lot from it. We're not seeing them today. When's the next time we're seeing them? AL are playing on tomorrow, on Wednesday. They're playing against LNG, a team which have also had coaching issues. Crescent obviously stepping out, Yu stepping back up as head coach, so potentially that can help with them. And yeah, coaching changes, one of those things which often goes underreported on in LPL.
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna run and
you do that.
Go to the toilet so I can. I'll be right back. Yeah. Can we stick the kettle on or anything for you?
Yes, please.
I can do that.
Cool. How's everyone doing today, folks? How are things going? Folks, I mean, I get that people are annoyed about Weibo losing. If you think this is any foul play, Weibo are just a team that have struggled. I mean, this is not beyond them for me, folks. So, while I understand the sentiment of losing money, and yeah, I also will say, particularly if you look regionally, I think Weiwei did a lot in summer. Yeah, I think Weiwei did a lot. But Xiaohao came in from a great year on Anyone's Legend himself. He was probably the most impressive jungler not on a top team last year. I fully support them picking up that player. And also, you know, I think that the Shy was a bad player last year, folks. He had a great world, but he was a bad player last year. ZDZ's not been awesome, but even then I'd be like, it's not a huge difference actually between the two of them. So, you know, we'll see exactly how much they get out of this roster, and maybe they do need to make roster changes. They've been trying out Yodang in the jungle, but I mean, Weibo, it was a difficult spot for them. I believe they did offer the Shy a contract as well. It just didn't meet what he wanted. I believe I heard that he had a contract offered to him, but yeah.
是的，就是目前看下来的话，微博还是很需要调整的，因为毕竟现在这是他们倒数第3个大场的比赛，这2场对手是京东和爱记，对于他们来说。
Right, so gonna have ourselves like another 10-15 minute break. I'm gonna run some ads now because I need to.
所以他们可能要在场间尽快的调整了。
是，那我们一起来看一下首场的 LPL。 最终给到了中路的9-0-8的海超选手，这把比赛中出色的一个，首先在对位方。
Oh, and we get player of the game from Haicha as well. That's cool. Yeah, he played well on the whole. He ended up doing really well in terms of just kind of getting on the board. Again, I feel like he could have actually stacked harder and gotten... But I actually wonder if he should have gone towards like Medjo second and then going towards like Verdant Barrier. I think that would have potentially been very powerful for him. But we'll see how... Yeah, I mean, that was good. I think Haichao, like, he's been a player who's snowballed very well. Great LeBlanc player. I think his Azir, when he said he's ahead, has been very strong as well. Yeah, we'll just see how much they can get out of that.
其实如果从站在微博的角度来讲，上一把来说，所有的一个实力总结起来，其实就是他们本身依靠的中下半部的一个 这个战况在那一波小龙团里面，因为那波大招差的原因，导致到输掉之后，其实对于后面想如何扳回逆风这个过程，其实他们并没有做出太。
The Shy and Xiaohu had charisma playing together. Now this team lacks confidence and belief. This team, even with Xiaohu and the Shy, had some pretty awful late game losses and they fell apart. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. Like, I think that the Shy he had an awesome Worlds, and I think his regionals were good too. His regionals into Worlds fantastic, but like you can't just erase everything that happened in 2023. This team struggled. This team struggled a lot. It was not an easy time for them. So yeah, I mean, this is I don't think keeping that same roster solves everything. There's every chance that the meta changes could have messed with that team too. That team was a very all over the place player, you know. Hey, Landman, how's it going? When's the next game going to start? Probably in about, I'd say, 5-10 minutes. I'd say like, yeah, 5-10 minutes. That's normally there's normally like a 15-minute kind of turnaround time on games. Normally around then. And this is best of 3. All of LPL regular season is best of 3. All of LPL playoffs is best of 5. So yeah. Do coaches have a big role in the LPL compared to the LEC, where they seem to be more in the background? Yes, coaches in LPL and LCK both have very big roles. I think a lot of teams have a much more structured environment to play in, whereas LEC, it really depends on which coach and the coaching philosophy they go towards. There are a lot of different conflicting styles within the LEC and the LCS, so different coaches will do different things. So for instance, Mac and Pad, who used to be for Mad Lions and Splice with Peter Dunn as well, and now they're on Vitality, they are very structured in the way that they approach coaching. Why do I have more viewers on YouTube than Twitch? Because people search LPL and they spot things on YouTube. But if you go towards LPL on Twitch, you see like I Will Dominate, Cadral, Munch. There's more people competing on Twitch, whereas on YouTube, more people will just search LPL and find us. So we've got ourselves a yeah. 1050. Wait, Nymaera, as a physics nerd, who's your favorite LGD player between Meteor and Kepler? That's a great question. I should have thrown out the Kepler Deep Space Telescope thing again. I mean, Kepler's fun. Meteor has a really cool champion pool though, so I like Meteor for that. I mean, Photic is kind of fun too, because Photic is... There is actually a scientific term for Photic, I'm pretty sure. Because obviously it's kind of close to Photon. I'm pretty sure that's quite close to actually a scientific term. That's fun though. I hadn't thought about that. Hey Nymaera, I'm a coach for a semi-pro team in France. Any advice to gain some visibility? It depends what you want visibility for. I mean, one of the big things to do if you... So it's a thing which Jensen Go used to do. And Molecule does this as well. Molecule then got into a coaching team as well. Do infographics on Twitter. So if you have a topic which you think you have really good information on, or you have like a breakdown of a team. So for instance, do a breakdown of a professional, of like a big important professional team, and you'll get popularity that way. So for instance, like if you wanted to say, so for instance, I do VOD reviews of teams. Do a Twitter infographic version of that where you're like, okay, this team did XYZ well, or this topic you want to talk about, and something like that. That can really help you with that. I don't know if I'll have enough time for that now. I'll just sit down. It's fine. Yeah, I think we've left it a bit late. So yeah, I will not get a drink refill this time.
Are you sure? I mean, the kid,
it's just gone back to the arena, so and so I don't want to like leave it later in there because
that's fine.
Yeah. Well, the matches overlap if this goes to game 3. So second series is in Xi'an. This one's in Shanghai. There is a chance of a slight overlap. It shouldn't be that much, and if it does overlap, we're just gonna jump live into series 2. So if that is the case, we'll see what happens there. The second series should be starting in about just over an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, I'd say, when it actually gets into game. So it will likely overlap a little bit, so we might miss draft an early game for Series 2 if it does go to Game 3 and if the games are long. But I don't think it's going to be serious overlap. We won't miss like the whole series or anything.
Are you okay being the WE fanboy? Because I am going to have to be horribly biased towards Thunder Talk, because my boy is playing.
Well, 1xn.
Oh yeah.
Are you gonna try and claim him like everyone else tried to claim Bo? It's like my boy Bo.
Yeah,
my boy
yeah.
1xn.
No, there's 1xn and Milky Way are my boys.
Because I feel like I can do that for Arya, because I rolled for that guy for a while. Thank you very much, Arthur. I appreciate it. Right, we should be getting into draft pretty soon. Everyone's back on stage. Yeah. LGD rocked that game, actually. I don't think the Annie worked out for Xiaohu. I don't think that the game plan was well played in the early game. It was less about the draft. It was much more about the play. This was much more about the play. But this is the thing with Weibo. They can have good drafts and play badly. They can have bad drafts and play well. This team is just consistently inconsistent. That will be the line that is forever put towards Weibo. They were the super team to beat. They were the team that were meant to be at the top of the very LPL table. And they have struggled to live up to that name. Yes, they did get a World's Finals, somehow out of nowhere, and that was an incredible achievement for them. But this team will keep us guessing as to where they'll finish next. Always do.
Yeah, they do. It's been an interesting experience, I think it's fair to say. For their series scoreline, they don't particularly impress me. That was really harsh to say, but as we head back onto the stage, as the lights go down, as ready for Game 2 in general, we need to see a little bit more out of Weibo Gaming, because the last game was not it, you know. You'd think with a coaching team that includes the likes of Daney, who is a very prolific coach of the last few years, I think perhaps a little bit more consistency would be available, but it really has felt like in Light we trust, and last game was kind of never given an opportunity to do anything.
A lot of mid lane bans coming out, so Xiaohu is not going to get Nico or Karma. He's banned, well, they banned away the Nico and the Ahri. I wonder if Xiaohu can even go towards the Annie, and now that the Ahri matchup is gone, it feels like that is the matchup where that champion is largely being played. So big change up in the mid lane matchup. A lot of lane pressure picks left up for both sides of the map though.
Renata off the table in the first round to pick someone called Crisp. He is very good at the Renata and has been struggling, as we said. It's one of those more melee-focused champions. The Tarm Kench was actually pretty good from him. Some clutch devours and stuff, but it wasn't game-winning either. Baiting now something like a Varus first pick. I'll note the Smolder and the Senna, both still available, both so high priority, but we'll see what the actual lock-in is. Varus, once upon a time, very strong indeed, but instead it's just a blind pick, first pick, Renekton.
I don't know about that one, folks. CDZ got absolutely crushed in game 1 through laning phase, and he didn't have a great team fight really in that game either. I wonder if it's just saying, look, we don't want to give away our hand and just say this doesn't change our composition that much. Bertle has been one of the better performing top laners too. You're giving him counter pick towards that top side of the map. You're potentially giving Kepler and Jinzhao a strong laning bot lane of their choice as well. They pass over the Varus and they go towards the Kalista instead. And now Light and Chris will have to deal with one of the most dominant bot lane champions in the LPL.
Oh yes, see what they want to lock in alongside it, whether they want to make it the support pick right now, or whether they do want to potentially take this opportunity to counter pick top lane, knowing that it's already likely to be the Renekton unless we start to see something really mad happening like the flex into the mid lane, but instead it's an early lock-in of the Rumble. Of course, if this was life on the team, it could be a Rumble support still, so you never know, especially with the Kalista locked in. That does sometimes allow and unlock some slightly more unusual bot lane support options. Response from Weibo Gaming. Currently looking at the Varus, and it will be locked in.
So, 2 lane dominant champions locked in after they kind of slipped through the bans in favor of mid lane bans instead. Xiaohu goes towards Talia. It's another roaming pick. It's one which he's occasionally had good games on. Honestly, I feel like he's really struggled to have impact on this one as well. Now Haichao on the other side, you can maybe look to either outrange with another kind of mage. You can also look to play something more aggressive. Hovering the Azir. I'm pretty sure that Azir is still disabled, by the way. I'm pretty sure it's disabled until playoffs. It's been hovered. Pretty sure it's unable to be picked, though. And instead will be Tristana, which has been a big pick for Haichao. Honestly, it's been a big pick for Xiaohu as well. The thing is, Taliyah stops you jumping in at certain points, but you only have it up so much at a time. You lose out a wave push a lot of the time, so let's see Tristana as well. And if Tristana hits level 2 first, before you get access to your E, you can even lose early lane as well, as you kind of get rolled over with the explosive charge.
Exactly that. It'd be difficult to manage, and of course, actually, at one point in time, it was a big Xiaohu special. Actually, he was a big Tristana player once upon a time, so now you've got the double AD carries alongside the Rumble. Your ability to get shove is very, very high indeed, but you're now going to need a little bit of frontline or ways to empower these AD carries, or the pick and burst of Weibo Gaming could prove a little bit difficult to manage.
Okay, so looking through to second round of draft, likely losing stuff like the Xin Sao. The Vi is already gone. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of the other kind of easy access engaged champions are going to go down, because they combo up very well for Weibo for the side of the Taliyah. But then on the side of LGD, the stuff like the Rumble, of course, needs a little bit of setup. So the Maokai gone from the Rumble makes a lot of sense. The Viger away from the Taliyah also really seems to be on point.
There comes the Poppy and the Vi, two very good options to manage a Kalista and a Tristana, because they just get so much easier target access and kind of deny the hops in the way that normally keeps those champions a little bit safer. So I understand those bans. On the other side, the Maokai, of course, kind of fallen away from the high priority it was right at the beginning of the split. It's still very obnoxious here in terms of denying some of these picks. It's very good with things like Kalista. Meteor's played a little bit in the jungle. Xin Sao is gone, which is one of those primary early fighters that also acts as that kind of pseudo frontline, because Crescent Guard is insane. Volibear being hovered and has been an option recent months.
Meteor does have a wider champion pool than Xiaohao has been showing right now, and he has played stuff like the Kindred and stuff like that. He goes towards the Volibear all the same. I think Xiaohao probably likely to go towards something like the Lee Sin now again, just because it's comfort for him and it allows you to contest early game. Alongside that, though, you have the potential, well, you need to lock in a support against the Kalista. It's quite hard to lane against. There's a lot of your melee supports, but Crisp going towards it again. I have to say, I will keep repeating this, Crisp on melee supports has not been it. He has been a ranged support connoisseur. He's won a lot of games on them. Going towards the Alistar, it's hard into stuff like the Kalista. It can be quite hard into stuff like the Rumble later on as well, because you can get poked out for free. LGD have a chance to really punish Crisp on this Alistar, which might just get decked in lane.
Xiaohao goes back towards the Lee Sin. Had an awkward game on it the first time. Got a few kills, but number of critical Qs that went a little bit wide. And Lee Sin is always one of those champions that either looks very invisible or absolutely oppressive, depending on how good your button presses are, frankly. This time around, though, it will be Rel locked in on the other side. It's likely going towards that support. You've already got a very scary dive combo here of the Rumble and the Volibear and the Rel with all the follow-up behind it.
And the thing with the Rel is that in the past, Alistar and Rel nullified each other. Now Rel is quite good into Alistar, because you used to be able to just cancel out the Rel combo. Now you lead with a Q, and the Q stuns you, and then you get comboed onto afterwards. So Alistar is CC'd for a lot of the time when you want to be kind of reacting to that combo. So Rel, on the whole now, actually better into that champion than it used to be in the past. So Light and Crisp need to be careful of that one, as Jinzhou on the Rel could potentially cause them some issues.
And with many lanes of shove, many lanes, Kalista, Tristana, Rumble, and then a Volibear and a Rel, your ability to pick a tower and dive it ad infinitum. Very difficult for Weibo to manage. Of course, you have got yourself the Alistar, the Lee Sin, the Taliyah, solid anti-dive options in and of themselves, and a bad roaming core to try and match what Weibo LGD are doing. But how easy is that going to be when likely you're going to be corralled under your towers in the early game? A lot on the Lee Sin to be in the right place at the right time and mirroring where that Volibear is going to be.
So what that means is, for Weibo, it is about execution. It's about gameplay. They haven't come out with an outdraft. They haven't come out saying, yes, we've definitely given issues in the drafting phase. It is about play, and they couldn't show that in game one. So Weibo, they have to step up to the plate. But then again, the team, as we always say, consistently inconsistent. They will always roll a dice. And will always show us, sadly for them, different levels of play. They did lose themselves a rare game one. They very typically win at least the first game in a series. They don't even win that one this time, as we head into game two to see if they can even up the series.
So there's Meteor here. He might be finding himself in a bit of an awkward spot. Will avoid something resembling the threaded volley. What a great name that is as well. I really enjoyed that one. As Meteor starting with the Sky Splitter, not a surprise on the volley bear. It's normally a very good option for him. It's shields onto you, alongside DPS in AoE onto things like Raptor Camps. Feels pretty good.
So, a couple of wards being used to try and spot out early paths. Xiaohao and Meteor, you did say already, it's kind of the early game is very much about can Xiaohao be where Meteor wants to be in the early game, especially with the potential of pushing lanes. It is on where this Lee Sin can get himself onto the map to match it. They're not going to get themselves early wards into the jungle start though. They've got LGD have themselves a defensive ward on that Raptors, which we saw put down earlier as well. So LGD, I think they're pretty happy right now with how the information game is going very early on for first clear.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. They're going to be managing that one pretty well. You can see it'll be a Raptor start from Xiaohao, it'll be the red buff start from Meteor, and it does feel like we have seen less and less junglers require or call for a leash in the jungle. The laners get on with the business of laning.
Especially when you've got kill lanes. It's very, very hard to go away from that. And the flash in level 1.
The moment you say it, the moment LGD looked for the all-in, light immediately chunked to 20% HP. And LGD gained control of the lane.
And they trade so hard that the streaming buffers briefly. Light, heal down.
Check.
Has himself has that pot down, heal down, goes back and immediately regens HP. Of course, he hasn't hit a single minion, he doesn't have any gold to spend, so this rel into the Alistar, as we said, hey, it's actually quite hard to stop him from doing what he wants to do. Jinzhao actually starts with the W, goes into his unmounted form, mounts up and gets the targeted auto, which you can't cancel. As soon as that auto attack animation is through, the CC comes through. So Kepler, Jinzhao, doing a good job so far to put some pressure on the bot side of the map and put Light, the carry of Weibo, come what may, into a bad spot.
Exactly that. And away we come to looking at this lane. Volibear clearing out his top side, moving towards the other. As Lee Sin, interestingly, full clears bot side, resets for a dagger or a sword, and then looking to lane gank.
We've seen this a couple of times. I'm trying to remember who else did it. It might have been Kanavi. I'm trying to remember who else did this, but we've seen it once or twice. Meteor, though, going to help the wave crash towards bot side. Xiaohao will be here to respond.
Yeah, it's a good read as Meteor's around him. Xiaohao off vision for now. You can see great toggle from the observers to show that the Lee Sin is an unknown quantity. This dive, if it is about to turn into that, could turn very ugly indeed for LGD.
So they should see the jungle pet. They see him now. Are they going anyway? Yes, they are.
The three-man pulverize into the headbutt away. Meteor will thundering smash onto Xiaohao. And actually, yes, they deny the dive, but they don't actually manage to keep people locked in the tower to try and get a kill themselves.
Yeah, exactly. They don't really manage to get the kill back. And it feels like actually with Sky Splitters as well from Volibear, you can stop people from recalling on the turret. Xiaohao's flash, but he might once again be in trouble.
There's the flash. Pulverize headbutt onto Kepler, now flashes away himself. Crisp trying to be as obnoxious as possible. The double hail of arrows puts a lot of damage as the Shattering Strike comes on through. Wait for the potential Q to come through from Xiao, who's waiting on his time. Lands it onto the volley where the Sky Splitter comes on through. And Crisp, for all that we've been talking about his perhaps lack of success on the melee champions, pulls off some very slick Alistar combos there.
And Xiaohao is the one which comes out on top this time. So, LGD, they don't get themselves that bot lane dive after Kepler and Jinzhao had a great level 1 to make sure that Light was in trouble. It's still a good early laning phase for them, but it should have been so much more. Xiaohao, savior of Weibo in the early game. Bertel uses his Ignite early once again in the lane. You can see it's pretty much permanently on cooldown in this lane. The ZDZ going to be forced to teleport back under turret.
Also call it out. The fact that Kepler blows both summoners in that bot lane fight. The CDC hit with foot flash forwards. Good God, Bertel's going to get it anyway! Does so! First blood! The turret shot's not quite there as a scrap shield comes along. Xiaohao is on the other side of the map, of course. Lands another harpoon. Does a lot of damage back. Not quite enough. I wondered with the flame spitter whether Xiaohao might be in a spot of bother, but of course with the Iron Will, the healing's enough to keep Xiaohao topped up and claiming that kill back.
One of the bonuses here is that the kill doesn't go to ZDZ. If he'd executed or something, that would have been different, but still, first blood gold over to Bertel, only the assist gold over to ZDZ. Bertel comes back with tier 2 boots built up completely. He's going to be absolutely wrecking that laning phase now, and ZDZ really not having the easiest time of it. It's been a bit of a hallmark of Weibo over the last year, depending on the top laner of these Renekton games going awry. Even the Shy was not immune to that one. It felt like it was better on some of the other champions there. But Bertel really, again, showing why we do view him as one of the better top laners in the LPL, despite the fact that LGD are a 3-10 team.
We'll note as well that Birdall returns to lane, and actually the level 6 come through from ZDZ first because of course he got to clear out the wave and Birdall was dead, so value of the teleport coming on through at least a little bit there. Dominus is to get
Xiaohao's
some
on
things.
top side. He needs to get level 6 like immediately. How much XP has he got? Might get quite close.
He should get it off, and I think another minion, maybe 2. The Flame Spitter's not quite there. He can't quite do it in time. The stun's there. Oh, Birdall, you saw what he was thinking, but he could not claim that last minion to get the equalizer.
And ZDZ and Xiaohao, they do it in time on the mirror of that as well. They managed to claim that timing. And Haichao not there to respond, teleports in to collect the wave. So Weibo all through Xiaohao get themselves onto the board early. This Lee Sin has been the difference. He has been there for the kills. And LGD now, they're the ones which have to stare up at an early game goal deficit.
Birdall, I think, will be kicking himself a bit there. Went out of lane to throw that ward into the grub, so I had an idea about where the jungler was. But then was like, I just need one more minion. One more minion. I have level 6 and this dive looks so much more ugly for them. And it doesn't quite happen. And credit to Weibo Gaming for finding the angle, making it happen, and crashing a very large wave.
Okay, so early game plans have been laid to waste for LGD. What can they do next? They have the pushing lanes. They have themselves a strong one-item power spike as well. They're still very strong in the early game. But with plays like this going wrong for Birdall, it means that maybe this top side won't be as good for them. See, again, look at this in the bottom left. That's the XP counter. How close does he get? That cannon would have got it. One minion there would have gotten it. I think Birdall just doesn't quite understand how much danger is in. If he stepped up for an auto attack onto the cannon, he would have got the level 6. He would have got himself that level up for the heal. And maybe the ultimate afterwards. He probably dies anyway, but maybe he could take one with him.
Yeah, exactly that. And credit to the observers there for keeping up the experience bar, because that was the core of that replay. Big moment there for Weibo Gaming, and a really frustrating knife's edge that Birdall unfortunately slips off the wrong side of. Puts himself on the way down 1 and 2 now, and actually because of Kepler losing both those summons, hasn't really got the shove as cleanly on the bot side as earlier. Of course, the early Dragon still went the way of Meteor and LGD, and this is a Callista team. If you can start snowballing those Drakes early, feel pretty good about it. Another Dragon spawning in just over 2 minutes. It would be a very early second Dragon, looking around 10-minute mark for that. That is a couple minutes ahead of schedule at the very least.
We settle down a little bit after it feels like Xiaohao just decided to kick up the ante and make sure that LGD couldn't make plays for free. So what are we doing with the next couple of backs? We have Titty Boots and bot side for Callista, level 6s hit there too soon enough. You can see that actually Light very far behind in his XP, which is he's about a full level behind Kepler. Xiaohu has level 6 though. He can maybe start roaming and making Birdall's life a little harder.
Gonna try and get the dive. Of course, there is that one control ward thrown down to
Renekton and Talia.
but it's Renekton and Talia, exactly. A flash isn't available, but a slice certainly is, and that could prove Birdall on the wrong roll of this one. Tries to scrap the way, seismic shove backwards, can throw down an equalizer, maybe just about alive for now, and Birdall gets away with it. The Weaver's Wall into a threaded volley, and Birdall goes down again, but now this potentially leaves the bot side out to dry.
Well, I don't think it does, because the cross map is there from Xiaohao. It's a 3v3, and Haichao be the one to come down. And with you've got the level 6 Alistar ult too, there is no opening on this bot side. So well played from Weibo. They use their mid lane Talia to be basically a second jungler, goes top side, makes the play. It's kind of a rookie-like play, doesn't even use the ultimate as in rookie the player. Now we have Xiao here as well. Again, Weibo countering the plays of LGD.
Xiaohu now roaming, can maybe look to come on in. Crisp goes in for the headbutt and the pulverize, but Xiaohu now in danger as they go onto Light, who immediately has to flash away himself. The shove back, but there's the Fate's call to keep Jinzhao safe. And away LGD go. How much further do Weibo want to go? Crisp about to have his cooldowns back up. Xiaohu can maybe look over the wall, and does indeed have kick, but will not need to pull out the Rage of the Dragon quite yet. And so LGD cannot find anything bot side. They get a flash off of Light. It's really all they find down there.
Yeah, much better early game from Weibo, and once again, a lot of it is through Xiaohao, who ends up shadowing bot lane to make sure that LGD only get themselves a bit of a wave into that bot lane, as opposed to an actual big play. Xiaohu, much better game from him too. He had a pretty crap game 1 on the Annie.
Yeah.
Really struggled to land big ultimates and get himself big roams. So LGD, they are now putting themselves into a very different situation from game 1. Game 1 was so easy after they started getting all of those kills and getting so much gold in hand. This time, feels like they need to really work for those team fights that they were running away with so easily in game 1.
Dangerous indeed as Meteor, this bush off to the side. Proves there might be something, about 10 seconds till the dragon spawns. Jinzhao hit with the seismic shove. It's a huge amount of damage, not enough in the inventory right now for Xiaohu. He's down a fair amount of CS from his timely roams. Looks like LGD are the ones in the river first.
Weibo with that too, though, with Crisp's ult available, so it's kind of a bit of a much of a muchness. They're going to force each other away. Level advantage for Kepler, as we said before, but Light just hits over to his ultimate. That's one of the big bonuses of LGD, zoning off Light from minions. Means that he's just not as able to kind of make these early game plays with the ult. Now he does have it. Let's see what Xiaohu can do. Ult not quite available to rearrange the terrain.
LGD trying to fight for that vision control. Can't get the last order on that control ward, whereas Weibo managed to force their own wards into place. So in the end, neither team willing to start off the dragon quite yet. Instead, back to shoving waves, back to maybe waiting a second or two to give it another go.
I think particularly with Ginger not having Flash and not having the Callisto ultimate, they don't really want to fight right now. Chris does have Flash. They need to be kind of careful walking up and stacking like that. There's every chance that things can go nasty. ZDZ has a full more of my launches. He does win this trade now, I'm pretty sure.
He does. There's the first Electro Harpoon, so a little bit of that magic resist immediately taken through. Conqueror stacked. Flame Spitter coming on through, though, makes this one a bit difficult. Actually, the trade back from Birdall is okay.
Yeah. So he ends up hitting 2 empowered Electro Harpoons onto him, which means that you basically lose, well, once it's actually ranked up. Right now, it's something like, I think per stack, it's probably up to about 30% magic resist. It can go up to like 60% magic resist shred with the empowered stuff. Birdall realizes he's in a bit of a trouble on top side, pops the ult as well.
Moore's down, Meteor's here, can throw down a smite for a stun, gets a big Q heal back! Oh, the Sky Splitter! Flashed away from Birdall to prevent the last auto, and they do claim the kill. Will cost them the dragon on the bottom side, but LGD make it work.
Close run stuff. ZDZ, a better game from him in game 2, but sadly, it's still not able to escape the death chamber himself, even with the Moore early on, as we said. Hey, actually, Rumble's really nasty at shredding a lot of that magic resist. Xiaohu goes back, he gets his first item, teleport out onto the map. It's just that Seraph's, well, the Archangel Staff right now, it's not transformed into the Seraph's Embrace, and LGD, at least they get something back and make sure that Birdall is not just kind of left alone in a top lane island. It has been a weirdly top lane pressure focus because of the matchup there. I think this Rumble is kind of changing the way that we're seeing this top lane matchup. Typically, you just kind of leave it alone with stuff like the Aatrox and the Udyr and the Kansei. With the Rumble with Ignite, you can't really do that.
The problem that LGD are facing, though, is that things like that kill, things like some of the early roams from Xiaohu have meant that, for once, Weibo Gaming this time around managed to get a lot of these early objectives. They will be the ones with the 6 grubs with a dragon to break the stacking on the other side from LGD. Yes, Meteor's towards his top side, but I think we might still have the potential of a 2v2 up here. This could get very dicey for ZDZ. Potentially LGD as well, depending on how Xiaohao gets on in. Can look to Dragon's Rage, ZDZ flashing away. Xiaohao here will prevent any further engagement. I don't think you want to kick.
Yeah, you have Xiaohu coming up, though.
Oh, there's a teleport in response to the inside. ZDZ getting some healing, still doesn't have the Dominus. The Moore pops again, but he's likely dead to right. They'll claim another kill. Meteor gets that one. And the teleport works, and LGD win out in a sort of 3v3.
Now, Weibo think they were going to have their mid laner there first because they have the Talir ult, but Haichao pulls the teleport and it is quicker to get to the real meat of the matter. So LGD once again finding a win through their top lane Rumble, who goes back and buys a Liandry's now. Huge item spike for Birdall, who has been, I keep saying about this, one of the better top laners in the league. He was a bit inconsistent in early split, but he has really had himself some good moments too. This time, though, it's less about Birdall as an individual, much more about the combo yet again. Great point and click CC. You can see that Meteor on the Violet Volley bet, pretty tanky, really good at target access compared to something like a Lee Sin, who can struggle a bit more with that. Even with Xiaohao getting the kick and the knock-up, that's about as good as you can get there. Sadly, they just get teleported on and they die.
I'm not actually sure when Meteor's mod went through Birdall with the slowdown. I think it missed the Rumble, so it didn't get the additional kick-through damage.
I'm pretty sure it did. It did. It's just the calculation was wrong.
Well, fair enough. I'll have to go back and look at that one. But either way, it doesn't end up leading to a fight win at the very least. LGD being a 4v4 as the top lane is unable to join this one. Considering actually a lot of the gold for LGD is in Birdall's hands, it might make this 4v4 a little bit dicier. You've got a Sundered Sky and a Kraken Slayer to work with on your mid jungle at the very least.
About to say, that really changes the equation, not having that teleport. Crisp walking up, again, has flash, has ult. He can really start fights if he wants to. That's why he's positioning like this. He is the front line right now.
Sky Splitter comes crashing on down. This time LGD managed to defend their vision, which proved problematic the last time both teams squared off in the river. Didn't lead to any real fights, but the vision control going down meant LGD kind of had to back away, especially lacking his key moments as ZDZ. Slices, dices with that blast cone as well. The turnaround damage is pretty good from Birdol with the overheat, but towards that turret, Birdol has to go. The Dominus pop gets a big heal back to ZDZ. Equalizer onto the wave to clear it out. Birdol a little bit afraid about where Weibo Gaming are on the map.
Yeah, I think he's afraid that Xiaohu could have just gotten himself onto the top side of the map, or maybe you could have had an Alistair on the roam, and indeed, that's exactly where Crisp is. Now, Jin Zhao on top side, though, will be fine. So Birdol burns his ultimate, he chooses not to burn his Ignite. Maybe you could have gone for a harder trade, but again, you just don't know whether you'll have the numbers advantage in a game like this, and you don't have the teleport from your mid laner this time around. While LGD are kind of ruminating about this top side play and what's going to happen there, they end up having Haichao actually get a bomb onto the tower potential. 2v2 in bot side. Once again, Xiaohao really shadowing endangered lanes very well this game.
How was that? Was something pulled out in draft, right? It was like, look, with the fact there's lane shove everywhere and the volley bear being around to dive turrets, if Xiaohao isn't there, the snowball from LGD is pretty easy to execute, frankly, but he has been in the right places, has largely stopped that from happening. The game remains relatively even as a result. I'm still a little bit worried, of course, because into this mid game, the Volibear, Tristana, Callista, Rumble, all these things are still very, very scary, and the fact that on the other side you've not snowballed yourself either, I'm not sure whether this has necessarily won the game from Weibo so much as prevented it from snowballing against them.
Yeah, it's not like you have infinite scaling champions, and particularly with stuff like, you know, the Buster Shot being able to keep range from stuff like the Renekton and the Alistair. If the front line of Weibo plays poorly in late game, there is no amount of scaling which will save them, because this composition from LGD very, very good at gunning down the front line, even through stuff like an Alistair ultimate. So Weibo, they need to play well now. They are within touching range of gold. That's good for them. They have themselves a strong Lee Sin. That is good. It's kind of hard for the Lee Sin to play out this game, but particularly I'm looking at Xiaohu on this Taliyah to be the anti-dash champion and be one of those burst X-Factor champions that can change the way this game goes.
The Archangels has morphed into a Seraph's Embrace. He's got himself a Haunting Guise as well. So this Taliyah going to have a little bit more DPS than the last time we saw the combo. Dragon started, but Kepler hasn't started stacking spears yet.
But Xiaohu has himself the ult. Where's he going to cast that? Every time it comes to this, watch out for that Weaver's Wall. Here comes the smites!
He even threw the Rend. Q smite from Lee Sin, too hard to beat. Weibo Gaming get themselves a second dragon and now begin to extricate themselves, get a shove onto Jin Zhao. Brings the Rel down to about half HP. ZDZ pops the Dominus. Birdol backs away with a scrap shield. Now ZDZ in a dangerous position, needs to be afraid of the turret. Flash on, dunked down, and LGD claim a kill. A little bit of an awkward retreat there from Weibo Gaming's top laner.
It's the ultimate coming in, due to the combo.
One back, and that was a good pick off from Light. And instead, even with the equalizer, cannot keep them alive. Now the shove onto the turret can begin. Remember, 6 grubs mean this turret does not stand long for the world. Another piercing arrow comes on through, and Weibo Gaming, despite losing their top laner, actually find the better end of the trade overall.
Partly because just Xiaohu on the Taliyah gets to combo up for multiple big plays. So Weibo get themselves the dragon, even though they were the ones against the Callista Rend kind of smite combo. So Xiaohao once again making his impact felt in this game. But while all this happens, LGD do get themselves a trade of this bot lane turret. 6 grubs now for Weibo in this game, as you mentioned, as they were pushing the mid lane. They can do that towards top lane as well. So Xiaohu, much more competent game from him. The Annie last game was really not it. The Taliyah been much more comfortable for him. As now Weibo will get themselves 2 outer turrets in quick succession.
Okay, Birdol spots out Crisp. Jin Zhao's here. Actually, how much long have Weibo stayed? They went for the turret. The Weaver's walled up for it, but it wasn't that low. They're going to be forced to seismic shove away. If that hadn't landed, I wonder how much more they could have got. They get a teleport out of LGD there, who clearly saw blood in the water.
I think realistically, with double flashes, that's all you can hope to get for even the end of that. So I wonder whether LGD even, like, overestimated themselves there. They definitely did in this replay. ZDZ, he pops the ult earlier and realizes, yeah, I don't want to go through the turret. The rest of the team is not there, though. But Meteor, just after ZDZ makes a positioning error, he makes a crucial one himself. CC into Taliyah combo. We said that Taliyah can be the X factor for this composition. Meteor disrespects it.
Could have turned a really nice play from LGD into one that cost them quite a lot, really. Mid lane turret, kills, dragon. All gone a bit wrong, but now a turnaround on the other side. Chris could be finding themselves a little bit soggy here. No one likes a soggy Crisp. He's about to fall down. Can't quite get it, and the salt and vinegar packet gets out alive.
And to say, these carbohydrates are here to burn. As he stays just at the end of his, I don't know, I was trying to fit like calorific intake. Look, well, I don't know. It's really hard to make things about this. Sometimes you surprise me, Sam.
Birdol needed to be there to find out. Because you generally burn them to find out exactly how many calories are in. He has to flash away from a crocodile on the other side. That's a dangerous calorific intake test.
ZDZ against, again, actually really doing quite well in the individual 1v1. Had Flash, forced it away from Birdall, so that's a free victory for him on that one. LGD, it's not been clean from them this time. It feels like when they don't have that early snowball, and hell, even in the last game, they were the team that were kind of stalling out into the mid and late game. They had to wait for kind of like one big cataclysmic moment. They couldn't really start fights well on their own. So this time, even without that gold lead, it's something which we need to pay attention to, because it feels like Weibo are kind of punishing LGD as they kind of mill around waiting for the play to come to them.
Just a little bit, of course. Still got to deal with the fact that the side lanes are going to be a little bit dicey, because this Tristana, yes, hasn't snowballed in the way that we often like to see Tristana do. And like, the way I've always viewed Tristana, at least over the mid lane Tristana eras we've seen over the last couple of years, is if Tristana snowballs early, gets to 2 items early, she's a terror. Yeah. Absolute monster, gets to shove every tower for free, no one can match her damage, she's so hard to deal with, gets to levels early, so the draw a bead passive means her range gets increasingly obnoxious. If she doesn't, she kind of falls into that old Caitlyn trough of old, where you're waiting on that second item for a little while, you're not quite long enough range to threaten turrets safely, you're waiting on that third item where to really come back online, and I feel like Haichao's not in a bad spot, but it's going to be a quiet minute or two until at least a second item's complete for this Tristana.
I do really feel like in this game, well, he's going to get ulted on. See how much he can get away with the jump, gets stunned.
Oh, a little bit too greedy, gets shoved away and brought up some of the potential fears of this Tristana. Buster shots one away, tries to get Xiaohu on the end, but it's a 3v1. No real response, especially remember because Birdall, without the teleport, means if you can attack the global, you're going to win out a little bit more regularly than not. On the other side, Birdall, caught up at his tier 2 this time around, is not having as easy a time in his ZDZ, who is actually this time forced to ult. Birdall doesn't have to burn anything. On the other side, though, the Baron has started.
And the thing is, when you're going towards this now for a potential contest from LGD, you don't have a teleport from Birdall, as we've been saying, and you have to go through Crisp with ult. This Alistar is just really tanky on the front line. Even has himself Merc Treads to keep himself unlocked a little longer. Weibo, though, they peel off of that Baron and they say, okay, even with the Leandries, even with the on-hit Varus, we don't really want to mess with this one. They head away. So, Dragon has spawned, and means that with Weibo staying a little over long on the Baron, it means that they'll give up a Dragon now. That's kind of a macro mistake from Weibo, despite them getting that kill onto topside. The fact that they couldn't really force LGD towards the Baron loses them an objective, and it buys LGD probably more than they should have gotten in the last minute. That'll mean it's 2 Dragons even apiece, no early soul points. It means that there's no early soul win condition to really play around.
Yeah, and you look at Haichao's inventory and you suddenly realise perhaps why he stayed for that extra wave, it did buy him a Navori, which of course is a very important break point. Came in the course of his life, and you look at the other side and Xiaohu 3-0, big part of this game going Weibo's way so far, buying his way towards what will likely be that Zhonya's third item, at least got the Seekers.
Yeah, Seraphs and Seekers, very strong combo, and just keeping yourself alive. Now, there is every chance you get 100% zeroed, or you get caught out in such a position that you can't really end up playing around. Xiaohu now shadowing the bot lane, as opposed to sonicking the mid lane. And,
Knuckles the top lane?
Yeah, that's the one. Well, I mean, with this Renekton the way it's going, yeah, they're definitely bad knuckle fighting. You need to be, oh my god, Haichao, you need to be so careful. That jumps forward, potential, he'd have to flash out of a combo now. 5 seconds left on it, that's dangerous stuff, dude.
Birdall's coming over, Xiaohu
jumps back up.
Don't know whether he knows how Xiaohu is there, should now be up, can be a little bit more careful of staying well away from that bush, knowing there might be someone in it, but now...
You've jinxed it now.
Oh, I know, I'm so nervous. The observers know what they're doing as well. Finally, Xiaohu reveals himself and proves Haichao's paranoia correct.
One thing I was going to say is Haichao in this game, as he just immediately teleports topside as he sees and forces it out from Xiaohu. That's kind of important, means that there's one global tool less to play with. He's not against an armor stacking Renekton or even from the Lee Sin or something like that. You know, there are tabbies on both of them, but it's not like you've got... You know, I mean, Renekton doesn't go that much armor anyway, but still, it's not like you're against a Frozen Heart on the enemy team. It's not like you're against, like, big armor items. So you don't care for even going towards the Lord Dominic's Regards later, well, this early into the game. You're very strong in the 2 items. Sometimes Tristana has to wait until the 3rd item, which, you know, we were talking about some of the kind of the trough moments. That's really when I feel like it hits him the worst. Haichao, he's been quite exposed on side lanes. He's getting away with this for now, but at least Meteor's here, but they need to be quite careful.
It does feel like Meteor, when he's had to be the one shadowing his side laners, it's not been quite as clean as the other way around, and Xiaohu proving what has always been his major strength. His ability to play around fog has been legendary for years, and yes, Haichao's being paranoid at best he can, but The reason he's paranoid is because they really are all out to get him, so he's got to be so careful.
It's not paranoia if it's right. That's just being careful. Weibo though, they're the ones which are pushing up in pretty much every lane. They're getting vision into the enemy jungle. The gold advantage is, you know, it's creeping in Weibo's advantage, but at this kind of time mark, it's not necessarily the best. We are getting to the point where you have to start revising whether some of these champions will be useful or not. When you're particularly looking at the Volibear, I think that at this point, when you're into the on-hit, Varus will absolutely shred you. Very, very dangerous. You know, Blade, Rage Blade, which will start racking through the W passive as well, very dangerous. But all spotted on vision. Weibo do have full knowledge of where they want to be, and ZDZ can start shuffling towards the spot turret. Against 6 grubs, very powerful for him.
The thing is, of course, when you're looking at the... actually, ZDZ does have to slice away. With the Crypt Bloom complete, ZDZ's point of power in this lane gets a lot lower. Gets the Eclipse Shield briefly, beginning to run away, but Haichao's coming on down. Where is everyone else? They're on the Baron.
Haichao is going to be really late towards the Baron. This is giving up that for free. It's a kill, but for what cost? You're not quick enough to get towards the Baron. It's a steal or nothing. Flash, what can Meteor do?
I'm going to try and get some damage. They're trying to keep him out. Crisp will not be able to prevent that one quite yet until he just gets headbutted away. And yes, it is just a Baron. It was well played by Crisp, who just body blocks Meteor. Can get nowhere near getting a flash hit.
It's more than just the headbutt. It's the headbutt at first, and then the kick away from Xiaohao as well. So the jungle support duo of Weibo keeping Meteor completely away. He can immune through one of those CC by going unstoppable with his ultimate, but he can't do it throughout all of it. And he can't flash his way into the pit either. So, Weibo, they will definitely take 1 kill onto ZDZ. You're looking at that as 0 and 5, and you say, oh, ZDZ, what a bad player. This Renekton, fire this man. Bench him, get away with him. This was an important death. He's been doing really well at keeping Bird all down. He's at a point of power, and he's really starting to be a pressure point. We've seen these low KDA top laners do a lot of work in LPL. This split FPX and Shallow, they backdoor top esports for God's sake for that one. Weibo getting some value out of the Baron.
Ginger, but I don't know whether they want this. Weibo here is a 2-man. Didn't know where the Varus and the Taliyah were. Of course, Taliyah with the Weaver's Wall could always have joined from a little further away than perhaps you might otherwise have expected. Now, 2,500 gold in the lead are Weibo Gaming. They've got Baron to work with. They've yet to really get any waves truly shoved in. Crisp, a slightly dangerous spot here. Not again.
No ult right now.
Yeah, needs to be a bit afraid. The seismic shove goes wide. And actually, 8 seconds on Infernal Drake, and Crisp down to 20% HP.
Yeah, well, he has himself his ult again. If you can get a reset, LGD might struggle to find themselves a fight. You are going to Fog of War with that Taliyah and the Varus ult as well. Very difficult for LGD to claim territory. They don't have a flanking threat. Equalizer early, just try and buy their way into River.
Does do so. ZDZ now on the flank, though, could prove problematic. Ginger taken down about 10% HP. On the other side, Volibear eviscerated. HP means nothing into a comp like this, and Weibo Gaming pounce, throwing out all the DPS they can. Haichao nowhere really to go, flashes over the wall, just get pulled back with the seismic shot regardless, and Haichao claims his life. Now Birdell in the 1v5 falls apart. A triple kill to Light, who makes sure to snuff out LGDs.
This game was so different from the first one. The early game started clicking. The carries got themselves into good positions, and particularly Xiaohao and Xiaohu make you wonder, Xiao, where they were in that first game. They are very much online, not a death between them. ZDC, the only person on Weibo to have a death in this series as Weibo. If they win this one, it is huge for playoffs contention for them. LGD, this one would send them, I believe, out of playoffs if they lost it. It's a pretty harsh loss themselves.
Another shove back onto the Volibear, who looks like paper at this point in the game. Weibo Gaming, it was close until it really wasn't.
Just, you could see how much paper that Volibear was in that late game. Against the on-hit Varus, against the Taliyah, basically unplayable for Meteor. You have to snowball that game, and they couldn't successfully do so. LGD, sad times for them, and so we'll leave it there for Game 2. Thank you once again for joining us, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the stream. I'm gonna get myself a coffee.
Go for it. I shall look after chat. How are you all doing, guys? What's going on in the world? We are getting Game 3, which should be pretty exciting. I think we've seen some good stuff from both teams. We've seen some less good stuff from both teams. I think LGD this time around got a bit stymied, honestly, by Haichao being absolutely everywhere Meteor wanted to be, and the fact that those dives never really happened. The best they got was, what, a couple flashes off Light. That's about it. Pretty problematic. Your marking assignment, sorry, man. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm happy to be here to entertain you while you're doing some marking. Hope the marking isn't too draining. I remember doing that. I never was a big fan of marking. Also, no one saw I favoured LGD's draft earlier, Lamau. Yeah, no, honestly, I honestly did like LGD's draft. They should have had free shoving lanes, easy dive potential, but credit to Haichao for basic, not Haichao, Xiaohao, there we go. Got Haichao, Xiaohao, and Xiaohu, and I'm getting Haichao and Xiaohao mixed up. That's really annoying, but Xiaohao for basically matching where the hell everyone else wanted to be. I mean, look, Haichao and Kepler did 5,000 and 3,500 DPS respectively. That is not what you want to see when you're supposed to have all of this huge amounts of lane pressure. That is actually appalling. That's very, very bad. That's not a great sign at all. What team do you think is going to win game 3? I'm not sure. I think LGD are better than their series score show, and Weibo in some ways are a little worse than theirs. They are both quite inconsistent teams. The Light has probably been the most consistent member on Weibo over the split, whereas on the other side, Birdle has probably been that for LGD. The issue I think we're running into is basically if Xiaohu and Xiaohao are linking up like they did in game 2, I think LGD look a lot less good because their execution when their game plans come up against resistance hasn't been fantastic yet. So we'll see how that goes. But we shall see. I think for me, probably the MVP of this last game is probably still Xiaohao. Or maybe Xiaohu gets it. We'll see. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Xiaohu's always been really good at map reads and playing with Fog of War. Like, there's been very few players who've been as good with that as he is. It's a pretty bad when your jungler has more combined DPS both your mid and ADC, especially when your mid and ADC are Tristana and Kalista, and you are a volley bear. Like, that is horrific news. Don't get me wrong, Birdle had another good game. It was a solid Rumble game. Again, it got a little bit dicey because ZDC actually got a little bit more early priority and didn't get as put down in lane as he did in prior experiences, but still could have been a lot better / a lot worse. Oh. When Alex comes back, we're going to have to show him those DPS numbers because they were atrocious. Hell, how much damage do you think Kepler and Haichao did?
Well, they didn't really hit anyone the entire game, so I'm going to say like 5,000 damage each or so.
5,000 for Haichao.
Yep.
3.6 for Kepler on the Kalista. They did less damage combined than their volley bear.
Wow, okay, that's really quite poor. Damn.
You're looking in the mid lane with like 14, 15,000 similarly for Varus, you know. I mean, Birdle did a lot of DPS, but he was also just trading constantly with Renekton, right? So it's a bit inflated. But yeah, it was a bit sad to look at.
Birdle also had, like, he had good Rumble equalizer. He actually had access to them. This is why we were kind of saying, look, you need to be, like, snowballing this game. The fact that Xiaohao, like, stopped the bot lane dive, stopped the top lane play as well.
Xiaohu as well, they both, like,
yeah,
everywhere.
But at the first levels, it was Xiaohao.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I did say it in chat. He actually did hit the kick on top side.
He did. Perfect. Thank you.
There was a knock up there. It's not as slow as it goes through. It's the knock up.
Yeah,
so it's a little but yeah, he actually, I mean, not that play was good. That was the one which actually failed. So, but yeah, the fact that he was just everywhere, huge turnaround. Because in game 1, Xiaohao had a really bad game.
Yeah, he did not hit a lot of his Qs.
Biggest MVP. I mean, I think it should be Xiaohao.
Yeah, it might well be Xiaohu though. We'll see. Oh, it is Xiaohao good. I'm glad it is. He had a really good
insane, man.
I mean, that was actually what we called out from draft. It was like, look, this guy has to shadow or it's over. Because if you get to die for free, it's kind of like doomed. But he shadows it well. He plays it out well. He well deserves this MVP. Kill participation 83%. There's a lot really about how the game went.
Yeah, particularly of saving that bot lane dive, huge. If he's not there, he gets a single quadrant, goes back for it. His single quadrant gets a longsword, goes back, immediately turns up bot side. Like, was yeah. And considering that he's been switching places with the Yodang as well, and he's been under the microscope a lot, big moment for him. So.
Especially for the game 1 as well. It was a world where he could have got switched out after that one. So good for him. 4 out of 6. He had 2 for mid lane as well. Fair enough. I think it's also Xiao who would have been a solid MVP too. I'm gonna quickly run the cattle.
You go do that. Run the cattle on. Phrase.
I should have said put the cattle on.
Yeah, you should have. Yes. Not probably, Sam. So, there are some things which are right and wrong. There are some things which are black and white.
License.
No, it's not. It's wrong, and it's not.
Being a scientist.
This man.
The English language.
This
and
man.
Multifaceted ways of.
This man is lacking in
constructive.
decisiveness. Lacking in decisive. You can't pin him down. He's the politician of poets. You can't pin him down on a fucking
Look,
phrase.
this isn't algebra, mate. It's not just the one answer.
There isn't, Sam. You realise in algebra there's not only the one answer.
All I'm saying is,
Sam.
if it boils down to X, I don't want to know about it.
Sam.
I know.
If there's a square root, there are 2 answers.
But could it be a triangle root?
No.
Why not?
Because
why,
that's a
why
cube.
does it have to be why does it have to be a square?
Because that's a cube root if you're trying to do it like
I
that.
feel like being a square.
So go get your fucking coffee. Oh, I'm too tired for this shit, man. Oh, God. Yeah, we actually hung out with some LEC folks yesterday, and then I was like, I should probably go and do LPL this morning. Yeah, now you're wondering why I'm tired. Cheers. God damn. God I am. How's everyone else doing? I need to sort out YouTube monetization as well, because I actually need to get something off of that, because turns out I need money to live. Blame the LEC, a solid thing to do. I'm gonna keep doing that. Just because you suggest that, Katari. You know, something's wrong. LEC. Always the LEC. That's the one. Do you know how to watch LDL this year? I can't find it anywhere with live streams or VODs. There are VODs on Bilibili, which is the site which we're watching this on, but there are no live streams. Now, I don't know why there are no live streams. I was hearing that they hadn't got a license to live stream for one reason or another. Now, hopefully that gets sorted at some point, but as it stands right now, they are showing the replays of the game. There are no casters over it, but they will be... That's a very nice statue. Damn. Hi, Evelyn. Wait, the glass is coming off as well? That's sweet. Just as Sam leaves the room as well. That is a nice statue, what the fuck? That's pretty much the same... So, hang on, I can zoom out. It's pretty much the same as... I have it up... I have the RE1 up here somewhere. This one. Yeah. So, yeah. I would... What do you mean, Katari? I mean, the figure of the person. Do not the statue. Yeah, that. How did I start as a caster? Sam and I did a Onyx, man. Hey, thanks for joining the chat. Good to see you. How did I start as a caster? So Sam, myself, and Masked Swan, who's a friend of ours, did a fan broadcast not dissimilar to this of the LJL, so the Japanese league. And we did that for 2 years. We also did, well, it's 3 years. We did UK amateur stuff. I did UK university things. And we cast a lot, and we got better. And we ended up giving each other feedback. I ended up getting, we both got picked up for the UK EL, which is like the lowest level of like professional, like the actual professional broadcast for UK esports. And then I went to the NLC, which is the level above that. That's an ERL. And then I used that to go on to the EMEA Masters broadcast in 2021 summer. So it was the end of 21 summer. And then in 22, I then got invited to go out to the LEC. And then I had a year on the LEC. And then I went on to the LPL after that, because sadly I couldn't land an LEC spot. But yeah, that's basically how things started. We started doing Japanese League of Legends, and now we've been through a lot of different stuff, and we're here now in LPL. Now I am an LPL caster now myself, and Sam is now joining me for the LPL Costream.
Indeed.
And that's how we did it. But we did a lot of free casting by ourselves on Twitch with a friend. Yeah, it was us two and Lexi, Masked Swan. He's a good guy. I like Lexi a lot. It's last Weibo game. I believe they have another series or two. They have JDG and IG left. Yeah, JDG and IG.
Easy matches, actually. I think IG have been up and down.
Oh, Ellie, thank you so much for the thank you so much for the sub, by the way. That's really kind of you. Also, it's really good to see you, and I hope you're doing well.
Apparently has been marking papers while listening to our beautiful voices, was the phrase.
Oh, well.
I feel ours a bit extreme, because clearly my voice is gorgeous. Alex, a bit rough, you know?
Yeah, mine's angelic, mellifluous, words which are nice.
Biblically accurate, Angel. Terrifying.
Yeah,
Slightly concerning. Haunts your nightmares.
Yeah, psychedelic honey. Thank you, Carl. That's very kind of you.
That's very lovely.
I really appreciate it, folks.
Yeah.
Who do I think will win the last game? Look, folks, when it comes to Weibo, just save yourself the mental stress. This team is impossible to predict. Because you saw what happened between Game 1 and Game 2. There is no magical switch that's been flicked. But it's not like a draft pick or something like that. This team can just turn up as different players in different games. It is very frustrating. We've seen this for 2 years now, back to back. This team is consistently inconsistent. It is absolutely nightmarish to predict what happens here. Just flip a coin. You'll get a better result.
Yeah, what you could also do, click on my name in the title and go throw your Prime subscriptions at me as well. You could support both of us at once. It could be amazing.
Yeah, if you we'll let you know who wins if you drop. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. Like we're here to have a good time and bring you the games. And if you do have the space to support us, obviously Sam's name is in the title as well. Initialized with brothers. We can't. There's a fucking thing up there. And yeah, if you're enjoying what we're doing, then yeah, obviously, however you can support us means a lot. Honestly, folks, just by being here, you're supporting us. So thank you for being here. And right, we'll get ourselves to the last game of this, and then probably have to jump immediately into WETT, which will be in Xi'an after that.
Yes, I think we will do. That will be an interesting one to track as well. I have hope for Thunder Talk, but I don't know. UCAL had a rough start to the split, kind of came back online. 1xn, I just think is good. What can I say? We are looking once again at a very nice little Ari drawing. That's actually impressive for Felt Tip Pants.
The artist strike again. So, getting ourselves into the draft team should be here in the next couple of minutes, and then we'll see if Weibo can get themselves to 7-7. If they win this game, where do they end up? So, currently 6-7. The game score is at 0 before this. They're at 15-15 exact on terms of game score. So if they win this, they push LNG out of the playoffs bracket. Ooh. And they also, yeah, they push LNG out of the playoffs bracket, and they go above anyone's legend as well. So it is very tight on the game score.
It's a big deal, actually. They want this win quite badly.
They do. So again, reminder, folks, if Weibo win this, they put themselves back into playoffs. It's going to be a rough week or two. They have themselves JDG also on the table, which can potentially drop their game score. Game score is very important too.
Yeah.
They're already going to get themselves, only a plus or minus 1 from this one. It's already 1-1. They can't help themselves too much with that. If they win this last game, they'll leapfrog over LNG and anyone's legend, and they will get themselves there. If they lose, they stay in 10th. In fact, actually, I believe they drop. They will stay themselves in 11th, rather. They'll be out of that playoffs bracket. Anyway, last draft to determine things. Back to bot lane bans, which is how LGD walked away with a good mid lane matchup in Game 1. It was the Ari versus Annie, which really favored Haichao, walked away with MVP. I wonder if Weibo last ban out the Ari just to stop Haichao having a similar performance.
Yeah, and I think we found our talismans for both these teams, and I don't think it's a surprise, but it's basically have Xiaohao and Xiaohu read the early game. Yes, Weibo looked good. On the other side, is Haichao on a playmaker and being considered in the plays he's making? All good for LGD, because other members of these teams have been playing relatively consistently. Birdle, pretty solid. You look on the other side, Light, pretty good as well. It's other members that need to step up to the plate a little bit for these teams to win. Bans are through, the Ari remains in. First pick Karma from LGD. What now is the response from Weibo Gaming?
So Xiaohu has had a couple of kind of champions he's gone back towards. One of them has been the Annie as of recent. We've seen the Karma and we've seen the Talia. Now the thing is, Karma is the one which beats up the early game best amongst them. You could go towards something like that Nico. The Xiaohu has been a big Tristana. You said he was that player historically. He's been that this split as well. It's been one of his best champions in this year. Wouldn't surprise me to see him lock that in. It does lose early to the Karma, but for Xiaohu and Light, it can be a flex pick between them.
Of course, as the game goes on, the Tristana does become a little more difficult to manage. But yes, one of the big powers of the Tristana is the early shove, and Karma pretty hard to beat that at the minute, particularly once Malignance comes on through. She is a priority machine. She was the doctor all those years ago, called her that. On the other side, though, it'll be the Shinzao being hovered. Locked in, Meteor decides instead to lock in the Nautilus for his support.
It means that you get one of the Prime lane pairings for Tristana and bot side away. It means you can potentially go towards something like a Senna later into the draft for Senna Nautilus. Do you just lock in the Rumble right now, actually, and just go? But the problem with that, the problem with that is that you have the Karma, who doesn't really synergize with the Rumble as a pick in terms of the team fights that you want. Okay. Something like the Aatrox, it's for me works out a lot better, where you're kind of speeding people up into melee as opposed to trying to like fire with the Rumble Equalizer and the Karma Man for Q, which they're both good in their own rights. They don't always synergize in the right way. You can't really capitalize off of the slow onto slow all the time. And Birdall, going back to the tried and tested that Aatrox, as now the Maokai, flex pick between Xiaohao and Crisp.
It is indeed, and one of the ways to keep your AD carry safe is just to say nope in a big area denial with an R button. Of course, has largely been ironically towards the support after ironically being a jungle, having ironically once upon a time being a top lane, and Maokai has just been rehomed and replanted multiple times as a champion. This time around we still need to wait to see where it decides to be dropped. The Jinx ban here from Weibo Gaming, which has kind of snuck up the power pick ratings as the split's gone on and things like Smolder and Senna and Zeri all kind of been haunting our screens.
This is before the Infinity Edge buffs as well. You know, so back into priority on 14.6, you have to imagine that'll be, I believe, the playoffs patch for LPL playoffs. We'll figure that out.
Might be happy as well then.
Yeah, I mean there are other champions there too in terms of the crit champions which can make use of it. Of course, you can't build something like Navori and Infinity Edge at the same time. I believe you can anyway. I feel like that one's taken away from. But yeah, still, that's stuff to come. So banning away some of the support pairings now, which could you know, be benefit from that Maokai being flexed into the jungle. Alistair's gone from Crisp. We did actually have a good game on it the last time. We did say that Crisp largely been a ranged support player, but two melee supports banned away from him show that, of course, Crisp, a player of a great many champions.
And in fairness, his Alistair last game was actually really good. He managed to really be a huge part of thwarting those early dives. Debating a Zeri here, which would lock Xiaohu into the Tristana, unless there's some real madness occurring. But yeah, Alex is immediately saying none of that. Of course, the Zeri locked in, but now what's the response? Kepler will time into things like the Kai'Sa in the past. Of course, the Jinx off the table, could look to an Aphelios, but I feel like the Kai'Sa maybe is an option to dive on to some of these otherwise more slippery options. Could make some sense.
Also, well, not that we've seen it in the LPL, but there is the Poke Kai'Sa build as well, very strong, so there's a chance that you end up playing towards that. I think with the Poppy, Aatrox, and the Nautilus going Zug, I think you're looking to really have something which can join them in the dive either way, though. Smolder could be there for scaling potential, and then the ability to just kind of throw the ult over. Kai'Sa can be there for the dive. The Twitch that was hovered would also not be bad. Goes over to the Kai'Sa, though. Has been a pick which feels like every time Kai'Sa is even borderline viable, LPL flocks towards it, as many carries do. It just allows them to play out as assassins, as opposed to just regular backline marksmen, in a way that very few AD carries can do so. Last pick, flex between jungle and support. Crisp always was a big Leona player, but he can potentially take that Maokai himself. That wouldn't be awful for him. Does struggle into the Nautilus in early lane. The Bard doesn't, and Chris does go back towards a ranged support. Zeri Bard, very mobile at allowing teams to get over walls.
Bard is also one of the better champions at just getting around the map, being really obnoxious, being that roaming champion that Chris at his best has often been very good on. People will remember back in his World Championship winning days, his Thresh was an absolute nightmare on the map with Dumby. We'll be looking to get some value here as he's got himself the Maokai, can look to be doing some work here with getting around the map to get things happening to set up those AD carries for success.
So a reminder, folks, Weibo, they will put themselves in very, very good contention to be into that playoffs bracket if they win today. Game score matters a lot. They've already dropped one game. And on the other side, it would lock out LGD from playoffs.
Keep our eyes on that. Instead, themselves in trouble as they look to get onto the Rift and cause some chaos around and about to make sure these games work out. As they make sure to get themselves ready for a game. And again, this will be an important one for both teams. Of course, if LGD lose, they are out of playoffs. It's just not a possibility anymore, as far as I understand. And Weibo, how tight the playoffs race is right now, really don't want to drop here as things go on. Could get very difficult for them to manage if they lose. I mean, of course, they're not out, of course, but their remaining series are not easy ones.
No, they're not. Invictus Gaming, definitely a team which you have to be a little worried about as Weibo, because, I mean, both these teams have struggled, but IG, gotta feel like on recent form they'd be a little better. Nautilus, level 1. What can they do with that? Dark Harvest on Meteor's Poppy as well. We'll pay attention to that one. Is he going to go for something a little bit more bursty? That'd be very interesting to see, of course. Can allow you to really dunk down on Xiaohu and Light and Crisp. A lot of squishies to potentially take to task.
Those flash heroic charges could become that little bit more dangerous to manage, and once upon a time, we used to see Warrior Poppy and the likes and going a bit more AD builds on the champs. Of course, these days really has defaulted more towards their tankier, bruisery options, but Poppy certainly has a bit of burst in her kit.
So, I mean, he's gone for cheap shot, Dark Harvest.
I love it.
I love that. He's just going to start slamming people as he can. What this means is that Meteor, when he goes in, he won't have the phase rush to run out of a play. But, oh my god, on that play, is he going to slap you for 6? And potentially get himself onto the board early. Kepler and Jinjiao going to walk over the spot side. It is the Halo Blades on the Kai'Sa. We do see a couple of different builds from this. There is a chance that we see the Poke Kai'Sa. I don't know whether that would be something that LPL carries that have really been prioritizing towards, though. We haven't really seen the Poke build. There is technically a Zeri build with AP as well, raising up in solo cube. You kind of need first strike for that one, so at least we know that one's off the table.
Unlikely to be the case. And instead, early level 1 hook from Jinjiao. Of course, this is still into a Bard whose level 1 is very nasty for those empowered autos and the cosmic bindings, but of course actually has decided to go for the early hot chocolate mugs to put down. And of course you do actually see that fairly regularly. You stick them into the mid lane, gives a bit of sustain there for your mid laner against what could have been a pretty obnoxious lane into the Karma otherwise, but it does deny some potential early lane priority from the Bard and the Zeri.
And their level 1 damage actually very strong, but then again Nautilus just landing a hook and then getting the passive as well allows you to get extra plasma stacks, and that means that you lose against Kai'Sa early. That's always why Kai'Sa Nautilus was very, very strong. Level 1, 2 bits of CC to keep that plasma stacking. Shahab getting himself Raptors into bot side clear, gets himself level 3 off that Gromp, I believe, and then he'll get himself onto the map. Maybe drop down a sapling or 2 to keep that bot lane safe from a rampant Meteor who's going to walk into the other side of the map and get some extra knowledge on what's happening with this jungle clear. Shahao's kind of going for a bit of a, well, no, Meteor's going for a wraparound.
Okay, gets something down, will force out the tether, but Xiaohu's just not really got any way to go until he has to flash, and so the early summoner down picks up those double healing shrines to keep himself back up to at least something resembling HP.
Something else here as well. Meteor gets his first Dark Harvest stack of the game.
Hey,
woo! Yeah, Dark Harvest Poppy, let's go! And this champion, I mean, you can't go slam into that W. There's no way that, I mean, the animation is so obvious from the Tristana that when you start jumping, like, unless you have the Buster Shot post level 6, it is very, very hard to stop the Poppy from on top of you getting that that kind of grounding in, and the extra damage from that really nasty too. Of course, that too can proc the Dark Harvest if it's still available. So Xiaohu, not a great start for him. Uses up all of those shrines very early from the Bard. Gonna teleport back into lane, maybe with something like a Cull. I don't know exactly what he'll have. Gold Fort, and is that Cull?
There you go, alongside the refillable pot. So survive lane, it feels like here, especially after Meteor makes his presence known early on.
We get ourselves towards bot side. Hook lands, passive lands, good stacks, but not able to pop it.
Crisp not going to be dealing with that. We'll throw down a couple of healing shrines to replace the ones he just took. Meteor roams over towards the Skull Crab, claims it, You're seeing not too much early action, some early wards from Xiao Hao on the other side of the map. That's really it. There's been a huge amount of action outside of that mid lane looking.
I really wonder what build. I'm just hoping that Kepler does actually go towards the poke build the more I think about this game, actually. It does lose you some mid-game power, but I just look at the champions in Weibo, and I really don't think they have a way to outplay what happens with that champion. As ZDZ didn't quite good work up against Birdall here, at least in the top side. 10 CS lead right now. You kind of expect it from Renekton very early. Another hook lands. No Guardian this time.
Be a little bit afraid. Of course, Bard, with some of the changes, has gotten surprisingly tanky as a champion with some of the items he gets to build. And, very big frustration for me as an Evelyn player. Blowing up a Bard is not as easy as it once was.
There's definitely something about Bard building full tank and then still, you know, taking half your health with a auto Q auto. It's sure something. You know, he was actually a real terror on Arena because they buffed his damage to make him a viable champion, but they buffed at the point where he would just auto Q you and you'd explode with a full AP Bard build. They also gave, I'm pretty sure they gave Blitzcrank almost double damage on his ultimate as well. That was also a fun one where you just build full AP and you disappear very quickly. Not the best time ever.
What is the name of Blitzcrank ultimate again? I can't remember.
It's not Static Field, is it?
Something like that. I wanted to give Static Shock, and that's the wrong one. But maybe it is Static Field, something like that.
Buddy, I'm a color caster. I know it is Blitzcrank. I say that. I know all of Aphelios' abilities, but I can't name Blitzcrank's. 2009 champions, by the way. They've been around for 15 years. God, that's a weird thought. Your Gangplanks, your Garens, your Cho'Gaths, your Blitzcranks, they've been around for a bloody long time, folks. Dragon spawn. LGD, they have themselves bot lane priority. They got themselves back into lane as well. It will be the AD Kai'Sa, so sadly not going to see ourselves the full poke variant. Well, I mean, it is a disgusting build. I'm sure many people will be happy not to see it build into the LPL right now. I just feel like it would have been a really powerful champion to bring into this game. But still, goes back onto the map. It feels like LGD should have first swing at this dragon should they want to.
It also means perhaps the Kai'Sa being online at least a little bit earlier into the game and potentially able to threaten the other AD carries at a point where they really want to abuse things like Poppy's points of power and of course Karma at that 1-2 item mark. So synergistically with the team, I see that there is an angle for that there, even if I agree the poke build could certainly have been more than viable this game. But the decision has been made, and instead we look to see Junjiao clearing out some of these visions as the magical journey is popped down to allow an extrication from the river for Xiao Hao, who was claiming that scuttle crab.
And particularly this wall here on red side bot lane, very important for Zeri and for Bard. Allows you to pretty much choose the ability to reposition anywhere across that. Of course, Poppy can wall stun you out a lot of that stuff, and Meteor right now could have potentially flashed for a W stop there, telling to bot side.
Gonna try and do this one as a Meteor show in the mid. That's actually a fair amount of damage to Jinzhou flashes away, does stay alive, but the summoner is down. Light throwing down the ultimate and throwing out a lot of burst fire. We'll get a bit of an additional chunk, but Jinzhou survives at the very least.
While that's happening, topside ZDZ, I think on an individual level, he's actually pushed Birdall well in games 2 and now game 3 as well. Game 1, he really did eat the back end of a lot of very bad trades. But 20 CS up, or thereabouts, showing that he can actually keep down Birdall on his Aatrox that he's done a very good job with in Spring 24 so far. Weibo, despite the fact that they lost early game priority in this bot lane, after a couple of plays around the map, around bot river, and of course into that bot lane as well, get themselves first dragon of the game. That's important. It allows them to push the anti-forwards. They have pushing lanes already. It feels like into mid-game that will continue, which means that they'll get better entrances towards the dragon. LGD, if they'd gotten that first dragon, maybe could have delayed Weibo in terms of that soul win condition a little earlier.
Yeah, could well have done. Of course, Weibo pretty happy with having claimed that one early on, especially considering they are nominally the better scaling team, right? You've got Zeri and a Tristana with all the front line in front of them. It feels like the later the game goes, the easier it is to play out, because often they do devolve into those front to backs, and front to back with Maokai Renekton with double AD carries behind feels pretty good, not going to lie to you all. On the other side, LGD going to have to find ways past that front line. You have got a Poppy and a Kai'Sa.
You mentioned that. So Weibo were the team that denied EDG their world championship last year. They beat them in the regional qualifiers, but that was EDG's style, playing the Maokai double AD carry with Fofo and Uzi. That was the style which they were playing with the stuff like the Zeri and the Tristana. Big different compositions for them. Kai'Sa as well, obviously a big part of that meta too. Starting to creep its way back as it inevitably does into pro play. People, AD carries like this champion too much for it to not be around.
She is very fun.
I love playing Kai'Sa. I also just hate playing against Kai'Sa too, especially especially the poke versions, that's not particularly fun, but still, Weibo are trying to go back to tried and tested in the LPL was a big composition of last year.
Well, exactly. Over we go instead to Botside River. And compositions of old begin to rear their heads somewhat again. Part of the reason why they were so popular is they do work quite well on the synergistic front, so you see the theory behind a comp like this at the very least, as Crisp throws down a ward, spots out Meteor in the river, and immediately loses the ward he puts down. Light throws down a control ward and an ultra shock laser that does go wide, and
wow, he's really stepping out. Like, problem here, it doesn't cost matter. You're not really gaining anything in this besides just like a little bit of ego. Like, haha, you missed.
you missed again.
Do you think at the end of a mission? So I've been playing a load of Helldivers. They tell you your accuracy score at the end of a level. Do you reckon they should do that for Zeri? That'd be great. Bertel pops the ult, doesn't get it out of ZDZ though. You can see that he's really struggling in the 1v1 matchup. Renekton buffs coming through, pretty hefty hit.
Bertel down that ultimate actually. Be a great time there, with the fact that there is a potential turnaround for ZDZ could prove problematic. Of course, eats the wrong end of an Infernal Chains and a Darkin Blade, so just be a little bit wary. Nice combo again from Bertel, but down the ultimate means ZDZ is not really at any threat right now.
Wonder what build Bertel's going to go. Does he feel like he needs to go for the Sundered Sky early just to try and keep himself in longer trades? Or does he just say, look, I need to flank in these team fights in the earlier... oh, that's a good wall stun. Remember, he's got Dark Harvest as well. Big damage!
Jeez, Crisp getting jumped on, but the turnaround damage is massive as the flashes over the wall from Xiao Hao and Xiao Hu get the first blood. It looked really good for a second until Weibo Gaming came from beyond the edge of the screen.
One of the specialties of Tristana and Maokai, which was a huge LPL composition of last year, is that they respond from a huge distance away. Xiao Hu jumps over the wall. The Maokai ult comes flying over the wall and LG just completely disrespects it. Now suddenly, you know, Weibo gonna get themselves towards Groves on the top side of the map to get themselves a kill onto their Tristana, who is a snowball league champion at LGD. This Poppy needs to get stuff done early. Already lost out on the first couple of plays of the game, which is an awkward moment for Meteor.
Of course, Meteor can now look to come over and contest the grubs, and the problem is you did burn a lot of ultimates and lots of flashes from Weibo Gaming. Xiao Hu, Xiao Hao, Crisp, all down those key summoner spells, so a little bit difficult, I think, to take a consistent objective fight, and this will still be the 5 grub mark for LGD.
Yeah, that's important actually. I thought Weibo would be able to get more of that, but I guess using the Marker Ultimate and against the Poppy, who is still, you know, as I like to call it, full build Poppy. You get towards level 3, and you do significant damage. This time it's level 7. Look how much damage you get through! The heal from Chris, the only thing which keeps him alive, by the way. And even then, is barely at that. Very close run stuff. If you managed to get the other Parker of the Mantra Cube, would have been a very different scenario.
Oh yes, and the Cull nearly cashed in as well for Xiao Hu at this point. Got first blood, Krakenstay already online. Feels pretty nice again. It's been a very slow early game, 1 kill in 12 minutes, especially when the kill only came 30 seconds or so ago. It does lead us to a space where these AD carries kind of been scaling for free.
And with something like the Kai'Sa, that's obviously important too. It's not like there is just one carry on one side, and then you do have double the amount of bullets being fired, but on the side of Weibo. But with the Karma buffing up the Kai'Sa, that's pretty good in regards to just allowing the 180 carry to do a little bit more work. But I think particularly when you've got a Poppy on one side and a Mac on the other, one is much more happy to play slow than the other. Bertel pops the ult as the ZDZ.
Damage coming on through. They're going to trade back well enough. Ult for ult. No one actually up here to do anything more than see the top laners brawl. It is the 1v1 island for now, which has been a little unusual this series, when actually we have seen a lot of a jungle attention go towards the top lane over games 1 and 2.
ZDZ though, eking out a good advantage. He's going to be happy with how this early lane is going. Bertel, when he does get individual advantages on the Aatrox, it feels like you just can't keep him out of team fights. This champion has seen LGD to a great many of their victories. Now, they've only got the 3 series wins. They have themselves some okay game wins. They've had a lot of 3-game series. Now, Kai'Sa shred through objectives pretty well. They're going to get towards this dragon nice and early. Weibo, do they contest? They have the Bard Pole to go through the wall if they want to reposition.
Of course, with that new wall that's come in at the top end of the river, it'd be a little bit harder to find your way in from red side in a safe manner.
Especially against Poppy.
Oh, yeah, exactly, especially against Poppy. They won't decide to take the magical journey, which would have left a very easy target for Poppy to try and heroic charge them into a wall.
Also worth noting as well, so we talked about the Poppy build and saying, hey, that's a Dark Harvest. What you got there, buddy? AP Marco on the other side.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Towards Leandries, because, of course, you don't have much magic damage on the side of Weibo. It opens up something. See that the ward's put in. Oh, Crisp.
Oh, gets knocked out of his magical journey. And instead is a magical journey into an early grave.
Meteor must have like 4 or 5 Dark Harvest
He's
stacks
got
at this point, by the
3.
way.
That's the third one, I believe.
I think he might have got another one from somewhere. I can't remember exactly where he's got all of them from, but still, he's getting things up at a pretty good clip. It's probably a really good solo queue room. They had to nerf it for ARAM because obviously you get a million kill participation. But wait, Xiaohu,
Xiaohu, not again.
Sorcery Crawl, okay, right. It's like, surely, they're not 2 people will die in the same place from Weibo to do exactly the same thing. Still, LGD, they get something on the board. They were falling quite far behind in terms of early game gold. It's only, it was only about 1,500 gold, but at this point in the game, it can be pretty significant at that point. So, items starting to come in. We've got Xiaohao with his ult again. He has himself that mask from the haunting guys coming through. Haichao has no flash.
Light had to flash over the wall at the other side. The turret is turned off immediately. Haichao trying to heal up, does a fairly decent job of it. Overcomes the Poppy with the Keeper's Verdict available, which leaves Xiaohao out to dry, forced away from the magical journey and into the waiting hands of Kepler as he flashes on through. It's a 1-for-1 as LGD punish Weibo's over-indexing into the bot lane.
Yeah, that tree has definitely been pruned in this one. And Meteor, that's another Dark Harvest. I was just going to do that one. Xiaohu is now left alone on bot side. Xiaohu doesn't have Buster Shot or Flash. They have to call the teleport.
There is, but there's a response teleport on the other side. But wait, the magical journey means everyone from the side of Weibo is here. They lose one immediately, which makes this a 3v3, but the HP bars getting very difficult to manage as Birdle healing back up. Light nowhere to go. Trying to throw the burst fire, not getting that much damage. Finally stunned into a wall. It's just not enough. Haichao.
Meteor lives!
A Meteor is still damn well alive. LGD break Weibo in the bot lane.
Oh my god, they're broken in half. That's like 4 kills in the last minute. LGD explode into life. But what the hell was Xiaohu doing overstaying in that bot side? A huge critical error from Weibo as they failed to get a single kill in return. How does this start? You know, Light gets kind of punished towards the bot side. We didn't even see that on live. Gets the flash pulled away from him. Yes, you do have Haichao dying at the very start of this play, so it is 1 kill in the great scheme of things, but the Poppy ultimate means that you're kind of separating out the first target, saying, okay, let's just get one person down. Unfortunate flash, but after this point is where Xiaohu makes the critical error. You think, okay, we've used all of these abilities. He just greets for your next wave. No Buster Shot, no flash, you can't get away from the Poppy, and though you're calling through the teleports, there are extra teleports to come through from LGD as well, and things massively fall apart as soon as the Tristanas, they're not putting out the extra damage. As soon as that they go down, it feels like the game's just really away from them. They don't have the items to be playing like this at this point. LGD, huge gold injection for them.
Because Light lost that flash 30 seconds before this play as well. The moment he got caught in the Infernal Chains and knocked around with the Darkened Blade, there was nowhere for that Zeri to go. Kepler turns up towards the end of it. He's now 2-0. Herald summoned in mid lane. They've got 5 grub stacks as well. This is suddenly looking like LGD with a serious snowball. And a nice ultimate, however, from Crisp does deny the Herald charge.
So, who are the real big winners of this? Haichao, of course, walks away 2-0-2. Very happy with that. 1 and 2 kills on Kepler. God, he's going to be so strong as well. Because reminder, we're saying, yes, double AD carries on the side of Weibo, but there's an enchanted AD carry for the side of LGD. Someone like Bard can't really do the same. Now, they can bring some more, you know, support items in the way that they always do. But when Haichao starts putting on the shields onto the likes of Kai'Sa to allow them to keep running. Of course, they have the cleanse and no ghost. The Karma allows you to kind of bridge the gap that way.
Xiaohu, just the scene of his crime, managed to get away with this time. Of course, one of the ways you are trying to play this Tristana is very aggressively as a split pusher. Has got a lot of the initial gold here, but we're still waiting on that second item to be completed to be truly valuable again.
I think also, I wonder whether we're going to... So most of the time in terms of armor items now, we get the Knight's Vow. The Frozen Heart's fallen off. I think Frozen Heart is very valuable for Meteor in this game if you can pick that one up. I think that Birdall, he's likely going towards a Profane Hydra's second item instead of the first. The Sundered Sky just helps you so much in the Bruiser matchups. Meteor heading topside now. Xiaohu has a lot of gold. He is not impervious though. He needs to be careful.
Yeah. Got himself a flash and the Buster Shot this time around, so a lot harder to manage as Tristana often is with her extreme amounts of mobility. Instead, it's just Meteor and Jinjiao just looking to wander the river, kind of make sure they are hovering between some potentially threatening areas. We'll be on vision as they come up, though, as there is a lot of wards here from Weibo Gaming.
Yeah, they do have the Markile, who's just in a pretty good position to change some things, and Crisp can also reposition a lot of people very, very quickly. Meteor can wall stun people out of that tunnel, can also use the W to technically ground them through. It counts as like a slow dash through a wall. See that the Leandri is on the Maokai doing some decent work with the Scorch Claw as well. And definitely helps you kind of put up some decent numbers there. So, LGD, they are waiting in some ways, actually. So we talked about Kai'Sa builds. It is going to be on hit for now. Typically, we've seen the Nashes after this point, so Kepler will likely go towards more AP towards the late game. There isn't a huge amount of magic damage arrayed across the LGD team. You can see that. There's a lot of... there are Ninja Tabis, but no real Merc Treads or anything like that. It feels like... if you go towards 3 items in the Kai'Sa, even though it's not the full poking Zodia, it can still be very dangerous.
Picture-in-picture, the mid-AD carry of LGD, Haichao and Kepler do claim themselves a second dragon. Of course, with 2 items now on the Kai'Sa, her ability to shred through objectives is very, very high. Rage Blade and the passive cycling does a lot of work to those neutral objectives. Xiaohu, though, continues to shove very aggressively, has got Xiaohao behind him in the jungle to try and shield him should people try to be a bit too aggressive about shoving into him. CDZ had the shove in bot side, so Weibo Gaming trying their very best to stall out and continue to be a threat in this game. Now they've got the Navori Quick Blades onto Xiaohu. The second item on the Tristana feeling a little bit more valuable again.
Another thing which I really want to bring up in this point too, as we have 2 items on Haichao, who is now in a really good point. In most compositions, the Karma doesn't really do much late game towards stuff like Xin Sao, maybe the Renekton if you go towards like the Moor in the last couple of games too. If you land a Mantra Q onto Xiaohu or Lights, they are going to explode in this game. So Weibo need to actually be quite careful about where they're allowing Haichao into the game at this point. Very powerful from the mid lane. That's why Karma's still been picked up even after the nerfs to the QAP ratio. The items are very strong. Still just a very strong champion once you hit these item marks. And these AD carries don't have a huge amount of sustain mid-team fight from an enchanter with shields and heals.
The prognosis here from the stats bot, so about a 56% chance on paper, at least from a statistical point of view. LGD coming out with the win. Seen, of course, that those often don't survive contact with the actual game state, but for now it does feel like LGD are the ones with the favoured position.
Shadows caught out, there's Plasma.
And there is the hop and the Buster shot away, and Kepler out of his own ultimate.
Kepler mistimes it. He mistimes it, and Xiaohu gets an incredible Buster shot to stop the Kai'Sa flying through. I have never seen that. The 2-for-1, catching 2 birds quite literally with 1 shot.
I kind of blanked on that for a moment, and then wait, there's a shield on Kepler. What happened? He got his ult cancelled, and now topside. Haichao in a dangerous position, but does have Defiance to back away, so should be just fine.
ZZ pops that ultimate, tries to chunk him down. Maybe there's a Maokai ult which could threaten things too. This play though, Xiaohu throws the Buster shot, and let's be honest, this is not a prediction or reaction. He didn't know he was there. He sees the plasma on himself, and we have a fight on top side now.
Xiaohao gonna get knocked up with a depth charge, flashing away with a phase rush, gets to stay safe, but the tower does fall. All the while though, Birdall on the other side will likely claim that one, so some ultimates drop, but Xiaohao being down the flash to relatively squishy Maokai can prove problematic.
And next time Kepler has his ult up, things are going to get very, very spicy. Kepler is going towards the Nash's third, so it will be the 3 upgrade Kai'Sa coming through at the 3 item mark. Going to get a picture-in-picture of what happened here. Yeah, we did say it was going to be the Maokai ult, and actually what Jinzhao does is block up the Maokai ult, one of the tendrils, to make sure that I believe that Haichao can make it out there. Meteor gets a wall stun.
Knocks up the Tristan, who flashes away, flash over the wall from Meteor. The ground slam there with the hammer doing a lot of work. The hammer shock alongside everybody else doing enough to get another kill. And now with the mid laner dead, it's a 4v5 a Baron.
I love that Meteor has gone for Eclipse. He has 7 Dark Seal stacks. Xiaohu had no ult because he used it in that play bot side, and it opens up the Baron to potentially put Weibo into a loss.
Okay, Xiaohao reminder, no flash and no ultimate, and there is no blast cone. Xiaohu's not getting into the magical journey, so that's one way of potentially getting in, but it's timed out. Wait, that's a fantastic tempered fate to stop the Baron going down straight away. Xiaohu can now maybe get in with a twisted advance, gets in there, and the 2 people dead. Baron secured. His starting to turn around, begins to fly as Birdall with the World Ender flying as Kepler ulted to the backside with the Killer Instinct Light. Cannot run far enough away. It looked good for a second until LGD turned on the afterburners.
Weibo get crushed around topside and Baron, and they are crushed by the weight of a falling Meteor. This Poppy has absolutely mashed the last half of this, well, the last minute or 2 of this game. And it feels like the item breakpoints from LGD have really helped them keep team fighting. Feels like ZDC had a moment to absolutely slaughter this game, particularly with Crisp's ultimate, stopping the Baron, allowing this kind of extra kind of play towards them. But Jinzhao stops ZDC getting a great play towards it, can't get the Empower Q, rooted up by Haichao and Kepler. This Karma doing a huge amount of work alongside the rest of the team.
Yeah, and then, of course, over the wall comes Birdall, having kept Haichao out of the pit for large portions of it. Got a bit dicey.
Right. So, Profane Hydra from Birdle, we saw that in the last fight, and that did some damage. Now we have the Nashers coming in from Kepler. He's got himself an extra Fiendish Codex as well. Might even be going towards something like a Horizon Focus himself if he feels like he wants to get some extra cooldown reduction. It doesn't build into stuff like Banshees and Zhonya's anymore. Could just be a misclick. We'll just see how that one goes. But either way, Kepler very, very strong with the W upgrade now, and that means that Weibo are going to feel a lot harder pressed to play at range and try and wait for the big engage, particularly if these Kai'Sa W start landing. You are going to get chunked.
Watch it be Lich Bane, just for the additional empowered auto. With a bit of ability haste. It would actually be that awful if he's going to assassinate
Not
people,
to talk about Arena too much, one of my favorite Kai'Sa builds was Ethereal Weapon, where your abilities apply on hits. So you build Nash's and Lich Bane and Blade of the Ruin King, and you'd fire a W and it would apply all three on the W.
No.
It was quite intense. Right, okay, Baron push in from LGD. They're going to get themselves a dragon. That'll be soul points. They're going to potentially get themselves a push into top lane to finally break open that top lane tower as well. Can't imagine Weibo holding on to that one with this Baron buff available. So LGD going through top side, getting some vision down, hopefully clearing some stuff out. They're going to spot a couple of these pink wards on the way, and Weibo can't hold on to this tower. This one was kind of always a given. Weibo going to start bleeding some gold out in structures.
And you're on the verge of being down Cloud Soul when you've got AD carriers trying to disengage from a Poppy, Aatrox, Kai'Sa, Karma. That is so much speed. It's going to turn into Drive to Survive here, guys. You're getting behind the scenes of some F1 drivers looking to break their opponents on the rift.
So, funnily enough, last year, Rare Atom's mid laner was called Strive. And
No.
for me, every time he did well, or it was all about him, it was Strive to survive. Sadly, he's not on the roster, so that he didn't survive. Sad news there, I suppose. But LGD, last of that Baron buff, it's not going to be the explosive Baron power play, but it's still going to be a lot of big item breakpoints. They have themselves a significant gold lead. Weibo, they can just get themselves these one isolated picks with stuff like the Zeri, Bard, Tristana, and the Maokai all kind of helping pick people out of position. So LGD, they're not out of the woods just yet. In fact, there's an angry tree in those woods waiting for them. But LGD still hold themselves the advantage with, as we said, big item breakpoints.
I have to admit, I've spent the last 20 seconds or so thinking of potential driver name puns.
Yeah.
And the best I've got is High Chamilton, which I don't think is excellent, but it's what we've got.
That's good. I like that one. Okay, well. Yeah, I don't have any more.
Yeah, that's the best I've got for now. I tried for Verstappen, there was just no way.
Yeah. Okay, push in towards the bot side. Baron buff has run out. We don't have Kai'Sa here right now for the W poke, but when they start landing, just remember the W refund cooldown is through. Here comes the first. It's not the best damage, but the Karma Mantra Q definitely helps with that. Kepler firing another one over. Misses that one at least. Taking themselves the inner turret without the help of the Baron. LGD, they have a serious death ball starting to roll now. There's Mantra E's, the Mantra Q's, very powerful.
Weibo here, sat in their awake hits. A little bit worse for wear. Green's normally supposed to be a colour meaning go, all things good, and unfortunately the systems this time around looking a little bit red. Crisp on a potential flank angle. Don't know whether this one's going to be
CDC can teleport, so he has got his choice of wards to go to. See what they can do. This feels like last chance. Here comes the Markarl, here comes the teleport, here comes the last chance.
Meteor throws down one and knocks away the Tristana. A 4v5 with so much of a DPS gone. The big tempered fate though catches 4. Massive healing backwards and Shahu's back around. They've got 2 already. And now the rest of LGD have to run away to safety. What an ultimate from Crisp.
Oh, but Crisp has now gone too far. He has no flash in the next few seconds. Danger mode for them. As Weibo, they blow both teleports in that. Xiao, who shunted out, teleports back in to get closer to the plate. And now they're able to push up and get something. How many times can they make this play, though? It's not going to get a Baron. It's on the wrong timing for that. It's not going to get a Dragon. It's on the wrong timing for that as well. They get themselves 2 turrets for this play, but this is the last real power play they had with their summoners. It's also going to tide them over to potentially 3 items onto Xiao, who you can see how much damage Light was doing in this play. This Zeri finally gets a grouped up team fight with that lightning start railing through different members. Hero of this fight is Crisp once again though. You know, Crisp in the World Finals, he had one of the worst Bard games that I can remember in recent memory. This time though, getting great value. The redemption even comes over for extra damage. Crisp, maximum value out of this team fight. But how many times can Weibo do this? They don't have any teleports to pull that off again.
It's a good moment, but it needs to be done more consistently at least. Buys you a 3.5 item Zeri. That's pretty scary. Infinity Edge, Hurricane, the Hex Drinker as well. Light, how often has he been the game winner for Weibo Gaming when things have looked dire? He's been so good in those late game scenarios. The problem is, it's a 4 item build on the other side for Kepler, who has got that Horizon focus we were musing about.
But he doesn't have any Magic Pen, and now we have a Hex Drinker coming in from the side of Light and a Spirit Visage for ZDZ. So his poke is actually going to start falling off a little bit until he builds up something like a Crypt Bloom, which can really help out his damage build. He doesn't exactly have himself any Magic Pen right now.
Third item just completed for Xiaohu as well, as picked up a Bloodthirst to try and survive out some of the early poke, and also call out Xiaohao. Second item on this AP Maokai, gone towards the Imperial Mandate, which once upon a time was a bit of a staple for supportive AP carries. This time around we'll be looking to double up the damage for some of those ADs.
A reminder, as this game gets close in our deciding game here, LGD lose, they are out of playoffs. Weibo lose, they're not out, but they do miss out on a chance to leapfrog their way back up towards about 8th place and get themselves into playoff standings. 8th, 9th place, something around there. They overtake LNG and anyone's legend with a win here. If they lose, things get very dicey. You have a couple of series left in this split where you have to really start questioning whether they can win them. JDG, Invictus Gaming, no slouches, and Weibo have shown a lot of flaws in their gameplay. LGD, if they can finish things off here, they keep a Miracle Run dream alive, and they put Weibo's to rest.
They need to close out this game, though. That last teleport flank did break them just a little bit. That tier 2 in mid lane still holding. Of course, an inhibitor exposed in mid lane for LGD means if Weibo pull off another one of those fights, the game can end pretty swiftly with the base broken already.
See that the AP W's from Kaiser doing a lot of work. Xiaohu jumping all the way over towards Baron. Of course, he has the Navori, so he can start charging up his jump again very quickly. Vision control gone. How much time are you going to have to use these AP? That's too short, Kepler. You got to get closer, pushing these minions in, but now he doesn't have his W for the next play. Baron's just gone.
Yeah, and they're not going to take the dragon on the other side either. They just back away too late. The ultimate's actually
very lazy.
As well. Yeah.
Very, very lazy from LGD. I know they don't want to walk into a Maokai and the Bard ult and potentially open up for a play, but Kepler, lazy with his positioning on the W. LGD, not close enough. They will get themselves a Cloud Soul at trade for the Baron. So Weibo, they want to get themselves pressure on the map. Weibo staying in topside to keep pushing on with the Baron.
Exactly that. Xiaohu did not back away. He did stay in this top lane. He's got himself 3 items in level 17. He is going to be a shoving machine. I don't think he's going to be able to attack the tier 2 quite in time, but we'll at least get the waves shoved out and set them up for later Blue Peter style.
So, Cloud Soul, very good for Aatrox, pretty good for Poppy too, actually. Even Kaiser likes it. But the problem is, that movement speed is very hard to use when you're CC'd up by a Maokai and by a Bard. So Weibo, if they land the CC, that Cloud Soul doesn't have to mean anything. It feels like an economy Baron. Feels like one which is here just to kind of like solve the debt of Weibo from the gold deficit they played out for most of this game. Light, very, very strong. And he has been the real shining star for Weibo. I can put a lot of criticism elsewhere on the roster, pretty much every role, but Light's the one player I say, you know what? He's actually been good. He's been one of our very best AD carries in the LPL, and he's on a late game Zeri. Zeri versus Kaiser, late game. We've almost got something like a Void Staff or the Crypt Bloom coming in for Kepler. If he can complete that before the next big fight, that would be a game changer. I just don't know if he'll have the gold for it, though. I don't think he will.
At least the Blighting Jewel means that his poke is going to hit that little bit harder. Could be very valuable because the range here from LGD could prove to be a bit of a game changer if they can start hitting some of those W's. So far, Kepler, a bit of a swing and a miss so far. The hook lands on the other side to Xiaohao, though. He's knocked up, in goes Kaiser, down! But it's a turnaround kill already. The Nautilus dies to the hands of Light. Big chunk on the other side, and that will be Meteor falling. Oh, becomes a ZDZ. They hop over the wall, flash away from Haichao. Big slow on the Soul Flare, but the one magical journey means people come on in. But Bernal into the backside with the Whirlwind running. It's just not going to matter because, of course, on the other side, Light picks up a triple. Xiaohu picks up a 1 for himself as well. And Weibo Gaming win the fight.
Consistently inconsistent might explain their heart rate at this point. Weibo, if they lost this, would have put themselves in a very dangerous spot. They've done enough, though. And with the teleport back to base from Haichao, I just don't think it's enough. He'll try and wave clip. Actually, it will be. I'll take that back. Weibo, they win the fight. They push into the base, they take 2 inhibitors, but they don't end the game. LGD have one last shot as they've thrown a couple into the wild, really. That last team fight, Kepler jumps into a huge amount of damage from Light. We'll see that in the replay. They get a pick onto Xiaohao, and that's a good start for this. The CC lands, you have the Plasma on top of it, but look at how much damage Kepler takes. Jumps into the Kaiser, into the Zeri, who destroys the HP bar. Kepler, very, very unwise decision of him to follow that in so deeply. As soon as the Kaiser doesn't have the ability to keep jumping forwards with high HP, just cannot carry this fight.
And a flash over the wall immediately from ZDZ and Light to claim that one. Of course, Light got very low there and does nearly go down, but that final stun does so much to keep the Zeri alive. And of course, you can see how stressed the backroom staff are. Can you blame them? The heart rates must be hitting a little bit of arrhythmia right now.
Okay, so Kepler has Void Staff now. You can see that he's doing more damage to ZDZ than he was before. These fights have not been happening quick enough though for the Poke Kaiser to really be the problematic champion though. Again, this is why we were saying, hey, what happens if we do have the Poke Kaiser as the Observer's Highlight Award? Xiaohu has teleport, ZDZ doesn't, but it does mean that Weibo spot when Kepler is charging up the W, which can help you have a bit of advanced notice. Really need to see how much damage this Poke Kaiser can do. Again, he's just stood on a ward as he's firing them. 5 1-on-1, but not having the late game impact.
Nope, not managing to find what they were looking for. Xiaohu now with a Guardian Angel completed as well. This Tristan was already proving a bit of a nightmare to manage. You've got a Guardian Angel on Light as well, who has foregone anything like the Lord Dominic's regarded Guardian Angel on ZDZ. That is 3 extra lives you've got to get through. And yes, you can do that, but getting a pick onto one of these important members is so challenging now for LGD.
Particularly with Weibo having the level 18 Tristana, just playing at such a long range. Got the pop ult to try and save the turret. The bomb already doing some significant damage to Jinzhao and Kepler though. Meteor, big damage. And we do have a cross map. Potential backstop. ZDZ caught out. Can they just Kaiser ult onto this?
I think they can go on in. There's a teleport coming as well. This is a huge moment. They're teleporting back themselves. Kepler in a dangerous position. Needs to find his way out. Begins to run away as Light does so much damage to Temper Fate just wide. And it means that Kepler out of this fight. Jinzhao needs to run away. But the magical journey's in a wall slide with a spark surge towards what could be an electrifying end to the game. They tried to get the pick and they lose a member.
LGD overstay for that play onto ZDZ. They don't even get his Guardian Angel. They should have just kept Birdle in bot lane and tried to delay the backs. I think they can get that even with a 4v1 and look to back off. Big mistake from LGD in the late game. Again, this team, we said they look better than their series score, but these kind of mistakes in clutch moments have been the difference maker against them. The knife has definitely been on its edge for a lot of this series, but this one, it feels like Weibo, with their veterancy in the late game, have just had the better heads on their shoulders. Hit the Kaiser W. You have a lot of ability to gun this guy down, but I just think you have to back off. You can't commit this heavily. You don't have the phase rush on the Poppy. This is the negative of this build. When you do your full combo, normally you can run away as the Poppy. You can't do that with the Dark Harvest. And Light's so threatening. I feel like in most of the fights, Light just hopping over into wall and getting into that pocket to get some good damage down has been the difference maker. And LGD have not been able to use Karma Mantra Qs and the Kaiser Ws to be the difference maker themselves.
Still got to deal with all 3 of those GAs as well. What a challenging position for LGD. What a solid comeback from Weibo Gaming when it was looking pretty dire. Earlier stage of the game, the Temper Fate goes wide for once. Crisp has normally been so clean with those. Now actually it's LGD in position around the Baron. Elder Dragon spawning in 13 seconds. Are we seeing a trade or a contest?
Well, I think that LGD, they do have a late game Kaiser, cuts it down quickly, has the Rage Blade, but this will be at threat of a steal. Xiaohu's in the area.
Gonna try and nick this one. I knocked away. That's a solid keeper's verdict. He's up a 4v5. ZDZ into the backside, getting a lot of healing. Will go down into the J, but Kepler already down so low. And no realistic way to heal up. Has got a honey fruit behind him at best.
Can help. CDZ crawls his way out. He has a teleport. He can go back. They have vision on him from the Horizon Focus. They know he's doing this. Empowered recalls will get some out. How many will it get out? Light.
Boy, they've just lost their
Q.
They've lost their AD carry, and the rest of LGD need to back away. And the rest of Weibo coming to interrupt them. I think they're going to lose at least 1 here.
The Empowered recalls gets 1. Can they get another?
No way!
There's no jump forward from Xiaohu. So LGD, amidst everything else and saying that it has been on the knife's edge, which is cut against them more often than not, they walk away with a Baron on 5 members as Weibo are left spectating. Elder is up. There are 2 inhibs down. There is a chance of potentially a backdoor from someone from Weibo. They have 1 teleport. ZD is not the best at killing towers, but you gotta show that threat. At least put it on the table. LGD, they get back out onto the map. They're ready to contest.
Of course, they lost a Nexus turret taking the Baron, so LGD took the gamble, gets away with it. If it all gone wrong, that would have been game over. ZDZ hit with another W. Birdle looking for the flank, and the Elder Dragon the next point of contest.
I wonder... Well, no, Birdle, no teleports. Wondering if you could just go towards mid lane. You can see there's a help flag from Weibo onto the mid wave. They don't want to let that minion wave go completely there. Double AD carries, shredding down the Elder.
Big Soul Flare on a Xiao, who down about half HP, of course, with the Bloodthirst, should be able to heal up relatively well. Watch for the Keeper's Verdict as well. The Maokai ultimate comes flying across Nature's Grasp.
Jinzhao.
Things work as Jinzhao in danger down lower territory. The double Keeper's Verdict means this should be Elder for LGD. Light slides over the wall. They must secure, but look at the HP bars. They're so desperately low. Have claimed the Elder. Burn all damage in the backside, and they roar to life. ZDZ comes down, the Crocodile falling. Xiaohao trying to run away. Gets hit with the W. Elder Dragon burn. Now they're resetting. No! It's doubles for the side of Kepler, who goes flying over the wall with Haicho with the W, trying to get the root to keep Light down for the kites. He's down. He's dead. The light is snuffed. Weibo Gaming once again fall at the final hurdle.
You don't need a telescope to see the damage that Kepler is doing. 9-1-2, so often locked out of the late game. But with this victory, Weibo are in dire straits. They are not currently in playoffs. And LGD, there is a slim hope for them still. They take the series 2-1 and put themselves at 4 and 10 in the standings. Absolute scenes here in Shanghai.
It was high drama, to be sure. It looked like Weibo Gaming find their way back. They had full builds, 8 lives to work with, 3 Guardian Angels.
Folks. This is very dramatic. There is another series happening right now, and we might have to jump straight into that. We're going to go see exactly what's happening with TT versus WE. That's taking place in Xi'an. It's a different arena. We're going to switch over to that now. Congratulations over to Weibo. Oh, sorry, oh god, not to Weibo.
Commiserations.
Oh god. And we will get ourselves immediately into the second series of the day. So, as we come into our second series of the day, of course, the first series, very dramatic. Weibo fall in their first series of the day to LGD. And we have ourselves now series between Team WE in the home arena, of course, and Xi'an versus TT. We're pretty far into the mid game. We've missed the early game. Looks like it's been quiet-ish. Only 4 kills onto the board for TT. No, it's not been quiet. Feels like actually TT have a lot of advantages here in the early game.
Yeah, and it's a couple thousand gold, and importantly, the Jace has been kind of put behind 0-2-0 for Wayward. Yucal about to claim a turret down towards spot side. Thundertalk Gaming without a turret right now. WE with 6 grubs and a Jace. At some point that'll become threatening again, but of course Jace having lost the early game and actually gone towards a Ghost Blade rather than something like the Opportunity, which has been the build of choice. There's a lot about how this game has been going.
I think it's just for the safety of saying, look, I got to get the hell out of here. I can't keep distance against Hoya on the Xante. Worth noting, Wayward, the tagline that the LPL broadcast and myself and Munchables in particular have been keeping up for this team has been Wayward is the gatekeeper top lane. This guy has been the player who does very well against struggling top lanes but struggles against elite ones. He's kind of been a good benchmark to see, you know, players like Xiao Shu. He's been performing he performed very well against Wayward in this series. And it's worth also noting, WE, we thought this team could be top 4. They had the schedule to look for it, especially after the early split. Prince was subbed in back over Stay. I think Prince has struggled. I think that Stay was performing much better on the roster. And especially after WE lost to Rare Atom, it felt like WE have started to really fall apart. Got to fight on the bot side.
It's going to be a Herald engage onto the other side to get onto some back and damage as Yucal knocked around. 1xN though beginning to fire at the back end of this alongside the Smolder ultimate. Brings Wayward down to about 10% HP. And Thundertalk Gaming get away from danger. That got dicey for both teams.
It did for just 1 second. The Herald slammed a little too far away to deliver, hung in for a big burst combo. But still, slow things down. And again, reminder, we ended up missing the draft in the early game, so that'll be why it's missing from the VOD if you guys are watching a little bit later on as well. Such is the nature of playing across multiple venues. The first series of the day was in Shanghai. A couple of our teams, like WE, have their own home arenas as well. TT, 5-8. There is a chance now, with Weibo losing a series earlier today, that they could make themselves into playoffs too. What a series that would be. What could they do with this one? As it stands in this, Chocho, great frontlining as this Alistair. Gets straight in front of this Jason, says, nope, no shot blast beyond this point. You're not allowed to bouncer for this team fight. And the front line for TT, very, very strong in this game.
Oh yeah, and the fact is, if that front line can buy enough time for Viego to reset with Talia and Smolder to help execute people, the ability to run people down from a long, long way away gets quite scary to manage. Prince will claim a turret on the bot side, but Yucal looking to trade it on the other side and should have no real problem doing so. You can see in the jungle, Beishwan and Chocho are around, so Wayward rightfully a little bit nervous to walk up towards this lane.
So, a couple of other things about this team composition as well. So we are getting another Kai'Sa. It's going to be another Shiv Rageblade into Nash's Kai'Sa. It's not going to be the full poke. You do have very long range composition. You are, however, against that Smolder. It does scale up. Has felt like, though, in the LPL, Smolder has been answered finally really by Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa has ended up being a big kind of threat with that. And also worth noting, of course, he got Fofo on the way, one of his most powerful champions. He's really managed to incorporate that into his champion pool. Fofo was a player that, I think, in previous years, felt like he was a bit of kind of like a two-trick. Jace Azir, LeBlanc when he was in meta. He struggled to have himself really big games on different champions. Having the way as a powerful champion right now in the meta really, really helps with that. TT ahead in the early game, though, with the Smolder. They'll very much be happy with that one, though. It feels like with Alistar, with Cassandra, they can block out a lot of the poke, and the Smolder, they can really start going forward with a lot of their damage too. And Yukao, one of the greatest Taliyah players of all time. 1-0-3 on his pick.
Yep, that's part of it. And here we go to an early game that has kind of now transitioned over towards that mid stage. Plates falling about 5 minutes ago. And, 2 items largely complete, and the fact that Yukao, with a lot of this early kill investment and a lot of the early CS lead, 20 CS ahead of schedule, feeling pretty good about that death cap on the horizon.
Yeah, I think sitting on the Haunting guys in this game makes a lot of sense. You don't have to go through a lot of HP stackers. If you hit the backline, they will explode if you have a death cap, though, which very much helps with them. Hoya picks up the Jack Show. It's going to be really nasty to get through him in terms of these team fights as well. WE clearing out some topside vision. Have good vision in general, actually. And when you have vision control with a Jace that's about to hit towards Miramana, in fact, does it just as I say it, WE hopefully can get a pocket of vision, start landing some crucial skill shots, and then use a HP advantage to go towards objective fights like this Baron.
And Wayward now, having completed that second item, got the Miramana transformation, feeling a little bit more valuable again, was kind of bit anemic before this point, as Fofo was just catapulted into the enemy red buff there by Wayward. That was nearly very dangerous.
That's fun. I like to call that fun and interactive gameplay. That can really help. So we see Prince starting to fire through these Ws, not the W upgrade just yet.
So obviously, League is quite careful about allowing champions' ability to mess with your own teammates. Bard, perhaps.
The one champion I truly hate in League of Legends, the one which I never bought Bard. It was a whole point that I said Bard was the one champion I'd never own. Someone gifted it to me and I couldn't refund it.
That's horrific.
So I couldn't do anything about that.
I'm so sorry.
I know, it was a traumatic day for me. But yeah, Tom Kench's another one.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but of course, one of the big ones for me is the stories of Swain's development. I'm kind of just keeping our eyes here. I think it is just vision control contested. I don't think we're seeing a fight quite yet. But one of the big things with Swain's development was originally when your teammates died, it would empower Swain.
Oh.
So everyone was like, "Go die for Noxus." Was like,
so
it was like encouraging people to run it down for as cool as it was. So they took that away from it. But one of my favorite dev phrases and kind of like one of those dev stories is just these playtesters laughing maniacally and saying, "Go die for Noxus." It's just excellent. It does make me smile a bit. But of course, not really a possibility right now. The only way is you get to mess with people are things like blast cones on a regular basis, which is where this little tangent all came from. And Thunder Talk and WE finished their contesting around vision control, and it seems to be TT that sweep out most of the wards. There's no real wards available. Both teams came across and got rid of all of them.
Yukao picks up death cap. Important moment in this game. Of course, he has those pen boots as well. He's not even going towards, doesn't feel like he needs any defensive boots or cooldown ones. A lot of the time, majors are kind of skipping a lot of the pen boots now. When you look at the strength of stuff like the Ionian boots, the lucidity can be very powerful there. WE here, however, still controlling topside vision. Now they're finally starting Baron. TT, they don't know what's going on until they put down that blue trinket. Can they contest those? It's going down quick.
It's going down very fast. Of course, this is a 2-item Kai, so it's going to be very, very low indeed. H1 is going to be finally here. Can look over the wall and gets in, but not enough to steal it. Now, what about the fight afterwards? Has to be more of the question. Already they've lost the jungler. Have WE hung down for the count. Fofo and Wayward now trying to run away on the other side. Wayward gets the speed up. Good buffer there from Hoya. But I think WE have just gotten away with the heist. Everyone out for now.
Well, not everyone. They have 4 people, so that's still going to be a victory for them. It's still 4 people with that on the board, and TT just not respecting the vision control. They don't want to walk too far into the active artillery zone of Team WE, but they also shouldn't have given that one for free. Prince, you need to be careful here.
Oh my days, the damage back is huge. Over comes Chocho, and that leads people out. The Smolder ultimate! Not quite enough to claim the kill onto Prince, down to about 5% HP. Now H1 looking to potentially punish I1D, will not dive any further. Instead, they'll just look for the tier 1 in mid lane, and having pushed Prince back.
Yeah, guys, Prince has not necessarily been happy days for WE. Remember, he was competing with the spot with Stay. They've put a lot of belief into Prince. I have to say, I don't share that belief. He makes a lot of positioning errors like this in crucial moments, even though he's walked away with stuff like the misfortune pentakill he had earlier in the year. There has been some worry moments too. Well, walking up towards Wayward, who now maybe feels like he can take a fight despite the early game deficit. He feels a lot happy with the CS lead and the item break points.
Brutalizer back in. Paid elite gold to get a hold of that one. Looking towards that third item. I think it's Cyrilda's likely on the Jace. It often is third item.
If you're building the Brutalizer, it's either going to be the Profane Hydra or it's going to be the Cyrilda's, and unless you built the Profane Hydra as the first item as Jace, you're never really going to go.
Yeah, that was kind of my understanding, so that all makes some sense. Xendo, 001, got himself towards the breakpoint on Smolder, looking to get towards the rapid fire cannon as well. Yes, it's a good Baron for WE, but I don't know if it's game breaking.
He's off a vision here.
Prince! Great angle! Now he needs to try and run away. Prince does get a decent ult away, throwing some good DPS back, continuing to ult with a Smolder ultimate across the top, brings down the Void Huntress, and Smolder roaring to life. It's double for him, a single for Yukal, a teleport back towards the mid lane to continue the chase, as the Molten Fissure from Fofo buys some time, and Chocho breaks WE's hopes. Nothing elite left to be found here. It's just some poor old veterans as Fofo running away with the Path of Water, trying to get some time out. Hoya over the wall. Not going to go for it as Fofo has to flash to get out.
Oh, another combo. I wonder in trouble now too.
Huge moments there from Chocho, who has been very fearless as he engages.
So suddenly, Baron power play, minus 1,376 gold.
No.
Going to be even more than that now, an inner turret falls with it as well. And a lot of this is, again, positioning errors from Team WE. They over-push too far. Chocho slips off a vision and TT punish. What this means is that they get to stall, they get through to 3 items on 1xN, who, of course, is at that execute threshold already. I mean, just walking too close to Fog of War. Prince, what are you doing positioning away from your front line like this? Called out that he's had some issues in late game, some big flubs. Fires the W backwards as well, too.
Oh, no.
Awkward moment for him, which, of course, in late game can be a big thing. Resets come through. Viego, one of the big champions to kind of strap up some of these teams which have struggled with Amogus. That's the Viego. Anyway, but the Viego,
very sus jungle.
Despite the fact that he leaves these sus marks with these frickin' Amogus things with the mist on there, it just means that with the reset you can play towards easy win conditions for struggling teams.
I mean, it also makes sense, right? Because he gets to play towards these struggling win conditions, but he can also be the imposter by literally taking over someone's body. He's not who you think they are. See, it all fits together, guys.
So, Baron player play has run off. WE lost a lot of gold for it. They do have themselves Soul Point. It'd be Cloud Salt. That'd be nice for them. It definitely helps when you've got someone like Fofo with very little mobility. The Cloud Salt can kind of help you bridge that gap and say you can maybe get away from a Fofo in some big moments. Really feels like, though, TT, with the 3 items on Smolder and a strong front line, are very happy with how this game is now going. And if they win this, again, the stakes of this game are WE are still part of this pack at the 7-win kind of mark, which is very much in danger of being leapfrogged over at the very last moment for LPL playoffs. TT, they are below that, but they have themselves a little bit of that underdog buff. 5 wins, it's not unthinkable to say that they could pick up some shock wins at the end of the split to get themselves into contention.
Especially with Weibo just losing. If WE lose as well, some of those teams they would be competing against, falling short, these last couple hurdles could be exactly what the doctor ordered to get into playoffs, and that's the best kind of medicine for team success, isn't it?
Well, TT, this will be the easiest of their remaining matches. They face Top Esports and then FPX. So they have 2 very strong titles. Yukal called out. Chocho goes in.
Oh, another good engagement. Now he's very deep, but Hoya's there as well, and 1xN begins to call out his mother once more, and that particular helicopter parent brings her own arsenal. It's an Apache coming in from the home of the Dragons. They gate 2. Prince gets 1 back, yes, but I think the damage already done. Baseline goes forward, having stolen the Xin Sao's frame. Gets another reset, but is immediately killed before he can claim another body. A triple kill to 1xN regardless, and Prince alive, but he's the only member doing it. Goes to the backside, tries to get something more, cannot get the execute with the Acathian Rain. The only thing left are the tears on his face. It's a bad day for Rain. Lands the W. Get the Seraph's shield, and Prince backs away. Agent Mustang references.
TT, very, very close to closing out this game. Prince can't make the hero play to make up for some of his positioning errors just a little earlier. The TT, they walk away victorious in that bot side play. Nonetheless, it's going to... wow, got to the point where 1xN has said, all right, screw this magic damage, screw this poke Kaiser, Kanik Rukken. He's built in, as his last item says, I've got my damage items now. I just need to go tanky. There's no point me going towards the Bloodthirst, so let's go towards that after that point. 1xM gets good damage across the rest of the team. Chocho, really the hero of this last couple of minutes, though. Not a great combo towards it at the very end, but he's been starting fights and using his ultimate so effectively to allow WE, well, not allow WE room to breathe.
Yeah, and Prince there nearly got some magic happening. I will give him some credit there. That was nearly the ult to find 3 people, but didn't quite have the DPS this time around. Still level 15. On a level, give him a bit more room to breathe with the ultimate. As you said, 4th item, Kainic Ruka for 1xN. It's going to be harder to manage as well, especially with how much AP damage is coming out.
So, Poke comp from Team WE has got items, but they have to go through a front line. Hoya, every time he walks forward like this, you gotta feel pretty scared for Team WE. Chocho, he has his ult, it's rank 2 now. He's got even more frontline potential. 1xN, level 16. He has Kainic Ruka, as we've said. Very hard to take down. Has Overshield as well for Overheal. Baron started, Dragon potentially started from TT. Objectives on the table. Those big items will change how the way these teams play.
Those will pull away from the Dragon, a little bit afraid of that rapid Baron take. A 3-item Kai'Sa, 3.5-item Kai'Sa would delete it. Way not awful either with the amount of abilities he can throw down onto a Baron, so moving back onto it. WE starting up. Hoya chunked out a little bit before this fight begins, but he is a Kasante, so has a lot of HP to work with regardless.
Prince and Hung were trying to burn down that Baron a little further. You can see that now Ucal with teleport, with so many items, burning down the Dragon himself. So no Cloud Soul for Team WE. Dragon's done. TT, they survived the objective question that was posed to them. It was a threat from WE. You take one of these, we take the other. Instead, they sneak one away and hold firm on the other. Hoya can teleport in if he wants to, and we could regen some HP.
So eyes now on the likes of the Jace, who's picked up their 3rd item, which could prove a bit of a break point.
I really love this item from 1xM. The overheal, and then the Kainic as well, means he can actually walk up, trade poke for poke. He has the rapid fire cannon. He has his triple damage combo. He doesn't need to get hit by skill shots, but if he does, it makes it so much harder for Prince to do work.
Really heads up item build, I'm there with you, making it very difficult to manage. I thought last game when we were talking about the previous series, the GAs might be enough to 1xN caught flashing away. That was nearly very dangerous.
Yeah, walks himself into a bad spot, and just as we were saying, we appreciate this tank items. They might have saved his life from his poor positioning. Gets caught by the Eye of Sauron on the floor. Means that TT now give up position on the top side after that chunk goes down. 1xM doesn't have a way to get back into this fight. I wonder if he just needs to stick around and just hope that he can make this work. But with the choke points now taken by Team WE, very dangerous for TT.
H1 has flash and ult available to get in, and Weaver's wall pops the pit into half. Now Iwandi pull back with a seismic shot, but once again buffers it well, and the last displacement always takes precedence. So Iwandi gets to go for a Spider-Man cosplay.
Yeah, manages to get it out in a timing as well before the rocks go down on the floor, so he doesn't take any damage from that one, importantly so. TT, they survived the choke point, big point for them. WE feels like they're really just trying to hold this long-range position, particularly with its sway, with so much damage as well.
Yeah.
Being a really nasty threat once you start walking through. Just that one entrance into River from the red side jungle. If you can walk through mid lane, it's fine. It's a wider spot to walk through. If you're against poke champions and choke point compositions, that's where you want to walk through. That's why mid priority is so strong. But TT, they cannot afford to eat too many of those skill shots.
They cannot, and of course, the fact that you have now got the Jace at 3 items, you can't ignore his poke anymore. Kai'Sa's nearly got Death Cap. You certainly will be able to ignore her poke. We've already talked about Fofo with the 3 items on the way, doing a lot of work, particularly once you start to get towards those lower HP thresholds, and Severing Bolts begin to edge towards those execute thresholds. Quite there yet. Baron's still a consideration, but Undertalk Gaming still nominally with the better position in the game.
TT 70 CS lead in both jungle and AD carry. Beichuan 2 levels up on Hung. He has himself a Sterix as well, gives him some tenacity, gives him some extra HP. Doesn't have that much magic resist or armor, which means that it's harder for him to actually survive. You know, I mean, the HP is there, but the HP is going to go disappearing at a faster rate than it would do for someone like Hoya. And we've already seen the items on 1xN making a big difference. He's got a Vamp Scepter in inventory now. Between that and the Fleet Footwork, he can use his overheal pretty damn well. Here comes the Weaver's Wall trying to split off the team.
Does keep Fofo on the wrong side of it. They can't land onto anybody important. Wayward is fast enough to run away at this point with a Ghost Blade and a form change to get out to safety. Quick Jace, that's for sure.
Dragon coming up in 2 minutes. TT struggling to find fights. The Eye of Sauron once again lands onto Hoya, and he gets the Q3 back this time.
Big damage. Overcomes a small Orderman. Wayward forced to flash away. Knocked down to the execute throws away. Hung has got himself across the goal, trying to keep himself safe, but needs to be afraid as they begin to get burned down again. Dragonfire melts absolutely everything. They cannot run far enough away, although I say that, and a dredge line might be able to pull them out of the abyss just about. They lose just one,
Smite.
but it's the jungler.
Smite is still gone. HP bars still gone. They might have to pull double teleports at the hopes of a contest. You have the Leandries. Well, not the Leandries. They have the just huge DPS from UCal in late game to Lear. 1xN on the Smolder as well. No slash with that. With WWE, they do try and contest, but they can't win the Smite fight.
Very afraid. Can they land the poke? They've got 3 poke champions who could do some work, but it's just gone. Severing Bolt goes wide now. Flash forward from Chocho to get onto Prince, who immediately flashes away in turn. Now Wayward left in a dangerous position, trying to run to safety. Go through the acceleration gate, and he will also change to the Mercury Hammer form, but 1xN. Flap, flap, flap to try and keep up. There's a Scream face coming forwards, but Edvard Munch might have already written that or drawn that painting.
You've got Moby boost from Chocho. He'll catch up.
On the other side, Fofo in danger, flashes over the Weaver's wall. Yukol flashes back out, the Spiraling Despair comes on through. And Wayward actually does manage to get back towards his base, and Thunder Talk cannot claim more gales.
So, Prince going towards top side. He pushes in a wave there. TT, they're actually is that a teleport? No, it wasn't for a second. I thought it was. Not going to be the case. So, wave push in from top side from Prince. Dragon up. 30 seconds. TT, they're going to take the gold from taking the Baron itself. And then summon the kill after, just before that as well, to get themselves into a strong position. Bloodthirster now from 1xN. Very powerful moment for him. Feels like between Overshield, and then you've got the Bloodthirster and the Kenic Rookham. Lots of ability to just survive through the initial burst. And Prince, he's not been doing so well at that initial entrance to the play. Once again, caught out by Chocho. It was a flash combo. I'm not going to necessarily say that it was on Prince's fault for that one, but he is really struggling to make this late game be felt from this late game Kai'Sa.
3 of the kills and a death cap complete. He will be important. That's sole point now for Thunder Talk Gaming. It's not sold. Of course, WE claimed many of those Drakes earlier on. The Baron to their name, and actually Hong on the other side trying to claim what they can from Thunder Talk's jungle. Really around to defend. They are full batten down the hatches mode, trying to hold on to their base.
1xN, how many stacks you got? 406. Woo! God damn, that is well over 10 a minute, which we sometimes expect from this champion. 1xN farming up a storm. It's much less of this baby dragon now. Like someone's gonna stream Dracarys, and armies are gonna start falling before him. Chocho, when he gets his teleport, and not teleport, his flash up as well, I really feel like TT look for another big fight. UCal once again hiding in Fog of War to potentially put that wall down. Hoya shuffling in the wave in mid lane. TT, they have themselves a good formation here.
Doing their very best to hold on things where they can. 1xN clears out more of the wave. How much does that Super Scorcher Breath do now? How many little bloblets does it drop down? UCal throwing some poke himself, but they can't quite get towards his turret. There is still enough wave clear from WE.
They really need to have Chocho's flash so we can get immediately into the play, plop his ultimate, and then dodge out on some, well, block out on some of those skill shots. It's not available at this point though. TT, they will take the last of this Baron buff, not actually gaining that much gold for it.
No.
And look, it is getting stacks and smaller. It's buying time for your next cooldowns to come up as well in terms of your summoner spells, but when you're against huge poke champions, death cap on Kai'Sa, it feels like you're not just going to snooze your way into a victory. You have great front line to soak up some of that poke, but even this front line is going to feel that sting soon.
Difficult to manage for sure. They're still going to have to find a way to break the base. They got the Baron, but they didn't really get anything with it. Is the problem for Thunder Talk. They need to get a fight or something with it, because otherwise WE's ability to stall and buy time is still pretty good. They just get to play from miles and miles and miles away.
Yeah, the thing about poke is that often doubles up as wave clear. It's one of the big things about a lot of the big poke champions that became a real threat in the past. Stuff like Xerath, well, obviously the big one, Ziggs as well. The wave clear that comes with them, with the artillery factor of it, very, very annoying. Of course, we've got 3 dragons apiece. Next dragon up in 3 minutes. Baron up in 2.5. We have a bit of a breather, which means time to stack, time to push out waves, time to put down vision, time to set up for what could be the last act of this game. I wonder if there's another stalling play left in this. I feel like as long as the wave clear is gone from Team WE, things go very, very poorly after that point, and even just one random kill could be the end of things. If it's a good kill onto UCal, a good kill onto 1xN, hell, even taking out someone from the front line from TT could be very valuable from Team WE to open up access to the back line. On the other side, because you've got Viego, resets. It just feels like one kill could be the end of it. It's about discipline now, about your setup. How do you get the best angle into these fights without giving up an easy kill, which is so quick to go down with the amount of damage in the late game?
Still now looking for Yucal to get the last item complete. It's actually got a Phoenix Codex in for even more ability haste, trying to bring those cooldowns as low as they can. Quite sure that Phoenix Codex is going to go towards, actually. Does Phoenix Codex even build towards Onyas anymore? I don't think it does, because there's an NLR in there now, so it doesn't go into that. I'm not imagining Lichbane.
Give me something like a Cosmic Drive, I suppose.
That's true.
I mean, yeah, Cosmic Drive's pretty okay for Taliyah because it allows you to chase down fights well, but I feel like you'd be missing out something like a Crypt Bloom, and particularly off the first kill as well, it can be very, very important. I guess on the other side, there's basically no magic resist. Well, there is on the front line. So yeah, I think Crypt Bloom's still actually a bit of a miss. Oh, it will be going towards Crypt Bloom.
We forget, there's the
I thought, because the thing is that normally, if you're buying towards Crypt Bloom, you get towards the Blighting Jewel first. So I was thinking, okay, maybe it is going to be something else. Why would you not build the Blighting Jewel? But let's be honest, it's still probably going to be Crypt Bloom all the same. TT trying to clear out some vision. They do have good vision on the top side of the map. They're prioritizing top side to bot side right now. Hoya, though, very safe to push in on one side of the map. He's the one real tank that can be on the side lane, and as you rightly said, Yucal goes back, spends, buys up that Graveyard Flower, Magic Pen, cooldown reduction, the extra kind of healing wave afterwards, very important.
A minute on Sol, 40 seconds on the Baron, both of them very valuable for ThunderTalk, although W would happily take a trade if they can get one or the other. It'd be nice to get something back.
Onyxen, 450 stacks. He has himself, of course, full build. He's had that for a little while now, but the stacks just matter an awful lot. It means that the E shots, the Q damage and burn, everything can matter so much from that. You can see they're looking for an angle. Here comes Taliyah.
One taken very low. Taliyah on the other side, trying to get something. Wayward forced to flash away. Smolder comes flying across. Jojo with the flash available. Hoya forced to flash on the other side of the backside. They go. Base Rod trying to get the kill. Doesn't happen. He's 20 blocks from getting a reset. ThunderTalk, though, still winning the fight largely. Yucal does not get the seismic shot, but they do get a kill onto the Nautilus. The jungler being dead, though, is a problem. But 1xN eviscerates Hong. It's now the one-man advantage. They want to break the base without the Baron.
Well, Fofo has so much wave clear that it can be quite difficult, but he doesn't hit the entirety of the wave with the Molten Fissure, the QE. They're going to get themselves the inhib tower. They can go back towards the dragon. The base is broken. WE can't stall around an open inhib. WE, though, they might just say, okay, if you go towards the spot side, maybe we can look towards a play.
Trying to get onto him. See Prince with the supercharger looking to try and get forwards.
So
Dragon Soul complete.
So there's no smite available for either team. Need to be careful. There's still a Kai'Sa ultimate. Hoya is not completely safe here. Ooh. Chance of him flying in. The problem is if you jump in towards the Smolder and Smolder doesn't immediately die, you also get wrecked along with it. So Soul for TT. Baron not started. WE, I think it's not bad to look towards a potential objective even without the smite, just because you know there's none on either side. This is the threat which TT have when W leave their base. Huge amounts of ability to go forwards. And Beichuan, sadly for him, despite the fact that he's had a huge individual jungle matchup, can't quite get the kill on Wayward for the the invulnerability as you take that soul. And the extra regen beyond that as well. Hung goes down all the same though. Dragon for jungle for jungler. Now with junglers back up. Baron goes down. Double buffs claimed in the last minute for TT.
Cloud Soul now might be what they need to close the distance. It's been quite difficult for them. Yucal throws down a Weaver's Wall, trying to trap W in the awkward position. Remember, Wayward without the flash could still be in a dangerous position. Fofo as well, lacking the summoner. The Q3 comes on 3 straight strikes, and Untofo's out. Double kill for 1xN. That's probably it. They've lost 2. The base is already broken. Smolder ultimate to clear the waves, and WE can stall no longer.
Yeah, I think that at this point, you don't have the wave clear. The J Shock Blast can just be tanked up by Hoya. You can see that the W's also from Kai'Sa just not doing enough to the Smolder. This should be it. TT taking game 1.
Got final Nexus turrets to hold on to. A last chance. The Alamo is here, but I just don't think WE have what it takes to prevent it. And ThunderTalk, they were stalled. It's 42 minutes, but Smolder is still too much to overcome, and they win game 1.
Team WE couldn't really figure it out in the late game. They didn't have the poke to get through the front line. Poke composition is fantastic if people actually take damage. So hard to get through. Hoya's Cassante, he's been a player which I've personally felt has struggled an awful lot. Chocho on this Alistair as well, though. Fantastic game from him on the front line from what we tuned into. Great play on that side. So game 1 goes the way of TT against Team W, who continue to slide back a little bit in the back half of this split. And of course, we jumped in quite quickly to this series here as well, because of course, Weibo LGD was a bit of a long one. First one, we're gonna rest our voices real quickly. Thank you once again for supporting us, and I'm gonna run some ads quickly on Twitch because they were gonna still pop off mid-game, and gonna quickly regather ourselves.
Yeah, that was something. Well, we managed to. I suppose let's start with the Weibo series because we jumped straight in. So obviously, Weibo dropping, really bad news for them. Great news for a team like Thundertalk, and theoretically for someone like WE, if they can win this series themselves, because it's one of their direct rivals. Well, the other side for LGD keeps the miracle alive, just about.
Yeah. This is a real mess of a standings now. I'm just going to update it now. So Weibo at 6 and 8. So LNG are at 6 and 7. So they are a series behind. Weibo also now a -1 game score, which means that even particularly since they have JDG to face up against too, if they'd eat a 0-2 there, game score could see them out of playoffs.
Yeah.
This is rough. Even if they win against IG, I can imagine that being a 2-1 series. They need a clean 2-0, which Weibo they just haven't done this split. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go put the coffee on. I'm gonna put that on. I'm gonna come back through so you can grab your drink.
That's fine. Cool. Yeah. Well then. Just look back and Ali did not have flash. That was just 50%, so yeah, get it now. Fair enough. That was something interesting. And then this one, I mean, this is the deal. Like, Fofo does good damage, but so much of that is into Jojo, it's into Hoya. It's not that valuable, right? Like, it's poke that's not actually sticking all that hard. The problem is on the other side, like, 1XM was just like, when the fights began, it's like, yeah, and you're dead, and you're dead, and you're dead. Hung doing his very best to... Hung, is it Hung? Is it Heng? I always do this one, because Hung is obviously H-A-N-G. I'm definitely a little bit dicey on the pronunciation of this one. Both Jungs in the backpack this game, a little bit. I mean, also, not to be funny, it wasn't the easiest comp for either of them. Poor old Shinzo asked to be a frontline into this is not a great time. Chocho also breaking his ankles a little bit there. It's nearly a nice escape, but he cannot get far enough away. Yeah, Prince, I mean, like, the one where he gets the Alistair flank on him, that's on the team, as much as, like, where because he's actually way behind. He's like kind of behind his front line, trying to be valuable. They're trying to contest for this red side, the blue side jungle of Thundertalk Gaming, and then basically Alistair gets off vision there, like this one here. How on earth does he get there without WE knowing it? That's just really unacceptable vision control.
Bring my coffee back with me, with you.
Yes, sir.
Still not a fan of the Viego pick. The thing is, for teams which are struggling, Viego's very easy to play around. And when you're against a team like W that makes a lot of mistakes, if you make one mistake and you give up the first kill on a team fight, Viego can carry that team fight. That's why people are doing it. I think if two very good teams are playing, so for instance when JDG's in a game, they don't tend to make that many mistakes. Viego's a lot harder to play around. But Viego is just a very strong pick at allowing weaker teams to have a win condition. We saw OMG win a lot of games through this. We've seen Weibo win a lot of games through it as well. Yeah, it's been really important. Wait, there was a hydrate. Did I hydrate? I think I did. Gotta do it anyway. Again. I think Prince again, really bad positioning in these team fights. I really think Stay needs to be playing for W. They might lose out in playoffs actually at this. Well, they could be in threat of playoffs, or losing first round. This is the other thing too. Even if you make playoffs, how are you going to do in playoffs? That's a conversation you have as you go later into the regular split. And I really feel like if W make it into playoffs right now, they're losing first round. I mean, who else would they've... I mean, yeah, even against teams like... Well, I don't know. There are a lot of weak teams around the 7th to 10th mark. I mean, you've got, right now, Team WE, OMG, AL, LNG, and maybe Weibo. Like, that's kind of what you're looking at right now. Maybe Invictus Gaming fall down as another team get towards it, but, like... This is a very weak 7th to 10th. And WE, I could see them losing first round. Hell, I mean, right now they're on a +2 game score. If they lose the next one, they go to 0. They're at 7 and 7. That means they are matched with OMG. I don't know who has the head-to-head there, but they could potentially be dropping down at that rate. AL are only on -2 game score, so if AL manage to pick up a game and WE lose out on one of their final series as well, who have WE got to face? LNG, God, that could be a battle for playoffs. WE LNG could be a battle for playoffs. And then you have WE versus Ultra Prime as well, which, you know, Ultra Prime, they're out, but they could potentially blue shell. I really feel like W are in danger right now, so it's a real threat of that. Righty. Why did teams pick Jace? I saw a comment on YouTube on that earlier. Because he's a strong early game laner. He bullies out stuff like Renekton, Rumble, Aatrox, he can bully them out. Cassante as well. And then he transforms into a really nasty poke champion, which he's the only champion who can do that from topside. So they went for a triple poke competition here, right? They went to outrange. Problem was, Hoya gets far ahead. The problem with Jace is that if you lose a kill early, then Jace is much less good. Because Jace losing in lane means he can't get a 20-30 CS lead. He stops, the tanks start to get tanky. It's just a real problem at that point. So, yeah, that can be an issue. That can be an issue, folks.
打线的杰斯，你还是要吃队友的一个帮助和一些队友的反蹲的。但这把我们看起来的话，好像更多的是3级那波找完野区之后没有什么节奏了，就感觉上野确实在最那个表现的一个联动吧，是蛮一般的。对，然后包括横其实前面很想做事，但是别人不给他。
That's the thing. Even the teams that are out of playoffs can't be ignored because at this point they have nothing to lose. They play all out and they can very easily knock out those still in contention. Absolutely, absolutely. Hoya is also a decent Cassante. Yes, I think off of Cassante, Hoya has looked very, very vulnerable. I wonder if they take that away because Wayward has been very good at crushing top lane against struggling top laners. He is probably the player who punishes weak top laners the best. So, yeah. Yeah, that could be a big thing. Late split LGD, yes, they are definitely a blue shell team. FPX were that last year, although of course now they're actually a contender team. They're actually a contender. They could be a dark horse for the entire playoffs even. LGD got eliminated after losing game 2, but they came back way above for game 3. Wait, did they get eliminated by that? I didn't think they were eliminated, were they? Oh, because of game score. Is it because of game score? 4 and 10, they can go to 6 and 10, which means they can go to -6. LNG could go to... Wait, how many series they got left? So they've got 13 played right now, so they could also go to -6. Did LNG lose to... What happened between their series? Do they go out on head-to-head? They might... A best case scenario, they might go out on head-to-head because LGD lost against LNG. Yeah. Okay, right. I'd missed that then. I think they go out... So basically... They can match on game score, but because they can match on game score, but they go out because they lose the head-to-head to LNG, who are the only team they can overtake to get into playoffs. That is very sad for them. Damn, that sucks. That sucks. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I was just thinking about that as well. I thought I looked at the game score and then I thought there was maybe something more in there. That's my bad. So yeah, they blue shelled. Damn, they blue shelled. It was always unlikely for them to make it through. Who were their last games, actually? So they have... LGD have... Rare Atom, very winnable. And then RNG, very... Ah, that sucks. They actually could win all of their remaining games. That sucks. That is actually quite sad. They could actually be going out on a real kind of like Pyrrhic victory, sadly. That sucks. That sucks. But still, I mean, blue shell is a thing. Blue shell is a thing. Once the pressure's off, game changes an awful lot. Ugh. When does Milkman play again? Friday versus RNG. So technically versus the team. So he's versus the team which he came up on. It's a big thing. And I will be casting on... I'm going to be casting on Friday this week? What are the Friday games? So I'm casting FPX RNG, JDG Weibo, and TTS in the middle of the day, so I don't know why I set that out of order. Okay, that works. Okay, 2 minutes and... yeah, I just got the schedule now. We only find out on, like, Tuesday when we're casting for the week. It's so late. I'm sat here, I'm like, I don't know what I'm casting. So... Imagine how good the storyline would be if XEZ plays his debut game against Milky Way. That'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah. I mean, so Saturday this week is OMG IG, WLNG, which is potentially the playoffs match, and then NIP BLG. Yeah, that's a pretty okay one. Damn. It would be nice to cast twice a week, but they don't want us doing that anymore, so that sucks. Oh well, it happens. Okay, not long until we get into the next game, I think. I mean, after the break, it's probably what? 5 minutes, then draft? The lack of love for English LPL saddens me. The lack of resources for it, honestly. The lack of resources. I think this year was very difficult because obviously TJ Esports did drop the broadcast. So for those of you who are hearing about the off-season, like, there genuinely was no broadcast for like a good solid couple of months. Yeah, like, there genuinely was. Sam, you need to get my coffee.
Oh.
I asked you to bring it through. So, yeah, and it meant that it's been, like, really difficult to, like... So that's why, largely, there's no resources to do, Monday to Wednesday cast. No, obviously we're doing it here, and it's good for, like, my personal brand and for Sam as well. But also, it's just, you know, I'm probably... How much am I earning less than this? I mean, I'm earning, you know, very little from streaming, right? The streaming really doesn't give that much. I don't have any sponsors on streams. I don't have any sponsors. You know, yeah, I probably get $200, well, $100 to $150 per month from casting, and obviously that goes into euros, which is then less. So I'm probably getting, you know, 100 euros a month for casting on this channel. YouTube I don't have monetized right now, but I'm looking into that. I don't know whether that's going to affect numbers, because then that means ads are 3, maybe means our numbers drop. But yeah, yeah, compared to actual casting, this is not a career right now in terms of streaming. I mean, it'd be great if it could be, because that means that I don't have to worry about off-season as much, which, you know, would be nice. But yeah, it's rough, right? Because I don't know. Yeah, if casting falls through for me, what happens, you know, if I'm not on LPL next split or next year? That's genuinely a worry I have because of just the instability of LPL right now. You know, I was meant to be casting 2 times a week this split. It's now gone down to 1 time a week, so I'm like, okay, I've lost half my pay from that. So, yeah, I'm trying to make this work, and we'll see if anything picks up on the streaming, but it's really hard to make a living off of streaming. Really hard. So, yeah. I need to be making, you know, more than 10 times the amount I am from streaming right now to pay rent. So, yeah. Yeah.
But we need to look into sponsorship stuff. That's where a lot of the money is at this level.
Yeah, but I don't know how many sponsors you can chuck onto like Costream. I don't know what the things are for that, but anyway, yeah. It's weird. You'd think it would be bigger, seeing as the LPL is the strongest region. You'd think so, but then also we're competing with, you know, Casual I Will Dominate, who most people... If you've got a casual league viewer, they're likely to go watch Casual I Will Dominate. Obviously, there's Munchables, who's a great streamer as well. He's doing this too. So, and a lot of the time people only go to watch one viewer, and they'll just go to kind of like, you know, their comfort viewer, their comfort streamer. And, you know, right now, because we haven't been streaming as long, we're not necessarily up there right now. I'd like to think we're doing something unique. We're the only ones who are really casting it. We're the only LPL cast of the games which I'm doing on the main broadcast, but it's just a difficult scenario, right? It's rough.
Not easy.
Yeah. And yet, I get up at whatever time of day. I will hydrate. Thank you, Puppy. That sounds weird saying it, doesn't it? Solo Puppy is their username. I should probably not say hello, thanks Puppy to someone in chat. That could be taken the wrong way.
Yeah. The host petticoat under the skirt is a cute look. In fairness, the LPL like dress sense is excellent. It's very good. They've got solid work there.
We should be getting into... You prefer the stream? That's... Well, I hope that, you know, at the end of the day, I have nothing against people liking co-streams. In fact, that's a good thing. I watch co-streams. However, it's nice that we do a niche that people can potentially enjoy that as well, and hopefully carve out a little space for ourselves as well. It'd be nice to coexist with other people too. And, yeah, and I hope you guys enjoy the little community we've got on here. I'm recognizing a lot of the regulars now, so it's been good to see you folks. And, right, we'll have, I mean, maybe last game of the day. If W lose this... Oh, by the way, LGD, on games... Well, even if they got perfect game score, and then LNG got the, you know, perfect anti-game score, they would be out of playoffs. So by losing Game 2 in our first series of the day, LGD did lock out of playoffs, sadly.
Oh, wow.
That Game 3 that they beat Weibo for was entirely blue shell. There was nothing in it for themselves. Sad for them. However, it opens up teams like WE and TT a bit of breathing room. TT, for them, it's a real opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Locking in the Renekton first pick. I have to say, Hoyer on the Renekton has not impressed me. I much preferred his Cassante. I think it's his best champion by far. I know that this means that you can hide a pick later into the draft, but as a blue 1 pick, I don't like this.
It feels like there's enough picks out there that a Renekton blind top first pick feels a little bit awkward. The Smolder ban away this time by, of course, WE. Instead, they just immediately lock in a Rumble, which Way would, of course, very confident on. And we've seen this matchup earlier today be pretty successful, frankly, for the Rumble into the Renekton. Of course, a little bit of jungle attention can make that one a bit of a different matter, but Of course, let's see what they want to lock in alongside it. I'm debating the...
That means this is the OMG
Maokai,
combo
yeah.
from last year. You have Maokai as support or jungle to lock down people with that Rumble. We've seen Birdol play the Rumble into the Renekton twice earlier today. And that means that you now have team fight combo extraordinaire, potential topside strength from Rumble and the Maokai, but still not locked into anything. Well, technically, it could be a flex of the Rumble towards support as well if I want. He wants to pick up something different too. So WE holding some cards to their chest still.
Harder to perhaps pull off the Rumble without something like Callista, which has often been a regular one there, but they'll instead now be facing into the Lucian Milio, and the Milio can help mitigate the Maokai's ability to stop Lucian going forwards, of course. One of the big answers with and for the, with and against rather, the Lucian has been the Maokai ultimate, but you can maybe match that a little.
Yes, exactly.
Tristana on the other side is locked in.
Right now, Nami is much better for Lucian going aggressive, but when you're playing towards the Maokai, the Milio allows you to play aggressive, even with less damage, but it gives you the cleanse to outplay the Maokai ultimate. If you get locked down with the Maokai ultimate on top of a Rumble ult, your team fight is over. You know, say hello to the grey screen for us. Fofo, picking up the Tristana, which he's played a bit before. Again, this is looking like a very 2023 draft from Team WE, particularly halfway through spring and going into summer. Maokai Tristana as a mid-jungle, Rumble, Maokai as a top lane jungle duo as well. Very, very powerful. You can see that because Prince also plays a lot of utility champions. Of course, he's still playing as well. He's not playing, no, Stay has not been subbed in at any point. He is, well, both AD carries do play a lot of the Jhin and the Ashe and stuff like the utility AD carries, which could also help with this combo for long-range pick CC into the Equalizer.
Could well be an option, which is why that's banned out, as you kind of noted. On the other side, double control mages that UCAL has favoured. The Taliyah last game was pretty scary. Last ban here, you imagine, might well be another one of those AD carry bans. Of course, the Tristana could always go towards the bot lane, so it's always a bit of a difficult one to figure out. They'll get rid of the Blitzcrank, which of course is very good with things like the Maokai still, because obviously one sets up the other very, very easily. It's very hard to miss a Blitzcrank hook on a mobile target, but I say that as having seen and done that myself before. It's definitely possible.
Right, Prince Awandi, probably two of the players who play the most intricate bot lane champions that we've seen so far. Awandi's Brad has been absolutely spectacular. That's some great hair, by the way.
Excellent.
I love that hair. But now you're looking at last pick. You think you're likely last picking AD carry. I don't think you're putting this Tristana into a Bard lane. I think that gets absolutely shredded by the Lucian Milio. UCAL, he has his choice of his mages as well. Fofo was the player picking up the way last time. That would be a little slow for this team composition. So the Nico can help them go a little bit further forwards. And Beichuan, who really dominated a lot of the early game on the Viego, which we actually didn't see. We tuned it to the game about 16 minutes in game 1 due to the extension on Series 1. Could potentially lock this in again and look for, again, Reset City alongside his team.
Yeah, that'll be the plan. Lucian pouncing forwards in the Viego and the Nico. Gonna capitalize on that, or one or the other, starting up for the other to go down. Of course, now, what does Prince want to lock in on the bot side? Has played a bit of the Misfortune. So that hover makes some sense, but I feel like we're going to wait and see, because there are a few options.
Well, this is the thing, right? I don't really want to talk about the hovers, because what do you want stylistically out of this? You want something that can join in with the combo, likely, and also survive lane versus the Lucian Milio. That's kind of your calling card here. Okay, they go towards the Kai'Sa. He had a mixed game on the Kai'Sa last game, some bad positioning, some almost hero plays, couldn't get it done. In this one, I feel like the Kai'Sa Bard struggles in lane versus Lucian Milio. I think they struggle at one item as well. Later into the game, though, if Lucian missteps, particularly if the Maokai ult catches him, you can assassinate with the Tristana. Double mobile AD carries jumping into the face of one of these squishies. Very, very powerful. It's quite hard to outplay the Nico, I'll say, because your ultimate never carries you away from the Nico's ult range. That can be a very dangerous point. So Prince, his positioning needs to be on point in a way that it wasn't in game 1.
Also, then we have to talk about WE's vision control, because frankly, the fact that Jojo managed to slip off vision that many times without the team having any idea about it is not a good look for WE. And especially if Jojo gets to do that again, it could prove very problematic indeed. You know, well and good for Prince. Standing a little too close to a bush, he shouldn't have, but that bush should never have been awarded in the first place. We get to lock in. The Lucian once again beginning to rear its head in priority a little bit, having slipped away with the rise of Smolder and Senna. People feeling once again like you can get some value out of it. On the other side, Maokai, Rumble, that combo that was so prevalent last year, back on the Rift for WE.
This game, very, very important for both these teams again. We're getting to the point where teams have about 2-3 series left. 3 series right now after you've played this. It'll be kind of like close to that mark. TT, they are not in playoffs right now. There are a win, or let's be honest, 2 wins really behind where they want to be for playoffs. They have, you know, some difficult series coming up. This one feels like it is the easiest of them. They face Top Esports and FPX at the end of their split. If they can get this one, though, they just turn up the heat. Not to the likes of Weibo, who lost that series earlier today, and WE, they might not even be safe as well if a couple of other teams push that envelope a little further towards the 7-win bracket as the lockout from playoffs. I was saying earlier as well, one of the things about these teams is, yes, playoffs qualification, but also, realistically, how good are you going to do when you're in playoffs? I feel like looking at the 7th to 10th mark from LPL right now, there are a lot of teams I look at and say, actually, these are teams which are all quite exploitable. They have a lot of things to figure out. You know, you have teams like Team WE, which we're seeing right now, OMG, which have been about the place, Anyone's Legend, which of course now had Coach Tabe come into the roster. Maybe that can revolutionize what they're doing, but still a lot of work to be done there. And then of course LNG, Weibo, and potentially TT, who could be going in towards the last spots for LPL playoffs in spring 2024. All of these teams want to not just qualify, but also improve and make sure that they're not just going to be another team that loses in first round of playoffs.
To make sure that they are a potential threat. Sometimes easier said than done with how dangerous a lot of these LPL teams are and how like unforgiving the playoff schedule is. A lot of these teams, step one is getting into it, but once you're there, especially if you're starting at the bottom end of that bracket, it is a mighty, mighty climb to get anywhere near the top of the standings then.
Let's have a look at these priorities. UCal, wait, did he walk up? Oh, that's what happened. He took one of the early heals, even though I wanted to put it down for him. Fofa, buddy, that's not great. Yeah, it does work on the overheal. I was wondering where he got the slight overheal from at level 1. I was thinking, did he hit someone with that with a fleet footback? No, he just took one of the hot chocolates, which is normally very important. You can see that 1xN and Chocho. Of course, they're just about surviving in terms of level 1, Kaiser Q, and access to the wave, giving them level 2 first off, but still, a little bit awkward there. 1xN Chocho, now they're going to hit themselves to level 2. I really feel like Prince and Iwandi need to be careful in this laning phase. Melee Lucian, well, not surprising, we've seen a lot now, but they have a lot of turnaround burst in quick succession.
Especially if they find moments when cooldowns are down, the ability to hop forward with a Cozy Campfire and do that is pretty good. The Cosmic Binding was good. Still going to be an overall winning trade for Thunder Talk, just about.
Sen, Chocho had a good game last time. 1xN on the Smolder, of course, was the scaling extraordinaire. I really liked his itemization. The Kanik Rooken and late game really changed the way that he played out the game. Good dodge out. 1xN. You know, we talked a lot about his. I feel like us in the past talked about some of his other champions too, but really the Lucian has been the one he's found LPL success on. The FLS he does well on an individual level while his team kind of falls apart. The Lucian has been the one which the team kind of succeeds with at the same time. Now junglers, opposite side of the map, Deitram on bot side. Now you do have Iwandi with the ability to tunnel through the wall, that magical journey, very, very important in terms of staying safe, and Prince and Iwandi not quite able to crash in this wave. If they can trim out this wave on bot side, there's a chance that actually they lose some turrets, lose some minions closer towards that turret.
Iwandi got to be a little bit careful about his roam here. Might have had to face a little bit of damage from Beachwad, and that's a decent chunk there onto Iwandi. Beachwad keeps going. Gets stunned at the end, but looks for the vision control plant and will look to flash for the stun. Does hit it. That might force Iwandi to burn the exhaust and the flash. Huge win for Thunder Talk, because that makes 1xN and Chocho's life a lot easier.
Things on top side, Chocho's in mid lane. We've got 2 different plays, 3 in 3 lanes over as many minutes.
Dash away from Hoya, he's trying to survive, gets knocked back with the Bramble Smash. The turret aggro is well balanced by WE, and they do get first blood on the top side, and Hoya in a real way to outplay that.
Yeah, so basically Beitram, he stops Iwandi from getting a good reset. That will affect bot lane. You can see he's very late to bot side. Prince has to back off from the wave. That is at the cost that WE knowing exactly what Beitram is doing and the fact that he can't respond to what's happening on top side. Kill goes over to the Ignite Rumble of Wayward, the Gatekeeper top laner. If you fall behind against this guy, if you're not confident in your laning and individual ability, things go from bad to worse. However, TT, though they didn't get themselves first blood, because of the failed crash from Prince and Iwandi, which is a big problem, and also the stop of the recall from Iwandi by Beitram, you can see that a CS lead is starting to build in bot side, and they have a crash being built up.
Without the flash or the exhaust, it could get very dangerous for the bubble. Have a look at this top lane dive, because it is relatively well executed here by WE.
They don't reset the turret aggro on Hung, which can be a bit of a problem, but there's no rage on Renekton. You need the rage to get the empowered stun, the extra damage, and the extra healing. Not able to do so, and against the Ignite, easy as you like. So WE, advantage on top side, going to start falling behind a little bit on bot side unless they can fix this wave a little more. Want to see if TT can do something on the bot side crash, though.
Exactly that. Dashing on forwards onto Prince and getting a lot of damage, of course. Remember, they have just got the summoner advantage down here. 1xM with the Ignite can prove very threatening.
He has Ignite. He takes the trade around the first strike as well. Hoya's going to get walked up by on Wayward. The overheat's coming through. Hoya, does he have it in power? He has nothing right now. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
One drop taken. Beitchuan doesn't have level 6 just yet. It'd be a real threat if he was, but Wayward starting to flex the muscles.
No, he missed it. Gets it anyway. Oh my god, that smite being 9 HP off could have proved very deadly, but does manage to secure it with the Blade of the Ruined King.
Now we go ourselves back towards more silent laning phase. You can see that. I really liked how 1xN and Chocho used that brief moment of kind of failed resets from WE towards the bot side of the map. It will be a 2-for-1 grub trade. Hung will get himself some extra XP from that first one. The first grub gives you double the XP of the other two, so you kind of get 4 grubs worth if you take all 3. But Beitchuan, he gets himself 2 out of them. Either way, so WE significantly top side. Bot side has not been too bad for them. You did see that, 1xN managed to take a good trade at level 4 to level 3. Can be a bit of a problem sometimes when those plays start to rack up. But on the whole, though, credit to Prince and Iwandi. They managed to survive the laning phase of the melee illusion, which can be pretty difficult. Dragon started now.
Is indeed. That will be the Bard and the Viego setting that one up. Iwandi comes on down, throws down a Cosmic Binding. It does go wide. There's a Honey Fruit available. Beitchuan still got this Dragon aggroed, so should be Thunder Talks for the taking.
So, double stun as well. It's not going to stop the Dragon going down. 1xN going up to get the assist onto that Dragon as well.
I just wondered whether there was a little bit of room there for an auto or a Q over the wall there from Iwandi, because there wasn't using the smite, but it works out just fine at the end. I got a little nervous for a second. I've seen that happen enough times into a Bard.
As this game goes forwards, I really want to keep my eyes on UCal. UCal is a player who I thought had a fantastic 2023, particularly spring. I think summer was strong as well. But for me, UCal, despite the fact that they qualified for one playoffs and went out in round 1, they didn't qualify in the next split, this team, particularly around UCal, was so good. He was such a magnificent player. I would have said he was a top 5 mid laner in the LPL. He was genuinely that impressive. He's not had that level of performance again. However, if you can have just a flash of brilliance here to close this out in game 2, with something like a Nico, with good threat in this game, I really feel like UCal has the position to do so. Let's see if you can channel that once more. A lot of targets, a lot of squishies on the other side. You can really threaten it.
Xen dashing forward to get some value from the first strike just before that with the Ardent Blaze. Iwandi, remember, has not got his flash up yet. The exhaust has now come off cooldown. But it is 1xN and Chocho with the early lane lead here in terms of the CS. They did get the better first back.
And basically, 1xN and Chocho have just had much better lane control. Lane understanding. What happens when you fail a reset? Oh, well, you can't turn up for this next wave. I can force you off of that, force the wave into a place that I want to, crash for a better reset for myself, and then play around that again. So that's led to the lead so far. You can see that Prince and Iwandi, they're trading okay, but they're just not understanding the waves as much. Hoya now trying to find a gap in the pressure of this rumble. No minion aggro on him, though. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, it would have been nice to grab that, but didn't quite happen. Hoya with the ultimate down. Going to clear the wave, I think, but unfortunately for him, he's still going to be afraid because once this pops off, there's still the danger of the Ignite, of the Equalizer, that could prove very difficult.
Well, Wayward on that kind of HP without trading back actually means that Hoya, with a couple of empowered abilities, might be able to kill. That is going to be Equalizer dropped again. Now Wayward realizes, okay, yeah, I've got to clear the wave. Hoya are basically max rage, actually really threatening right here. His level 8 though, I think he's safe. Hoya can hold the wave now, and that means he'll get himself a moment to wait out his teleport timer if he wants. Instead, he clears it out fully and says, okay, now's the time for the reset potentially himself.
Pop quiz. Now, what is the passive of Renekton called?
Is it Fury of the Sounds?
That's the
Fury of the Sounds?
It's that's his tag.
I thought that was the Butcher of the Sands or something like that.
Anyway, it's Reign of Anger.
Reign of Anger. Ah, yeah.
Which is the big one.
Oh, that's an auto attack onto a minion there from Chocho. That kind of sucks. Well, Beitchuan's down towards bot side.
Yeah.
Beitchuan's gone into the enemy jungle. Iwandi wasn't there briefly. See that Prince had to pop the ghost to get from outer turret. Iwandi now caught out in the middle of nowhere. Dangerous moment.
A bit difficult. Fofo's roaming on down though into Tristana, and so don't look to actually properly brawl here, but it's Prince who loses another bit of a wave there.
Important thing to notice as well in the next couple of trades, Hung has gone for the Knight's Vow. Yukon misses his cooldowns, clears out the wave there. He'll be fine. He can go back to wherever he wants to. You can even look for a reset now if he has the gold for anything. Fofo takes a Q back in the back end of that. But when you have the Knight's Vow, which has been kind of like the most recent armor tank item that tanks have been building up to, you just make sure that your extra carry as well is just a lot more safe. Hoya gets himself Sadly, no empowered W on that one. Would have been nice to get the extra damage there, but still, he can look for a recall now.
Does indeed. Over towards the grubs we go again. Will be WE here first this time. Beitron and 1xN are coming up, but I think they might be a little too late. How much time can Hoya buy? Quite enough so far.
So one of the big things about Renekton around, like, it used to be Herald, now it's the grubs. If you keep hitting the grubs, you get a lot of anger for free. That's going to be one grub taken. Takes away potential of a 5 grub buff from TT. That might be enough for them, and indeed it is. They don't really want to play around Hoya. One of his points in power, Dominus back up, potentially getting up to very high rage. Again, when Renekton starts throwing out these empowered abilities, they're about double strength comparative to other champions' abilities in the early game. And that can be all the difference. Wayward has the HP advantage right now, though. Hoya needs to start getting back towards rage and see if he can get a good trade, maybe with his ultimate, to buy some space in lane.
Culling the wave a little bit there with the Q. That's about it. Prince all the while didn't roam, though, so just get to shove out and claim some of the minions he's lost earlier on. Actually, big trade there from Wayward, who does have the Ignite and the Equalizer, so I wonder how aggressive they're going to get. Hoya's got the teleports, so should be out just fine.
Yeah, he's been waiting for a good reset for a while. I wonder if you can get him towards like a first item more of Malmortius. That might be the answer for him. Just saying, look, this will be the item which changed the laning phase. And actually, he's not even going towards that. He only gets himself a Ruby Crystal, not got that much gold in inventory. Goes back towards lane all the same, though. On top side, Fofo's on top side. There's no response. They'll see it now. He is in a bit of a lurch here.
He's got a Dominus in a dream, but I think he's going to clear out this wave very fast indeed. Gets beyond the Equalizer briefly, but now behind the tree, just walking down the red carpet and dies kind of a free.
Yeah, he never got beyond that Equalizer. Was on it the entire time. Fofo jumps forward, takes aggro. He can't flash forward quick enough to do much, and the Buster Shot keeps him on it as well. That's another thing too. Buster Shot nasty at that point. What is going to be the cost? You got Fofo able to put a bomb towards top side. That'll be a couple of plates because it's Tristana. And WE on the other side can't defend bot lane though. 1xN getting a lot of good gold. Bot lane kind of getting into a bad spot here now. Prince has given up a lot for this. Beitron also towards this dragon. That's going to be 2 early dragons with the smite coming through as well. So WE trading top side for bot side pressure. I feel like this Lucian is going to start really popping now. Shiv already built up.
Yeah.
WE, they need to be careful of how much gold they're giving to 1xN. He's a great player of this champion, and this power spike is nasty.
It's not really entirely on Prince Iwanti here because, not to be funny, but Hong has just not been around bot lane. He's just not turned his head up at all. He's been top side pretty much the entire game. Started pathing bot to top and has kind of left this bot lane out to dry a little bit. It has come at the cost of 1xN getting this early lead, and the gold lead remains dead even despite the 2-kill advantage.
This is a great game for Lucian too in a lot of ways because there's no one that can tank your culling, ever. Now, you got the Lucian, which gives you the extended range. It means that you can stay beyond the Tristana's range for most of mid-game. Late game, maybe it changes a bit because Tristana passive draw a bead gives you the extra attack range. But on the whole, I think Lucian's pretty happy with how he wants to play out a lot of this. Teleport towards top side from Fofo now on that Tristana, trying to get himself into side lanes. Tristana loves to get a bit of gold, go into a side lane, just make a mess of people trying to contest with her. Hoya might be able to finally, as lanes start to switch around though, get himself a free laning phase where he doesn't just have to pop Dominus on cooldown to wave clear.
Can give Fofo a second moment here to claim another turret plate. Got 2 earlier on, this will be a 3rd, and with a couple grubs and Tristana being Tristana, that's relatively easy to secure 1xN. I'll look for a little bit more there. I think did get the first strike there. That's about it.
It's gold. First strike and joys. Well, no, it is just like slightly there. So you've got to get. I remember a clip from Perks last year, just having a most brain dead death because he ends up having the Jason mid lane. Goes, I've got to look for the first strike. Dies for it. But it's like, well, I did get first strike at least. Such is the mentality. It's like the old kleptomancy stackers. Hoya actually getting a good amount of time on this bot side. Get some plates for himself there as well. I'm kind of finishing off some part of what 1xN started. I don't really think
46.
Hoya can't really step up and do the rest of that. I mean, the grub buff's really helping that. Hoya, I wonder what he's going to get as his first item, actually, because he's not gone towards the Hex Drinker first. He might go towards a Black Cleaver, I suppose. He is on an angle here to potentially fight. He has ult, he has flash, but with Wayward also potentially able to roam up from bot lane, I don't know if TT really want to play around this. They do have a great item power spike. I think it's quite intelligent here, actually, putting the Tristana mid lane. You're using the mid lane AD carry to contest with the bot lane one. The Kai'Sa can't contend with the mid lane prio, but the Tristana can, and that means that Tristana, the Kai'Sa can go into a side lane. She's one of the best side laning AD carries. I like this lane assignment.
Yeah, and 1xN, of course, down a couple levels, and a big trade on the other side, though, because the one thing you do for doing this, though, is leave your other AD carry who's lower levels alone against a flipping Nico.
Why is Prince walking as a level 9 AD carry into Fog of War against the one-item Nico? That is exactly the kind of mistake which we cannot afford to see out of AD carries at this point. You're there to farm up. You allow your mid lane AD carry to contest the Lucian while you just get value. Hoya now going to get dove on the bot side. He doesn't have dominance. He's probably dead. But still, WE making mistakes they shouldn't have been making on the other side.
Bardol even comes through at the end of it all to try and disengage the turret, but now on the top side, the Herald was summoned. They've claimed tier 1 up there. They'll claim likely the tier 2 as well as Prince comes on, but he just doesn't have the wave clear to deal with this right now. And he needs to be a little bit afraid about how long he can stay here. Will fall to the mites, and they claim 2 turrets.
I thought that TT were, you know, potentially falling prey to good lane assignment. Prince on the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa has always been, since release, a champion that likes to sit in side lane. As soon as you get Q upgrade and something like a Shiv, you clear through waves very quickly. But it feels like the response from TT, and let's be honest, just the play of UCal, solves that problem for them. You can see that Fofo, again, he's trying to use the level advantage you have on the Tristana to say, I can contest the Lucian. Typically, Lucian is the best mid lane AD carry, the one that sits in mid lane after early laning phase, gets you wave push and gets you kills. Tristana can do that because she has an extra level from mid lane. She has extra gold from the tower plates as well, which is from God and from across the plat map. But the fact that Prince makes that mistake puts them into a difficult situation now. This should have been winning for the last minute or two. UCal bails them out.
And Fofo, even though he won the trade against 1xN, it had to be with the addition of the Buster Shot. Even then, it was only down about just under half HP. The Cozy Campfire keeping the Lucian topped up just fine. Just picked up a second item.
Yeah.
Rapid Fire Cannon, 2 relatively cheap items in. Feeling pretty okay right now for 1xN.
And now with Milio, Campfire, and then also the Rapid Fire Cannon, you're hugely outranged in mid lane, and it means that 1xN can look for huge burst trades. You don't pull the culling out until you see the Buster Shot. A lot of the time you do it after that point, because that's the one way that Tristana can cancel that. But look at this. You jump forward the double range, and Prince can't contest this. This is why Prince was not in this lane in the first place. But the fact that he couldn't survive in a side lane throws WE's plans for a loop. Dragon's coming up in 15 seconds. Fofo will have teleport, but they will not have mid lane priority. They're waiting on Wayward, really, to carry this fight. Liandry's needs the large rod. Very, very strong, but he needs to get huge value before 1xN does.
And of course, you sort of be a little bit afraid of the likes of UCal, who's got into a Pop Blossom, a Rocket Bell, and a Pop Blossom, Rocket Bell stopwatch. Well, Arm Guard now. The point being, UCal's playmaking tools are top draw for this point in the game. Looks like WE want nothing to do with it. They're going to try and get Fofo free time in that top lane to claim a turret.
And they'll get that one for free. You can see that Hung's been doing a really good job of just going into side lanes and threatening Hoya. 0-3 on the Renekton. We did kind of say, well, no, Renekton, first pick. It can give you some side lane wave play. We saw Shanji have a great game on the Renekton, just wave clearing against dive opportunities. But in this game, it's not really been as valuable. So Fofo has himself teleport. Now Bardol is going to save this extra kind of this turret from an extra wave, and that can help them stop the Lucian from rolling over this turret. I think that the potential of TT taking that mid lane out of turret is really annoying for WE. At least they have side lane pressure now to stop them having as many good ancient. But
oh my lord, the damage is huge.
It's Lucian, man. Lucian in mid lane, 2 items. Got that Milio upgrade as well. Good combo there. Can you get the kill before the tunnel comes through? No, he can't. UCal, though. Good combo. And now suddenly, with Prince getting caught out in mid-wave, that is tower gone. Wayward puts down the equalizer too late. WE, I really feel like a couple of mistakes from Prince have ended up putting WE into an awful position. You can't contest mid lane like this. You have to just sit and wave clear. This is exactly what Lucian's going to do at this item breakpoint. And I get that Kai'Sa can't contest it, but if you can't contest it, why you stood there?
And then we've also got to call out that's Hong using ultimate, Wayward using ultimate, Iwanda using ultimate to save the mid lane tower and still failing. Whereas 1xN presses R. He gets so much damage out there, and especially with things like the changes to static shift feel really good for Lucian. Oh no, 5 less attack speed on Lucian. I don't care that much about that. The additional 10 attack damage, really nice compared to a Kraken Slayer.
Yeah, and Lucian already has good wave clear. He bought Storm Razor before, which is a good proc damage, but then just the extra stats are so nice for this champion again. Level 11, second tier of ultimate, very, very strong. 2 items. Next time he jumps forward onto Prince, that's going to be disgusting. And you see that the Maokai has been using ult in side lane so much that 1xN hasn't been countered by the Maokai. Typically, Maokai does counter Lucian, because when he jumps forward, like we saw there in the last bit, Maokai casts ult and he can't finish off the kill. If you're using that to kill the Renekton in the side lane, Lucian gets to kill you in mid lane at the same time. So TT, good moments for them. They have themselves Soul Point. It's a mountain Soul Point that will help them an awful lot against the likes of the Rumble, which is trying to keep people burning down. I'm trying to get some flat pen maybe at some point in his build as well. Let's see if they can finish off that Soul early, because again, WE, they lose this one, they are worried for where they will end up in that playoffs bracket, or in that playoffs bracket at all. Like I said, jump forward again.
Oh, big chunk on Wandy, the culling afterwards, and dead to right. It's a beautiful combo from Thunder Talk Gaming.
It's beautiful from them. 1xN, we said that this Lucian is a pick which the team succeeds on. Even though 1xN has got better individual champions, the Lucian is something that the player really does well on. But WE, you can't contest this. It's so annoying to see them keep doing this over and over again. I think Bayward will die as well.
Redemption is good, buys a lot of time! The burn is good, it works at a 1-for-1. Iwandi from downtown uses at least something to make it a little more even than it might have been otherwise.
So Wayward uses the Ignite, gets a kill in that side lane as well, so it's not a clean victory for TT. Wayward still continuing to be a point in power. How much carrying can he do in this game though? Really feels like it is on Wayward and Hung to do something big. 1xN on Vision again. He doesn't have Chocho with him right now. He is left alone right now. Has E, has Flash. How much can they do? There's a Bard ult as well. What can they do here?
So you need to flash as well. Decides he has to, and I think that's probably wise, considering how many WE members
can we
were
see a
around.
teleport from UCal? That's exactly what we're doing. Double teleport. This could be the game killer.
Watch out for the damage. UCal can try and get in with the pop plus. He's stunned. Fantastic work. Now Prince getting to ult, and then magical journey away, flashing away down the other side. Hung in a dangerous position though. Means he might die. Needs to be very, very careful. The pot ult is fantastic, tempering the fates of Thunder Talk and their players. WE alive.
Oh, but what a mistake from Hoyer and UCal. They line up for the stun. It's a big mistake. That should have closed the game right there. That should have been the game breaker. You should be able to use that to get kills, go into side lanes and push out waves, and then go towards the dragon after. So a big swing and a miss from TT in one of the most powerful moments in this game. Iwandi saving WE. Look back into this replay. The double teleport comes through, but they just line up too far, and he uses the clone. He uses the clone. That's what happens. A mistake from UCal. Tries to hide himself. He had the flash. He could have just used that anyway. Flash, Protobelt. Should have been it. Mistake from UCal in an important moment. We said he had a lot of responsibility in this game as the Nico to try and get some huge combos. Can't quite get it done this time.
30 seconds until Mountain Soul potentially for Thunder Talk. And the key here, though, I'll note, is Prince being down, Flash and Ghost, Hung being doing Flash, and as well, could prove really, really difficult. This Kaiser's ability to impact the fight is going to be so difficult with those summoners down. And Iwandi on the other side being jumped on earlier on, not going to take too much damage there, and has a healing shrine to try and top him back up.
Yeah, he can at least get something, and there's a redemption too. So that chunk is not going to be the end of it, but again, just look how much damage 1xN is doing. Uses that second tier ultimate. You can't heal everyone right now. The redemption is going to come in right now. That's the last of it though. Any other poke beyond this point, you are out of sustain. UCal has flash, has ult. Couldn't make it land the last time. Can you do it now?
Reminder as well, Hung having bought an early locket as well to try and mitigate some of the burst. I think that was popped as well, but that's a lot of those defensive tools out of the way. It's not like Thunder Talk is shy of damage, so it's got a lot of ultimates left to run. And this looks like Soul, unless WE can find some way in. As Wandy down to about 20% HP.
Is he going to be in range for ult? Maokai coming through. Here comes the crunch.
But it's a well-timed breath of life. Down to 3,000 HP. UCal on the flank, looking to get into the side. Iwandi so desperately low. Needs to be afraid. Hoya pops the Dominus.
Okay, can we get a steal? Beitron low.
Gotta go in, it's taken that Soul. The Pop blossom afterwards eviscerates them all. Pop goes the Weasel. There ain't no small mammal left. They've lost 4, and they lose Soul, and they'll lose Baron after as well. Thunder Talk, bring the lightning.
And they used to be known as Team World Elite. They've been made to look like Team World rookies and cadets at this point. TT, show them how it's done. Thunder strikes after the lightning charged Nico ultimate that we've been waiting for. 3-0 and 3 on the Nico. Done a great job in this one, and this should be the game killer that we've been waiting for. We thought it'd be the double teleport into mid lane. Iwandi saved them from that one, but he couldn't save them from the Soul going over, the Baron going over. This should lead into huge resets. There is no cross map available for WE. They haven't been able to get waves away from their side of the map. And Team WE, this was a team we expected potentially to be top 4 with their remaining schedule. They might be sliding out of playoffs at worst case scenario. This would put things into a really spicy situation for them as TT technically keep their dream alive on the other side of it. It comes down to a smite flip. It comes down to a flip. The Milio ultimate cleans out of the Rumble ultimate. Beitron does stand around on the equalizer for a while, but it's not enough to put him into threat. Iwandi so low. He can't step up and look for those big stuns. And it means that you're just waiting to see what can come through. Prince gets caught in the initial combo as well. Very hard for the Kaiser to play in grouped up fights, but even then, caught by a Nico route through the team fight. Another painful moment for the AD carry that has been switched in and out.
Just look at the items, well, double recurve bow and the BF sword had to change tacks from what would likely have been something like a Navori, and instead having to go towards the Terminus to try and hold on to some HP bar, because every single fight, this Kaiser is on the wrong end of a lot of DPS. Now you've got the Infinity Edge and the Hex Drinker for 1xn. Yukal's damage is high, Bejuan as well. No slouch, 2 items on the Viego, 2 items on the Renekton. You've got more than one threat to consider.
Okay, so we've got Bard ult, we have the Mark ult coming through as well. There's Yukal with the teleport.
Gonna try and get the one out. The Breath of Life is good, buy some time, but still gonna get a stun to 1xn. He's trying to play the one out hung. Kind of deciding, yeah, I don't want this flank. The teleport comes on through. It's Yukal versus Fofo on the other side of the rift. With Fofo with no teleport, can't get to these fights as easily.
I think Yukal's just on wave clear duty, just making sure that the Tristana can't sit on the tower. That's exactly what's happening. He gets a bomb onto it. He needs to be careful now.
Just desperately low. Immediately the culling comes out, the tower's gone. Forced to flash out, and I think this is just the inhibitor gone with no response.
Yeah, Fofo can't stop this topside push. We now got Yukal teleporting into the mid wave. He goes in and makes sure that the Baron buff is being used on that one. And WE, they're losing a lot of towers now at this point. They lose an inhibitor. Bejuan on the side, he's safe. He can either flash or ult away if anyone does try and do a snap pick onto him. Fofo returns to top lane, but can they defend mid lane at the same point? Yukal just off a vision. He can look for a kill out.
Oh, pop blossom to the backside of the Prince, who just can't get far enough away. He has flash, he has ghost, he just doesn't use them. That Dentarite's wayward flashes away, and it's been a wayward series for WE. They are off the beaten track and finding themselves tipped over. This car is derailing before playoffs.
From Prince to Pauper, Team WE, they could have been one of our very top teams, but they get shocked. They get thunderstruck as TT look to close this out at 2-0.
It is a shocking turn of events, all puns intended. 1xn marks the spot. It has been a phenomenal ending to this game. It was clean, it was concise, it was a beautiful victory to Thunder Talk. It's finally a tempered fate, but you know what? You can only cut them so much. The game still ends this way. Your fate is sealed.
Yukal screaming in joy as they end that game. This player, I feel so much for Yukal. Yukal, fantastic ultimates. Last year, he cried as they lost their final series and he couldn't quite make playoffs. They're in a similar scenario this time. This is one of those backs against the wall moments where TT are looking to qualify for one of those rare playoffs opportunities. For a team that has typically not had the lofty aspirations of the top of the table, they've tried to just get into playoffs, but this team's had tenacity. They've had a lot of series this split where it feels like they've had to really fight tooth and nail. This one, it felt like they had a bit more inspiration, and it felt like really they managed to punish a lot of the really awkward positioning moments from Prince. I'm continually asking myself, where is Stay? Prince, for me, is just not doing it for this Team WE roster. Is it all on him? No, absolutely not. I feel like this team has a lot of growth in terms of how to play around their wave understanding, play around how to understand resets. We saw in this game very early into the game, Bejuan stops a reset from Bard. That messes over the laning phase from Prince. Prince can't get ahead. He can't deal with the Lucian, and then he makes mistakes in side lanes. It's a whole team issue, which has led to a whole team loss. Yeah. And now we see Team WE 7-7. Where does that leave them overall? They were at +2 before this. They go down to 0. They are now level on game score and series score with OMG. They are only 2 individual games ahead of anyone's legend. They are very close to getting outside of that playoffs bracket. And Team WE, with the way that they're playing, I think they could lose against any team at this point. I'm just looking at the remaining. They're against LNG. That could genuinely be a match for a playoffs berth. And then they're also against Ultra Prime, who are potentially in a place to blue shell. Yes, they are a last place team right now, but they're another team like TT who have had some upstart series, and they could be an upset. Team WE under pressure.
Where are Thunder Talk at? What have they got left to play? I see FPX as the last game, which could of course
top esports and FPX.
Oh boy.
So, if Yukal were to make playoffs with TT, and I really feel this is a lot about Yukal because of the year and a half that he has had, what a way to do it. I feel for it because I can already tell there is a heartbreak brewing where Yukal can have games like this and he could still not make playoffs. But what if it happens? What if it happens?
I know.
Because they go up to what, 6 wins now? They need 1 series win minimum. If they get both, they might get it. It's hard. It's a hard. Yeah, it's rough.
I mean, look at the damage discrepancies in mid and bot.
Oh,
1xn
God.
does what Wayward did on this one. And in fairness, let's not beat around the bush. WB played around top side. Hung path top to bot. Everyone went top multiple times. And it comes at cost.
Folks.
It comes at serious cost. Prince only did less than 1,000 damage more than his support bard.
1xn, probably up around about the 800 damage per minute. Prince, 180 damage per minute.
Oh, no.
That is about an auto attack a minute for the entire game, hitting champions. If you want to put it in there. Maybe slightly less. This game from Prince was... A lot of it was on better map understanding from 1xn, Chocho, and Beichuan, but still, really struggled to get himself into the game. Hoya, it's another side lane Renekton game where you sat there like,
yeah.
what do you do?
I mean, my worry here is, you understand why WE tried to attack Hoya, because he has been a weak point, but like, that's sad. That's really unacceptable.
This was the play that broke the game, because this should have been Prince picking up free farm in a side lane. He walks away from his turret into Fog of War, and he dies knowing that Yukal is in his lane. Another big thing here too is that Hoya, he died a lot in side lanes, but whenever the Mark ult was used in a side lane, it allowed 1xn to all in mid lane. I think that actually there's a bit of a misunderstanding from how that Marco wants to play the game too, you know, because you want to be there to answer what's going to happen in mid lane just by throwing the Marco onto the Lucian. Wasn't able. Prince caught by just the edge of the Nico ultimate again there. Felt like every time Yukal aimed for him, he managed to find a good
He had
spot.
no flash or ghost in that one as well. So
That one wasn't there. This one, he pops the ghost after he's already been caught. Doesn't flash out. No clutch moments really from Prince, sadly.
No, it's a rough one to see, and I will say I still have some worries about Thunder Talk, because
Yes.
Hoya, if he's playing that way on weak side against top esports, I believe, is that 369's team? It's 369's team.
On top esports,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. That 369 will take him apart.
Yeah.
You look at FBX, the way they're playing right now, you give that kind of gold advantage to, say, Milky Way, if he's playing something like a Jax, because he's getting free kills. I don't think 1xn gets to play the same kind of game.
That will do us for today,
Yep.
folks. Thank you for joining us once again. If you have the space to drop us a like, a follow, anything more than that,
Yep.
just by being here, you're supporting us, and it really helps us. We do this basically for free. We get a little bit off of Twitch, nothing off of YouTube right now. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, let us know. Let us know in comments. Let us know everywhere. And if you're watching this on VODs as well,
give some support.
hopefully, my little kind of like hope here is that, you know, if people look back at this split and want to look back at them, maybe they'll look at our games as well, and we kind of just do that. You go start your stream.
Yes.
If you're on YouTube, I will say goodbye to you now. Thank you so much for joining us for the Weibo series earlier, and then of course this one here as well. And for those on Twitch, Sam's going to be playing some Final Fantasy, I believe, and I am going to go rest because I need it, and I need a mental health day where I feel less bad about life, so I'm going to do that.
Go do that.